We test and retest things, so we have the ability to look at information. So what information are we ignoring about the universe that should point us to God?
You're not
because nothing does.
I'm asking you.
What
is that evidence?
You extend morality beyond the Bible, and therefore you're a moral relativist.
Okay, why is slavery bad?
Because it doesn't promote the well-being of the people involved.
Is that your preference? Is that an ought claim?
Is there any other thing that you think is compelling for your belief in God?
It's wrong
is there
for someone to do that? You're basing that off of your own feelings.
You're basing it off of your feelings, and you don't understand. And that's okay. You are.
I think if God commands a starter commands things to do, I think we're good.
That makes you an immoral cretin.
No, I'm saying when God created the world,
powerless.
It was totally perfect. Why are you interrupting me? It's so emotional and feminine.
You're just so mad. The data I showed you.
I'm mad. You're just lying.
I'm not.
Hello and welcome to Platinum Politics. I'm your host Mason, and today I have another fantastic debate for you. Buckle up because it is a freaking long one. So this debate is between Server Regular, ACC, and Actual Jake. I don't even know what else to say because the debate kind of speaks for itself. There was a lot of talking over. It was very heated. I hope you enjoy it, and without further ado, it is debate. Alrighty, we are live and live on Platinum Politics. How are we?
I live.
Oh wow, sounds like an excellent ad for your worldview. All right, well I'm doing excellent. I'm actually doing wonderful. I feel great. I guess. Is there any way? I guess I'm the only one on the screen. Okay, that's fine. I was going to try to make it a little more visually interesting.
So just to get this started, I'm your host Mace. We have another debate night. Actual Jake here. Today, his opponent is going to be ACC, an Orthodox Christian, just like the last one. This is probably the most audio of an intro. I think it'll be a good one. Maybe just as long, maybe even longer. But so start chatting, fella.
Okay. Well, hi, I'm Actual Jake. I'm a leftist and an atheist and an anti-theist, because, you know, it just makes the most sense to be. What do you got going on? ACC? What can I call you? Do I have to call you ACC?
Call me Alex. It's fun if you call me Alex.
Alex works? Cool. So what do you got going on politically? Why did you want to talk to me?
Oh, I was offered to come debate you. I remember I came up before. You made this, I made all the jokes with you were talking about the space whale, and I questioned your ethics. I remember that.
Were you the one that got triggered and then made a voice? You're like, oh, space whale, doctor. Is that you?
Yeah, that was me.
All right, cool. I don't know if this will last 3 hours. So do you think you can handle emotionally the conversation you asked to have today without any emotional outbursts?
Yeah, I guess I could.
That'd be sick. All right, cool. Yeah, I mean, why are you a Christian?
Oh, I believe in the right thing. I believe that there's such things. I believe that there's morals better than others.
Right. Okay, so you believe in the right thing.
No, specifically that there's morals better than others.
Okay, me too, I guess. So you're agreeing with moral relativism off the bat? Pretty sick.
How am I agreeing with morals relativism off the bat?
Because you think that some morals are better than others.
How does that make it relative? Would that make it inherently subjective?
That's relative to you because you agree that people disagree with you, right?
No, I'm inherently arguing that there exists a standard in which we can delineate from, and we can understand that which morals are better than others, objectively.
Right, so you're saying that we have difference of opinions on morals.
Yeah, we have differing opinion on morals. However,
right, so they're relative. The morals, the ethics are relative to the people that are interacting with it, right?
I'm literally making a clarifying statement that we have morals that can become better than others objectively.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what you're saying.
I'm very glad.
Yeah, I agree that we can come to better ethics than other people's ethics because we're
cool. But weren't you arguing last debate that everything was arbitrary?
No, nothing is. I mean, what do you mean by everything is arbitrary? I guess.
I don't know. You kept yelling at Brian that everything was arbitrary and blah 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 blah.
Wow, that seems like a really shitty framing of my argument. So you don't know what you disagree with me about?
I mean, I think you're discussing.
Do you have an actual disagreement, or do you just want me to make up?
Yeah, I did. I don't
what
think
you
everything
think
is
about
arbitrary
me?
about morals.
I don't think everything is arbitrary about morals. I never argued that.
Okay, I guess not.
Okay, so your response is to scoff at your straw man of my argument when I say that that's not correct. Okay,
I just thought it was
pretty sick. All right, it'd be so sick. It'd be so sick if we could like have a disagreement for real. Like, do you have one?
I did. I literally argued with you. Yeah, in order for morals to be better than others, there has to be an objective standard.
I disagree.
Okay, why?
Why do you think there needs to be an objective standard?
I literally asked you why. I just asked you the question. I made the positive claim that you have to have an objective standard in order for there to be better.
Right, so you have to defend the claim. I agree. Why do you think that that's why do you think you need to have an objective standard at all? Why is objectivity something that is valuable?
Because if everything is relative, Jake, there wouldn't be such thing as better morals than others.
Why?
Because saying that there is morals better than others would presuppose a standard of
Has
good.
to be
A standard
outside of
good.
humanity. The standard has to come exterior from us.
I mean, I just, in terms of justifying it, probably, yeah. Because otherwise you're going to run into Izzot problems, or an Izzot issue.
Why?
I just told you, you're going to run into an Izzot problem.
Yeah, but why do you think we are going to run into is-ought problems if we talk about
do.
what our ethics ought to be together?
If you say, I think
Mhm.
murder is wrong, therefore we
Mhm.
shouldn't murder, that's an
Talk
Izzot
about
problem.
it. Is it a problem?
Yes,
It
an
sounds
Izzot
like just
gap. It's a logical
okay,
gap.
so what's the problem?
You're not justifying why we ought to follow it.
So I think it's pretty obvious why we shouldn't murder people.
Yeah, saying it's pretty obvious isn't really
Mhm.
justifying why it is wrong, Jake.
Right. But you're
Mhm.
saying, so I can describe it to you, but do you want a secular view on it?
Yeah,
You're
hit me
not
with it.
asking. Okay. So like you and I don't want to be murdered, right?
Sure.
Okay. And so to uphold that value, we would extend that logic outward so that we can't, like, if we want to not be killed ourselves, we wouldn't just go around killing people, because that opens up the standard of people being able to kill each other, right? So we treat each other how we want to be treated, and then we don't have to, and we promote well-being, and then we don't have to worry about it, right?
Yeah,
But
the thing
instead,
is, though,
people obviously don't do that, right?
well, no, the thing is, though, if I were to simply have the position that I want to kill this person, I think it's justified in me killing this person,
Mhm.
why would I be wrong in that?
So you'd be wrong because relative to the people around you, you would
Doesn't
have.
matter. Well,
It doesn't.
my
It
morals
literally
are
is the only thing that
absolutely
matters. In a
out of
vacuum,
there.
your morality means nothing.
Yeah, so then why would it
Like, if
matter
you're
if I patch
alone-
someone over the fucking head or not?
No, but if you're alone in the world, your morality means nothing, right?
Okay, so what? I'm not alone
Because
in
it's
the world. There's
be-
plenty of billions
right,
of people.
exactly, because it's a communal morality that is a phenomenon of communal existence among species. Like, it's just a human construct. Morality is a human construct.
Morality is a human construct, so
Of course it
morality
is.
can change.
Yes, literally it does.
Wonderful.
Like, you're
Wonderful.
arguing, like,
So you do
I don't
not-
know, I don't
you
know if you
don't
can even
agree-
hear
so you do
yourself. Like,
disagree with
you're
me.
arguing,
No, you
listen,
do disagree with
you
me.
are arguing that your worldview is the correct moral framework.
Correct.
You are literally arguing relatively to us that you are right. You are agreeing with relative morality
I'm
by
not
literally
agreeing with
doing it.
relative
You are.
morality.
You are
I'm not.
engaging in it, whether you
How
like
am
it
I
or not.
agreeing
You
with
are
relative
part of
morality
this.
when I agree
You are
that there's
here
more that are better than others?
I need you to, okay, before you can even make any of these claims, I need you to explain to me why objectivity is good, and then where you get it from. Where do you get your objectivity from?
Where do I get objectivity from?
Mhm.
I would say if I were to make the argument without God and there's morals better than others, it couldn't really, because I had to appeal to a standard that exists that is beyond my own mind or beyond my own personal preference. So I would say you had to delineate or probably appeal to divine command theory in order to make some sort of oughts or anything about how we all should live.
So you didn't really answer the question, but like so I'm asking you where you get your idea that there is an objective truth to a moral thing.
To an objective
like an ethical
truth to a
question.
moral thing?
Where do you get an ethical truth? Where do you obtain this from? Like, you're arguing that they exist. Where do you get it?
I would say the Bible.
Oh, so now you have to prove that the Bible is true.
What? I had to prove that my morals.
I have to
goes
prove the
beyond my-
Bible is true if I say that you have to
I
live
had
your
to
life
prove
by
my
it.
morals
Yes.
beyond my preferences,
You have to
which they
prove that the
are.
Bible is
Therefore, they're
making
no longer
true claims.
relative. Not my opinions anymore.
So now, how old is the Earth?
Couple billion.
Okay, so that's in direct contradiction to how the Bible describes it.
Where does it say in the Bible it's 1,000 years old?
It doesn't say the Bible is 1,000 years old.
No, where does it say the Earth is 1,000 years old?
biblical scholars,
I don't
very
really
big
care
Christian
about
boys.
scholars, dude. I only care about church fathers. I don't really give a shit.
So church fathers and biblical scholars and church fathers alike have worked backwards from the claims of the Bible based on the ages of people, like Methuselah, like Adam and Eve, like Noah, Abraham, the lineages. You get
there's plenty
Numbers
of-
and Leviticus and stuff like that. They worked backwards, found out it's about 3,000 years. So they claim the Earth. They claim the Earth is like
Hey, that's
6,000
wonderful.
years.
Yeah, and you
Okay,
realize
so-
that I don't have to
Right.
take it all literally. There's no.
You don't have
there's
to take
literally
it
no
literally.
point.
Why? Okay, so
No.
I have to take. I
There's
have to
entire-
take. Listen. No. You don't have to take the Bible literally, but literally, you're making the claim that it's 100% true.
Yeah, I would. I'd say it's
What
infallible.
the fuck? That doesn't make any sense. I'm not taking it literally, but it's literally true. Explain that. Explain that
That's not
fucking
what I'm
schism
saying,
in your
Jake.
brain.
Jeez,
That's
man.
insane.
That's not what I was even saying.
That's
That's insane.
genuinely-
It keeps going
That's
out. Come on,
genuinely
make
a
the argument
stupid
here.
thing.
'Cause the argument is I'm making that.
The argument is that that the Bible you don't take 100% literally, but you also are making the claim that
because I don't have to take it 100% literally. There's plenty of metaphors.
Yes, you do have to take it literally, or now you have to describe to me why you cherry pick certain information.
I have to.
Yes.
What is it? Please tell me where in the Bible does it say I have to take it literally.
What?
I'm asking you.
Claims.
In my source, where does it say I have to take it literally?
The Bible says that you have to agree with the word of God and accept Jesus into your heart to make it to heaven. So if you don't agree with the word of God, and you think that Jesus, who in the Bible believes all the things literally, including Genesis account and Noah's Ark and all the things that are referenced throughout the Gospels, the Gospel writers believe those things literally. So you are saying that you disagree with the Gospel writers?
I have never said this, and this is crazy.
Okay, so you disagree with their interpretation of biblical events? That's crazy.
I never even disagree with that. Church fathers literally would actually agree with me that some aspects of Genesis aren't meant to be taken literally and are holistic.
Yes, Catholics of course will.
I'm not a fucking Catholic, dude. Plus, it's not even Catholics. I'm an Orthodox, and there's literally plenty of like Orthodox theologians that are like, not everything is completely literal. I think
that's a gap in your stupid logic. I don't care what they say. I don't understand why you think a biblical father is somehow impressive to me. Like he has the same brain cancer you do. You don't believe in real things. You are making claims. You don't have evidence. Give me evidence for God. Give me evidence for God.
I got to give you evidence for God. Okay, can I ask?
Yes, the positive claim that God exists is an addition you put on the universe. So you need to give me evidence.
Filibustering. Oh yeah, I would love to give you that evidence, but can I ask for what standard that would be?
From what?
What standard would that be in order to prove
standard?
God? Yes.
What do you mean?
What do I have to evidence in order to prove God's existence? Yeah, what evidence?
Material evidence of existence would be excellent, but any sort of claim.
Evidence. What would that
material
look like?
Evidence? Okay, so how would you prove to me gravity exists?
Well, I would react. I don't understand. Wait.
You would use the scientific method to test and retest the observable reality of the universe.
Right,
and how would you be able to understand how moving bodies work, how gravity works. You'd be able to come up with the math.
Answer my question. How do you come to the conclusion that it's God?
I didn't come to the conclusion that it's God.
No, I'm asking you the question. What would make us come to the conclusion that this is from God? This material thing.
Well, because you claim that God created the universe.
What? Dude, you're the one who asked me to bring evidence. I'm asking, how can I bring the evidence? What would that evidence look like? What standard are you appealing to in order to come to the conclusion that yes,
the same standard of evidence we would use to prove anything.
To prove anything.
Yeah, prove any kind of material reality about our universe. Go ahead.
Okay, dude. I don't
understand why that exhausts you so much. To prove reality, we test and retest things, so we have the ability to look at information. So what information are we ignoring about the universe that should point us to God?
You're not
because nothing does.
Because you're asking me, prove God exists. I need evidence of God's existence. I'm asking you, what is that evidence? Yes, what is that evidence? What would it look like?
I would love to see it. I don't know. It'd be material evidence. I don't know what you would bring forth. Of course not. You want
material evidence? Okay. What material evidence would suggest that it's from God? How would I even go about proving it's from God? What material evidence?
So the same kind of way that you would approach getting evidence of anything else. You would look in spaces that you thought God might be. You'd start with a hypothesis. So I don't know what that would mean for you specifically. I'm asking what appeals to you. I've talked to thousands of Christians, and none of you have been able to give me evidence. So it's like, this is where we're at. So yes, I would love any evidence that you would accept for me to prove to you. Okay, what evidence would you accept for me to prove to you that a unicorn is actually what's in charge of the universe?
Well, you need to prove that
make that claim. You would need what from me?
You need to prove that the unicorn's a maximally great being.
What if I just claim it? So the unicorn is a maximally great being. I wrote it down. It's 1,000 years.
So then it's no longer a unicorn. It's God. So that's a.
It's not a it's unicorn.
Oof, that's a shame. You just said it's a maximally great being. The only being that
now you're arguing. So wait. So your argument boils down to no.
Unicorn example is done.
So the argument you're making is that Buddhism, Hinduism, and Zoroastrianism all have the exact same validity, and they all just point to the Christian God. Actually,
I have never. What are you arguing? Is there anybody else in this fucking room with us right now? When have I ever claimed this?
Right. Okay. So that would be the logic. It's obvious that you can't understand. So that would be the obvious logical conclusion of you saying that me claiming that a unicorn exists outside and is maximally powerful. Actually, you're saying that's God.
A maximally great being. If you're admitting that this unicorn's a maximally great being, it's therefore God.
That's not true. Other gods exist that are considered maximally great. I don't understand why you think that has to be your Christian God.
No, you're arguing about
Like you're the
I never
2.0 of the
inserted anything
religion. There's
about my
another
Christian God
version.
yet. I never inserted anything about my Christian God yet. You simply ask, "Oh, how could you know it's not
What
God?"
do you need
and
to
not just
assert about
unicorn?"
the
I'm
Christian
saying
God that I
now
don't know
it's
about?
Hmm?
What do you need to? Why do you need to assert something about the Christian God for me to talk about it?
I
It's a
never
pretty
asserted
well-known.
anything about the Christian God. I haven't inserted anything
I'm
yet. I've
like
simply
genuinely.
asked,
I feel like there's like an emotional thing you got going on. Like you're like real hyped up or something. Like, can you just
I
not
am
have this
completely
conversation?
calm.
Are you not prepared?
I am completely calm. Why are you like trying to like devolve away from
I
to
don't
speak
think
about
you
this?
sound calm. So, what evidence do you
I
have
don't
of
sound
God?
calm.
What evidence do you
Okay,
have
I'm
that
gonna
God
ask for the
exists?
third time now. What would material evidence for God look like, dude?
Any sort of measurement of the utility
Any
of
sort of
prayer would be a
measurement.
great
So
example. Any sort of measurement of the example of God's influence on the universe. Any sort of measurement
what would that look
or
like?
data
I
that
could
you
just
could
say
collect
what Ryan
that
said
would
last
show
time
us.
and zoology.
You asked me the fucking question. I'm going to answer. So any sort of data that you could
did a bad
collect to
job.
show that instead of natural causes that we have experienced through physics and just reality, that any of that exists outside of our understanding and that was actually caused by a prime mover that like you claim. But you have nothing. Why?
Wait a minute. Wait. So you said that in order for me to prove God's existence, it would have to go outside our understanding of a paradigm of physics and laws of physics, right?
No, that's
It
not
would
what I
have to
said.
go outside of that.
You would have to prove that there. So the claim of God is that God exists outside of time and space in the universe, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you'd have to prove that.
I wouldn't.
Yes, you do. What?
I have to.
Why don't you have to prove that? I'm so confused why you don't have to prove that claim. How come you can make an extraordinary claim on the universe, extra to the universe, extra to everything we know about it, and you don't have to prove that at all? We just take it for granted? Explain
Based
that.
on the possibility to contrary. If I were to say God has to be in a physical space, it means God's limited, so it wouldn't be God. Same with time and space.
That's
So
not a good
it's
argument. It's just so your argument is I can conceive of something outside of time and space. Mine looks like a unicorn, so I win. Mine's older, 6,000 years.
I
Boom.
never even like.
You know what I mean? Like, what created God?
Like definitionally,
You know what I
God
mean? Like, what created God?
Find a time base. It's
Okay, what created
definitionally.
God?
It's a presupposition. It's an
It
axiom.
is. I agree that you're presupposing it. Yes, I thank you for agreeing that you're presuppositional. So that's incredibly
I have
weak.
proved the uncaused has a cause.
Is this like
Little
Kalam's
question.
cosmological argument, but shit?
I haven't even like tossed in an argument. All I've been doing is asking you, how would I prove God's existence? And you just go, I don't know. It's like you can't actually
You
give
say
me
I don't know.
anything.
I listed like 3 different possible things, but
So
you don't have
would it
anything.
take-
I just think it's because you don't understand how
Oh.
science and like evidence works. Is that it?
I think
Like,
I
you're just-
do. It's just I don't think you do, because
do?
you're asking me to bring physical evidence for a metaphysical being, which is kind of a
And
category by itself.
Bring me any evidence that there is a God that exerts itself on the universe.
Sure, I mean we could appeal to logic.
You can't appeal to logic. You're not
Yeah, I
using
can.
it.
I think logic's universal nature would be
Logic is not a universal nature. Humans act illogical constantly. All animals
No,
do.
but
The universe
things that
acts
are
illogically.
logic remain true regardless of how we act. Wouldn't that be true?
That things could be true, like a Paul
I did not
Atreides
say that,
golden
dude.
path.
I literally just said that if we
Yeah.
have the laws of logic, do they remain true regardless of how we act?
When you say like, what are the laws of logic in your opinion? Because
Law
I
of
don't think we're talking about the same
non-contradiction.
fucking thing.
Yes, I am. We are literally talking about the same exact laws of logic. There's no other laws of logic, dude. Unless you're discussing, I guess.
Laws of
maybe,
so logic is a human construct, though. Like it doesn't exist.
if it's a human
outside of
construct,
us.
would that make it susceptible to material conditions?
Yeah, like your like
Yeah, so it
fucked up
make it
parts of your
susceptible
brain
to flux.
and your
Yeah.
flawed human perception.
Oh man, so
Yes.
that means the laws of logic are, if they're just human constructs,
Yes, a
they
philosophy
are
bro is not in
subject
fact going to be able to prove
Oh.
God.
Here we go. I mean, I am. It's intrinsically a part of logic.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I think God is a
You
necessary.
can't just
precondition
say
for
God
logic
is
to-
part.
If laws of logic are contingent upon humans, aka they're human constructs, that would mean they're susceptible to flux. They could change over time. That's
Yes, they
fucking
do.
absurd. That's
do.
absurd, dude.
It's not absurd.
Yes, you somehow believe that the law of non-contradiction could be false, and we can have coherent contradictions. You're fucking stupid. Holy
No,
shit!
I don't mean in that sense. I mean in the application of logic.
The application of logic. It's still in flux, dude, if it's dependent on human minds.
Right. So logic is of course in flux because you don't apply logic, for instance, in seeking
Therefore, not
God.
universal. Therefore, appealing to it would be pretty dumb or redundant because it
I
could
agree
be wrong.
that appealing to logic in
Uh-huh.
regards to proof of God would be stupid.
I never said that. Too bad you were asking me to logically.
That's what you're saying.
prove
You're saying
something.
logic,
appealing to
the
logic
inherent
itself.
existence of logic means God exists.
I'm
What would be
saying
the best
God
is
is a
that
necessary
the
precondition for
what
logic.
you're arguing is that the
Knowledge
rules of
possible.
physics exist and we observe it in the universe, and then you're applying all the rules of physics that exist in the universe, and you're saying you're just giving that to a conception in your brain without applying any sort of evidence. But we have evidence for the universe. We don't have evidence for
Why are
God.
you just
Everything
going up with red
is
herring? Because I'm just talking about the nature of
This
how
isn't a red
logic is
herring.
universal. It's an absolute red
logic
herring.
is universal within this
Yes.
universe due to the physics that exist in it. I don't know what
You're saying physics is what makes logic true?
So the physics of this universe makes things like contradictions not possible. Yes.
Right. Okay. So they're universally not
Mhm.
possible. Mhm. Yeah, they're
In the u-
universally not
In
possible.
the universe, yeah, but this
Yeah.
isn't.
Therefore, it
thing.
can't be contingent on human minds. They're,
Can you?
it's
So
not possible.
what do you mean? Yes.
No, they can't. They would just be susceptible to flux. We just went over this, man.
When you say the logic, like the logic of the universe.
Laws of logic.
You're saying laws of logic, but like that's only contingent on the universe, and then our use of it in order to describe things and have arguments like this. I guess that is the material reality that we live in, and you're not using it well. So this is what I'm talking about. Like, you can say logic exists, but you're not using it.
Well, I'm going to make the argument is that God is a necessary precondition for logic and knowledge. We have logic and knowledge, therefore God exists. It's a
That's
metaphysical
not a
argument.
logical argument. It's a presupposition that you need God for it to exist.
It's
My
not-
argument is that you
If it
don't need
weren't
God to
a
exist.
logical argument. Too bad
My
it
argument is the
follows
same
basic
then.
Moses
You only
comments.
need the universe for logic to exist. The universe exists, therefore logic exists. Done. So do we even have that conversation? No, because
No,
now
that's bad. I really don't feel like going through that. I'd just rather stick to this.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I mean, it can be because if you want to look into it, there's a whole debate between Mike Jones and Matt Dillamonkey.
Mike Jones?
and
Who?
was it?
Who?
Inspiring Philosophy. It's a pretty
Who?
decent debate.
Mike Jones?
Yeah.
I don't remember that. You're too young. Who?
No, Mike Jones,
Jones?
Inspiring Philosophy versus Matt Dillahuntey. He utilizes
it's fine.
quantum
Nah, you're
mechanics.
too young. It's good. Yeah. So
Did you just made the same joke twice, dude?
This is God of the.
You made the same joke twice.
No, it was the same joke continued. It's so
twice.
the God of the gaps is what you're at. Like we don't understand where the quantum.
Do you understand
Right,
how
so-
the God of gaps applies?
Yes, so we don't. So the argument
Do you?
would be the quantum field is a mysterious thing we don't quite fully understand. God did it.
I'm not even going to argue for the quantum field, dude. I don't feel like it. I'm sticking to logic because I think logic has to be. Logic needs
Logic
some sort
is a
of order.
property of the universe insofar as. the
If
universe has
logic were
laws
the
that
property of universe, then it
Logic
simply
isn't
would
a
just be
property of the universe.
contingent.
The
Therefore,
thing
it'd
that
be
you're
subject
calling-
to flux. Oops.
The thing that you're calling logic is just our ability to predict what will happen because the laws of physics are predictable.
The laws of logic are the thing that we use to predict physics.
Logic is a human construct by which we
I get that
are
point. You
discussing-
can repeat it like 5 more times. Is that going to change the fact it's contingent?
Right. So
then?
logic. So we're describing the phenomenon of the predictable universe by using the term logic. Am I too high? Are we too high out here for you?
You're a little too high, buddy. So I'm saying
I'm not
that
too high. Are
we
you
have
too? Is it
logic.
too out there for you? Like logic, the properties of logic is us describing that things are consistent within this universe because the physics are.
Right? Is that you're presupposing then it's true? What makes
Supposing that what's true?
what makes it true, Jake? That's the thing.
What
How
makes what
exactly
true?
is logic true?
How is logic true? It's testable and retestable, right? So that's what
Logic is testable? Really?
Yes.
You can test
You can
logic right
test-
now. Test it. Put it under a microscope right now for me, please.
Test logic. So logic is
Yeah.
a process, right? So we would say the logical thing is if I drop this, it'll fall, right?
That's
Lo-
not how we would test
Logic. Yes, it is. It's an
No.
action holding this up.
Someone's
letting
conflating
it
how
go,
we utilize logic to
it'll
how
fall,
it's true.
and then we can do this up. We can do it with more rigorous.
You're conflating
tests
how
on
we
logic,
utilize
so we could-
logic.
We could do
showing how
logic
it is
tests. We could
true.
do logic puzzles. We could do different things to test how logic works. But that is only true because of the way the material reality exists. So I don't. Why are we talking about this? You don't have any evidence of God, man. So
That
this is
would
just
be evidence of God.
Why are we bringing Christians here that don't know what they're talking about?
I do.
Is this
though.
for real? Like,
It's
do
irony.
you
just
have
keep
do you have-
putting up red herrings and want to keep going by it.
It's not a red herring. You
It is a
just
red
don't
herring.
understand like the material reality that we live in, and you ascribe.
You don't understand the material we live in, man. It's constantly in flux, but things remain true because, well, I feel like they are. Mm-hmm. Right, that makes complete sense.
That's not what my claim is. You're just too.
That's literally what
emotional
your
to,
view
listen.
is. That's
It's
literally what
not.
your view is. That's the consequence of your view.
The consequence.
Yeah, the consequence of your view. Mhm. Is that a
consequence?
big word for you, buddy?
It's not a word. The
Consequent? Okay.
so like I just You don't have any evidence of God at all. Like, for real. That's where we're at. You get mad at me when I ask you for evidence. That's the conversation.
You said consequent wasn't a word. You can look it up on Google. It means following as a result or effect. Dude, you're fucking retarded. Holy shit.
Consequent?
What, dude? Okay. Consequent, yes. Sequent. Consequent. It's a big word for you, buddy.
Okay, so you're just dropping the T at the end with your mouth. That's okay. I believe you.
Yeah, consequent. It's in the word.
Okay, yeah. I can hear it. I can hear your T. I believe you, dude.
I'm glad. So it's a word, so you're fucking wrong. Nice, dude. Wow.
You nailed it. Yeah.
I'm glad.
Okay, so
you don't know big words.
What's evidence of God do you have? So you have evidence of the word consequent. Would you have evidence of God?
Yeah, no? God's a necessary precondition for logic and knowledge. We have logic and knowledge.
It isn't like, because, well, I feel like it is. No, this is like psi 10 Bruggencate levels of presupposition. You cannot, because I can make the same claim on the universe, and then all we have to do is compare the validity of the two claims. So the universe exists and God doesn't. I can show you innumerable amounts of evidence that the universe exists, and all of the things you're describing are consequences of it. But you are saying
that, you, like,
that God exists outside of that, and you're not able to like defend the claim.
The same category.
It's not the same category. So now God and the universe are apart.
You keep asking for material evidence for God, and I'm asking what would that material evidence look like, and you're like, well, it would be kind of like a thing that would go against our understanding of the universe.
That's not what I said. I said you would have data that you could collect, you could test and retest.
Yeah, that's so vague, dude. What does that even mean? I would have data to collect. Yeah, what does it mean for me to have data on God?
What does it mean to collect data?
No, what does it mean to have data on God? What does that mean? How would I know it's data from God, Jake? I'm asking you, since you're the one who has a great understanding of what that would look like.
Yeah, so personally for me, I wouldn't expect data from God, but where are you confused about the universe to where you would go looking for God?
I have never even claimed this, man. It's so absurd what you're
Where would you go? So you don't.
I am asking you.
So you just don't.
Time now. What evidence would prove God? What evidence?
Like a specific kind of evidence I have to name for you to be satisfied?
Yes. What would make you go like, oh wow, that's from God? What would make you come to that conclusion?
Provable impact of
provable.
God's...
What would it be? Oh my God, dude.
Can I finish the fucking sentence? So provable examples of God's impact in the way that Christians claim he has impact on the world and people and stuff like that. Provable. That's all it would take.
Give me an example.
Yes. An example? Like, okay, so the effect of prayer.
Effective prayer? Like you would need like a scientific study for a prayer would work? Like,
but every time we do, it doesn't.
What if I showed you a scientific study right now?
Mm-hmm. What if I showed you 10 scientific studies that said you were wrong?
I have a scientific study right here. I just posted. It actually has, it's an entire case of someone that was born with a gastroparalysis. I think it's, I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm a little retarded when it comes to that. But essentially, this kid
a male infant of 2 weeks of age was hospitalized vomiting forcefully. He had a pyloromitomy. I don't even know how to say that.
So I don't understand how exactly...
He did not improve with medical therapy. The diagnosis of gastroparesis was made after a nuclear medicine gastric emptying study and intestinal manometry. He required a gastrostomy tube, G-tube, and a jejunum tube. In his jejunum. For 16 years, he was completely dependent on the J-tube feeding. In November 2011, he experienced proximal intercessory prayer at a church and felt an electric shock starting in his shoulder and going through his stomach. After the prayer experience, he was unexpectedly able to tolerate oral feedings. The G-tube and J-tube were removed. 4 months later, he did not require any further special treatment, and his conditional symptoms have resolved. Over 7 years, he has been free of symptoms. There you go. So you'd have to retest that.
Oh, I see.
What? Yes.
Oh,
yes.
I have to test it for it to be true. Okay.
Yes, you'd have to say, okay, so does God care about gastroparesis? And then you would see other gastroparesis patients, and you'd be like, okay, let's give them some.
I need evidence to show that prayer works in helping someone. I show you a literal scientific study of that occurring, and now you're saying, oh, it has to be repeatable. Moving the goalpost. Gotcha.
So it's not moving the goalpost. So if I show you studies,
if
I show you about a dozen studies of people trying to prove prayer works and then they don't, will you be?
It did prove it right then and there. That study by itself. So.
Okay, so if I have 10 that contradict it,
if I have 10 studies that contradict your study,
would that move the needle for you? Because we have lots of...
No, you asked for evidence of this occurring, and it occurred.
Prayer studies. No, but this isn't how it works.
Dude, you literally just asked for prayer working. I gave it to you, and now you're saying, it has to be repeatable. You have to repeat it. You have to. Otherwise, it's no longer valid. It's literally what you're arguing at this point, dude.
It is. Yes, it is. That is correct. It is not reliable to do prayer healing on people with gastroparesis.
Oh Oh,
do you think that should be the
said
medical?
that,
do you think
dude?
that-
I
do you think
never
that
said you
prayer-
have to do prayers to heal
do you think that prayer-
gastroparesis.
If you
dude.
have
You
gastroparesis,
asked
need,
for
listen,
evidence
listen,
that prayers
listen.
would work in healing someone.
You
and
are
here it is,
so
it's
wound
working on
up.
someone.
You're so wound up. This is
Oh,
not
I'm so
proof of
wound
what
up.
you're saying, but I do understand why you think it is. So
You
what
just
you
said
need,
you needed evidence. I gave it to you.
are you capable of hearing the fucking words I'm about to say, or are you too wound up? Are you too upset?
Oh, I'm so upset. Please speak freely, Jake.
Thanks, man. So you would need to be able to prove that prayer is what caused this. You would need to be able to show us why. And then you would need to be able to retest this to be able to say that this is anything other than a free article on PubMed by some religious folks. So like this doesn't have the kind of like retesting
I
and
showed
checking
you
that you would. So hold on, wait.
direct
So, hold on, wait. So do you think that correlation is not causation is obvious, but like, do you think that it is wise to choose prayer over medical intervention? Why or why not?
Man, this is not even like the argument, and you've gone so far away from it,
I'm-
dude. Wow, it's a red herring.
It's not a red
Why
herring.
would I? It
You
is
don't
a
know
red
why
herring.
you can't engage
It's
with
a red
anything.
herring. Because half the shit I make a claim and then you completely walk away from that claim and then make a. Is this
I
what you
don't-
made the claim about? No, it's not what I said, man. I never even made the argument that we should pray if someone's experiencing these issues. Like, where are you
Uh-huh.
getting that from? You asked
Right,
for
and
evidence.
so-
You asked for evidence of prayer working. I gave you evidence of prayer working. What now? And then it's just it has to be repeatable. It has to be. It has to be repeatable. Otherwise, it's
It
not
does.
valid.
It literally does. That's how science works. Yes.
Right. It comes to results, but
So
you
if I
asked
show
for
you,
evidence.
I don't know where the fucking how
You
do I
asked for
chat.
evidence. I'm not making the
How do I
point here
chat?
that there's a form of methodology that exists that would prove God's existence. You asked for evidence of
Show
prayer
chat.
working. I
There
gave
you
you
go.
evidence of prayer working.
So if I show you this from the University of Connecticut that says science has no measure for the strength of prayer, and then I show you a bunch of metadata studies that show prayer doesn't work. If I show you multiple lab studies that prayer doesn't work, does that matter to you? Is that because that seems like the evidence of material? Why is that
Yawn. Because
Okay.
you literally asked for evidence of prayer
reality
working.
boring.
You asked for
Mhm.
reality, right? I'm
Yes.
sure. Yeah, that's exactly what that is.
Like you're just upset, man. Like listen to yourself.
Yeah, because I'm. You
Yeah,
asked for
man.
evidence of prayer of working, and now it's not. And now you're not accepting it because you don't like it.
I'm not accepting it. You would have to
You're not accepting it.
retest this. And so when I go to look for
You have to
retesting,
retest it, otherwise it's
so
not valid.
yours comes
Do you
from
realize that
2019.
the
It is a
majority of
claim on
scientific
PubMed.
studies go through
It
a
is a
replication
claim.
crisis?
It is a claim on PubMed without any sort of peer review. And then this
It
is a
has
later
been
study.
peer-reviewed. What are you
This is a
talking
later
about?
study on metadata, and it's thousands of people. Nobody improves from prayer. Like this is a little bit
I
different.
get
So
it,
you have-
I get it, bro.
you have-
You're appealing to article here. I get it.
I am
But you
appealing
asked
to
for the
science.
article, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not embarrassed
You
to
asked
be
for
like,
evidence
I
of
look for
prayer
evidence.
working. I gave it to you, and now you're
And-
saying, "Oh, it has to be repeatable for it to be valid."
Yes.
The issue is, Jake, you realize
it
that
does have
majority
to-
of scientific
evidence has to be
conclusions
repeatable.
go through replication crises. Around, I think 70% do. So
Name a scientific problem that you see a hole in that isn't repeatable.
sociology, it's a big one.
Sociology.
Yeah, sociology has a replication crisis. So does a lot of other scientific fields of study.
Sociology, the study of human social habits?
Yeah.
That's okay. So you could understand why
scientific
sociology,
study?
a soft science on social.
Oh, I see.
Sociology is a soft science.
More. It's a soft science, guys. It's a soft science. I can't
Well,
utilize
it
it
is.
now.
It's not
Gotcha.
mathematics or biology.
Oh, mathematics is actually metaphysical. It's not actually based on science. Science has to rely on metaphysics, such as math, to be true. So, yikes.
Okay.
I've been arguing the whole time that metaphysics, like logic, would point to God existing.
Mm-hmm. And
Because it
think that's
remains
a
true
stupid
that any
argument
sort
because
of
I could just say that
material
the
evidence
universe
they
is the
remain
reason
true.
for logic. The universe is the reason for logic. Prove me wrong.
Yeah, okay. Can you prove the universe has purpose by itself then?
Yes. Can you
Okay.
prove God has a purpose by itself?
Yes. I want to. Okay, show me how
Prove
to
God's
universe
purpose
has
right
purpose.
now. Go. Prove God's
No,
purpose.
you're the one who made the claim that
No,
universe has
you
a purpose.
proved The universe's purpose is to exist. And it
Show
does.
me a
It's
scientific
succeeding.
study that would demonstrate that the universe has a form of
Exists.
teleology or purpose in its actions.
Perfect. Yeah.
What?
Sure.
It exists?
It exists. That's the purpose, and it's doing that. Studies done.
And it's doing that.
Oh, it's just
It is
universe
existing.
is universing, so
yes, that is the
logic
purpose
true?
of the universe to exist.
Yeah, I'm asking if it has some
Mhm.
form of purpose behind it. It can exist.
That is the
but it can
purpose.
just be random
Existence.
chaos. It is the purpose.
It's not
Okay.
random chaos. We have physics.
So,
Yep.
So hold
the
on.
perfect is to exist. Hold on, guys. There's no narrative. There's no anthropomorphic narrative to the universe. That's so strange. Yes, there's not.
What anthropomorphic narrative?
There is no anthropomorphic narrative to the universe. It is a existent.
I'm so like aghast by how like dumb you are, because the whole thing is that the universe has a purpose.
I'm dumb for not applying anthropomorphism to the universe.
I'm not applying anthropomorphism.
You are.
I'm making a metaphysical argument.
I'm not making a metaphysical argument necessarily.
I said I am. What? Can you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
No, I often don't. You don't use your jaw.
I see that.
You definitely. This is what I'm saying. Like earlier, when you're like, "Yeah, the word exists." You just weren't saying it very clearly. You also don't have a camera.
I said the word consequent, and then you started making fun of me and laughing at me as if the word didn't exist. And then I look it up and correct you that it does exist, and you're like,
"No, the word I thought you said does not exist," but that's okay. It doesn't matter. It's
consequent? I didn't say. Oh wow. Dude. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
you're so hung up on this. Are you okay?
Because you're like nitpicking. Mostly nitpick.
The nitpick is that you don't have evidence for your claim. Do you have a better Christian for real? Like with a camera, Mason? No more camera guys. This is so stupid. I'm for real. Like
sure
you
asked for evidence for God. I gave you, or asked for evidence of prayer working. I gave you that, and now you're just like.
And then I gave you evidence of prayer not working. So I win. And I gave you more of it.
Oh, dude.
So all you can say, at best, you could say that there's an anomalous thing that happened with that case, and you can say that it was prayer, but we don't know because we can't test it.
We don't know.
It's anomalous, but I mean, it looks like he had the problem and then healed for 16 years in a medical facility. It wasn't prayer; it was the medical facility.
He was
keeping him on J2.
I will just say, just to hop in here, I think we need to stop at least talking over each other, because whenever we're talking over each other, I can't really understand what anybody is saying. So let's tone down the talking over if we're gonna continue this.
Okay, so why do you believe in God?
Okay, well, we can do, I guess, a restart where I believe there are morals better than others. That was my simple reasoning. There are morals better than others.
Okay, so that's just moral relativism, and I realize
it's not moral relativism, dude. To say that it's moral relativism would make that.
I think these morals are better. Yeah.
I think these morals are better than others. Okay, can you prove how they're better than others?
Your relative opinion.
Yeah, you would.
Right, like for instance, I don't think that your Christian appeal to what is moral is good. For instance, killing gay people.
Can you tell me what is good?
Something that promotes the well-being of
the
people involved in the.
What is well-being?
Well-being. So promoting the health.
It's well-being is just
and
well-being.
Lack of suffering of.
Yeah, you realize how arbitrary happiness is? That's like so absurd to appeal to.
Man, isn't that is a great argument for your worldview? So I don't think happiness is a
an argument. It's my reason,
and I am more happy than any Christian I've ever talked to on here. That's for sure. Shit.
Oh, that's so sad. I'm simply saying is that
it's so sad
my reasoning is that if there is no God, there would be no such thing as right or wrong or morals better than others. But it wouldn't prove God exists.
So if there is no God, would you kill and rape people? Would you rape people if there was no God? If you could,
I personally wouldn't, but I couldn't prove how it would be universally
wrong. Why
wrong.
wouldn't you? If God doesn't exist and He doesn't, so you're not raping right now. That's great.
God doesn't exist and He doesn't.
Why aren't you raping? Is it because of hell or is it because it would hurt somebody? For real.
Why wouldn't I rape people? Maybe because I just don't like raping people, and that's not the whole point. It's not about what I would want to do. Why don't you like raping people?
Because I agree. I don't like the idea of assaulting somebody because it makes me feel bad on their behalf. It makes me feel like I would hurt them. It makes me feel like they wouldn't want it. It makes me feel like embarrassed to even to force yourself on somebody. I mean, a lot of it's internalized. Like, I wouldn't want it to happen to me. So
that's great. Great.
So you can understand. So why don't you want to rape people?
Jake,
because God doesn't say thou shalt not rape, does He? Does God say you shouldn't rape people?
He's just talking over me, Mace. I'm literally trying to speak here, but he's just talking over me. I'm saying I'm so glad that we both find raping and murdering people wrong.
Right. I'm not virtue signaling. I'm talking about the actual concept within your worldview.
So the thing
you're just like emotional.
How do we make it so it's universally? I'm not emotional. How do we make it so that it's universally wrong?
What do you mean?
If I held the view that what do I mean? Okay, I think it's okay.
Why does it have to be universally wrong for us to be like we shouldn't do that?
Because why do we ought to all follow it then? Why are you making this argument?
Because it doesn't promote well-being.
You're so dumb, bro. Oh,
That's
man.
not dumb. Well-being is very good.
Yeah, I'm saying is why
we
do
all thrive with
all-
well-being because we are social
Yeah.
creatures that have evolved to cohabitate and be social together. And when we disrupt
Wonderful.
that, our
Great.
mental health declines because we're
We're
not
all
like
animals that grew up, blah 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 blah. Yeah, I get the story.
I'm-
The whole thing
So
is,
I thought you weren't supposed to fucking talk over me, dumbass.
you know what?
Like,
You're
quit
right.
fucking
Jake. I was very
interrupting me,
good for doing
bro.
that. You know, you could finish your story up.
Like, what the fuck? You're interrupting
Finish your
me.
story up, bud.
Bud.
Mhm,
So yeah, we are colony animals, and it hurts our brains to hurt other people. Like literally, we just get broken mentally by harming other people. That is a biological response that has been documented all over. We get PTSD, we get anger issues, we get unhealthy, we get physically ill from harming other people. It is a biological response because it goes against our evolutionary traits of wanting to be social, collective animals. And frankly, a lot of it lies at the feet of your kind of thinking, where you deny the reality of your existence.
Okay, so it's my turn to talk. So, the whole thing, the moment of contention here is that
Emotional.
it's not about how we understand why we think it's wrong or why I personally believe it's wrong. It's how we all should all follow it. That's what you are appealing to when you make these value judgments that, oh, it's wrong to bash your own head over a rock. Why is that objectively wrong or universally wrong to do?
It's not objectively wrong for you to kill yourself.
Okay.
It just
Cool.
would hurt you.
So why would it be
right? And it would hurt
objectively
your family.
wrong
It's not objectively
to
wrong. It's not.
murder
Listen,
people then?
it's not objectively. There's no objective standard. Like it's not wrong to kill people in all situations. You agree?
It's not wrong to kill people in all situations. Yep.
Okay, but usually that's because they're violating that sort of like violence, right? Like usually we kill people when they're hurting other people, right? Like is there a reason to kill someone when they haven't hurt someone else ever?
Yeah, sure. If I feel like it, if I feel good killing someone.
Right. So do you think if everyone went around killing people when they wanted, we would have like a quality, high level of well-being in society?
Dude, this is exactly the problem. It doesn't matter about how other people go around killing other people. It's about
I don't know why. I don't know why you like you get upset when I ask you these questions, and I'm just asking you. You're
Because
like, please
it
answer.
doesn't matter to my argument, Jake.
It matters to mine. Do you think that it promotes well-being if everyone just goes and kills people whenever they feel like it?
Oh.
Okay. And so do you think that's good or bad for society?
I think it's bad for society. However, that would just be
so that's
my
all it is.
preference.
So that's where it's at. So I don't know why we have to go further. Why do you
Yeah,
have to go
because it
further
would
than
be
that?
my preference. It's all it would be. It would just
Okay,
be
so
a
your preference would but it's okay. So you're saying
How
your
can
preference would
preferences be better than others then, Jake?
Well, I can tell you because it doesn't promote your well-being. Because if you go out and kill people, people will want to kill you back.
Dude.
So you won't.
What if I don't promote well-being as my preference?
Then you are a murderer, and people do that all the time. It's obvious that it's true that people don't
then
take
how
that
would
into
it be
consideration.
wrong?
What do you mean? How would it be wrong? Because
how
the
would it
rest
be
of
wrong?
society would say that's wrong. That's how we decide
So,
it.
okay,
You just brought up
so it's based
sociology
on
earlier.
society?
This is how sociology works. Sometimes,
Yeah, so
in
it's based
fact,
on
sociology
society.
doesn't say that. For instance, in the United States, we have the death penalty, which I am opposed to, and we should, frankly, it's a war crime. But like we do it anyway because we allow the state to have monopoly over your sovereignty and be able to have violence on you, which is ridiculous. But you allow it. You like it, probably.
I don't like the death penalty. I'm a
That's
Christian.
great. Are you like where would you say you are politically? Death penalty equals war crime.
Oh, I'm like super ultra left wing, man. So ultra left wing. But no, it's just that
okay. I don't
when
know.
you're
why,
appealing
why-
to society.
Can you? Okay, so can I ask you a different question? Why can't you be sincere at all? What the fuck is
Why
that
did
about?
you appeal to society for your morals? You literally
Why
just said,
can't-
"Oh, all society
Can I-
would condemn you for murder." Okay,
Is it like
great.
the lack of? This is what I'm talking about. Like I think like you have anonymity and you think you can just act like a fucking dumbass. Like can you be? We are sitting here together. Can you be sincere instead of this fucking like black-pilled teenager?
Oh, I'm so black-pilled. Fuck. Oh, I'm so edgy and black-pilled. Ugh.
Do you hear yourself? This is what I'm talking about.
I'm so angry at the world. Oh.
All right. Do you have
such an
another
edgy
Christian?
teenager.
Do you have a Christian with like an emotional?
Jake, I'm asking you
Stability?
why, if society were to say murder
have-
is okay, would it suddenly make murder okay?
Do you think so? No.
No,
In
it
my
wouldn't.
moral relativist
No,
view,
it's not
it
based
wouldn't.
upon society. So it's not based upon society.
It is, but my moral relativist
It is
position
based
is that
upon
it's
society.
wrong.
You pick one, please.
I'm not. You're not hearing me.
I am.
You're not able to hear me. You're just so locked in on what you're like. I'm right. I'm right. I'm right. I'm right. I'm right. You're not even curious to hear what I have to say.
I've engaged you on every point.
You're not curious. You're not even able to like listen to the fucking answer. So more because I'm a moral relativist. Relative to me, in a society that already does agree with violence, in America, I disagree with it. I disagree with the ability for the police to have violence on us. I disagree with the military. I disagree with the government. I disagree with the prison system, the most incarcerated state on the planet per capita. I disagree with all of that kind of violence. And it is moral relativist because in this country, morally speaking, they think that like, for instance, you think that a criminal should be put in jail, right? Like this is something that you think is a moral act. I disagree, but I am a moral relativist. Like, I don't understand why you think like it's incongruous for me to disagree with people. So yes, most places agree that it's destabilizing to just allow wanton murder, but they don't disagree that it's like sometimes contextual violence is fine. Like stand your ground, like defending yourself, like killing someone that's assaulting somebody else. We all agree that there's quantifiable amounts of violence that we can do, and that's still killing somebody in a lot of cases. And I don't understand why you don't understand that there is a obvious relativistic nature to this.
Okay, so I let you filibuster for about 2 minutes. So
it's not a filibuster. It's 2 minutes of talking.
Yeah,
2 minutes.
So,
I can't talk for 120 fucking seconds. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, because the point was all over the place, man. It's just that when you are saying that your morals...
the same point.
So yeah, when you say, I don't like violence, violence is bad. I don't like how the United States does violence on other people, right? Is that your view? You don't like how how the United States or the government performs its own actions of violence?
Yes, I do not like state violence on people.
Now,
yes.
When you say, therefore, we all ought not to do that...
I didn't say, therefore, we all ought not to do that, but I do think that is in our material benefit not to.
We all shouldn't do that. It's a material benefit. Okay, yeah, that's an objective marker, what you were trying to appeal to.
I mean, it's like kind of objective.
Oh, it's
but, like,
kind of?
obvious. It's like objective. Like, I guess you like, I understand why you're saying it's objective because you're like, I'm convicted and I'm right about it, right? So it must be an objective truth. But like, obviously, not everyone agrees with me that we shouldn't commit violence on prisoners, for instance. Otherwise, it would just
there would be a lot of people who would disagree with you, Jake. So
a lot of people would disagree with me about what?
About committing violence against prisoners.
Right, I agree. We shouldn't do it, but people want to anyway because they like to.
So the thing is, why should we not commit violence upon prisoners?
Because it doesn't promote their well-being or ours.
Right. Why ought we care about their well-being?
Because collective well-being.
Because collective well-being.
Because
right, why should we
that's not the answer.
Well-being?
Because collective well-being promotes further well-being, and that's like the good thing about it, right? Well-being is good because we are creatures that need it to survive, and don't we like surviving? Do you think survival is good?
Did you just say it's good to have well-being because it promotes more well-being? Did you just use the same fucking word in the same
survival
sentence?
Survival and well-being are not the same thing. So it promotes survival.
You said previously.
Do you think it's good? Do you think well-being is good? Why?
Oh, dude, just stick to one topic. Like, just stick to one point here. Stick to one point.
We're talking about moral relativism, and that's...
Yeah, moral relativism wouldn't demonstrate how exactly, like, why we should follow or not follow other morals. It wouldn't demonstrate how we should follow your morals, Jake.
Explain why we discuss them.
Okay, that's great. I don't... Yeah, we can discuss morals all we want, but it's a matter of how can we prove whether or not it's actually true or not, what we should follow.
There's no objective truth.
That is an objective truth claim. Well done, dude. Holy shit! There is no objective truth is a truth claim. Fucking idiot.
I guess.
I guess so you can see there is truth. Yikes.
So I suppose there's truth in saying that like gravity exists, you know, but there's no objective truth in regards to like what human morality is.
Okay, then why exactly are you agreeing that there's why exactly do you believe there's morals that better than others? They would all be valid.
I don't understand. Like, do you know what the word relative means?
Yeah, I'm very aware what relative means.
Okay, so that would be why I think some morals are better than others, because relative to my experience, some morals are better, and that's my opinion.
Great.
Like it's a moral. It's not inconsistent to be a moral relativist.
So it's just
why you think.
Yeah, it's a preference.
This is just what you're spinning your wheels on. This is like really. So really, your the thing that keeps you a Christian is moral relativism.
There's no moral relativism in my view. It's
right.
not based on my personal beliefs.
Like the denial of it. Like
there's no denial of it. If I base my morals on the Bible, that isn't moral relativism.
You don't base your Bibles on the moral because you're anti-rape.
What?
The Bible isn't anti-rape. It's actually pro-rape. It has a couple different stances on how to...
Is this where you're pivoting to? Because you don't want to talk about meta-ethics?
What? No, I'm saying that you extend morality beyond the Bible and therefore you're a moral relativist.
Yeah, I sure do, Jake. Mm-hmm.
You literally do.
Wow.
It's not anti-rape. I don't have to tell you.
I don't.
It's pro-slavery. Are you pro-slavery?
Oh, is this where? Okay, why is slavery bad?
Because it doesn't promote the well-being of the people involved.
Is that your preference? Is that an ought claim?
What are you talking
Or a
about?
value judgment better at that?
Nope.
Okay.
It doesn't
so,
promote the well-being of the people being enslaved, you fucking idiot. I'm
I
serious.
don't care, dude.
Mason,
It's
this
a
guy's
matter
an
of
idiot.
what exactly. Why ought we follow it?
All right.
It's a basic ethical question.
Do you have a guy that is interested in having
You
this
are running, and it's
conversation?
pathetic, dude. Why are you running like a little bitch and like you're like running, dude?
I
I'm
guess,
asking you. Yeah, you're saying, oh, why do you think like
Mhm.
slavery is okay? Okay, Jake.
Do you
is
think
slavery objectively wrong?
You disagree with slavery, right?
I think slavery is pretty bad. Yeah, I think if we follow the New
Okay,
Testament
but you
story of
agree with the
Jonah-
prison system of the United States, which allows for slavery under conviction.
Okay.
That's the amendments. So I disagree with
Okay.
it. So
That's okay. Great. Nice preference.
yes, morals are preferences.
Yeah, they could be, unless you.
They
justify
are.
that we
Like, for
all
instance,
follow them.
ancient Christians raped children and made them their wives. Like, yeah, that's a preference they had.
Yeah, and they were condemned.
They weren't
There
condemned.
seems to be,
Abraham
like,
is the fucking. It's called the Abrahamic religion. He has fucking. What are you talking about? They all had fucking concubines. King Joseph, fucking Jesus. God rapes a child, inseminates a child for the whole thing. Like, I don't know, man.
He rapes a child.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm sure God
And-
could rape
and
someone.
God can do anything, right? Certainly. God
No, rape would be a corruption
God
of something that
inseminated a
fits the
child to make Jesus in your own.
No,
myth, so I don't
rape
know what
would
you're
be
talking about.
a corruption of something that's good, such as just sex. Sex is good by itself, but for example, rape would be
Yeah,
a
I think-
corruption of that, which
Okay, so what about
wouldn't
Judges
really
19, where the Levite and his concubine? Have you read that? There's rape in that.
okay.
Okay.
Are you trying to like make it seem like it's horrible? Like, do you think it's universally wrong to rape people?
I think it's unethical to rape people. I don't think it's
So
obviously
that's the
not.
universal ought claim. You're making an ought claim.
You would say that, but then we have rape everywhere.
making-
So then it's not obviously
It has
not
nothing to do with the
universal.
prescriptive truths of actions of the between whether or not it's universally true or not. It doesn't matter about the actions of people, Jake.
I guess you can argue that, but like the world that you live in is obviously morally relativistic, and so it's just naive to say, well, it's wrong
You
that
just
they
gonna
did
keep
that.
asserting that over and over again? Is that it?
Yeah,
You're just gonna keep
it's just
asserting
like,
that
this
over
is
and
where
over
we're
again?
at, man.
Dude, I'm simply asking you if rape is morally unethical,
Yeah, I said that already.
would that be universally wrong? And then when I asked you this, you were like, "Oh, well, everyone else does it. It doesn't matter what everyone else does. Is it universally wrong no matter
It's
how many
universally,
people do it?"
according to my relative ethics, it's definitely a universal wrong to rape people because it affects their
That is
well-being
so
negatively.
contradictory, dude. You have to pick
But
either
it's-
or. You can't just say, according to
talking
my own ethics, it's universally true.
But that's the
It's
only place I
contradictory.
have them. I don't appeal to
Yeah, so
external
therefore
ethics.
it's not universal. It's just your fucking preference. Who gives a shit? Done. Wow.
Okay.
Ah.
So this
Yeah,
proves God.
okay. Therefore, no, it doesn't prove God.
So what is the point?
It just proves that you can't make any sort of claim that, oh, God did this
You
thing,
can.
therefore it's bad. No, you can't.
You can. Yes, I can. I don't have to be a moral fuck. I don't have to have a God to say that you are doing a bad thing. Like, you are
Okay, what is it
appealing in the
based off
same
of?
fucking way. It's
What's
just
appeal- what's
so
it based
it's
off
so banal. Can we move on to something different? Is there any
No,
other thing
what
that you
is
think is
your-
compelling for
When
your
you
belief
say
in God?
it's wrong
Is
for
there
someone to do that,
no,
you're
no,
basing
no,
that off
no.
of your own feelings.
Oh my God, you're basing it off of your feelings, and you don't understand that, and that's okay. You are
I'm
because
not,
you have
though.
it. You have when we talk about rape being wrong, you externalize it. It's not wrong in the Bible. You say it is, but you say it's like externalized. But there's nothing in the Bible that says that rape is wrong. So you agree that it's wrong because that's your relative moral ethic. Do you have another thing that you think is very convincing to believe in? Make me believe in God, man. Like, where's your fucking argument?
I don't want to make you believe in God because
Make
there's
anyone
nothing that
believe in
can
God. Tell
prove
me why
God
you
exists
believe in-
to you, dude. I think we proved that when I showed you evidence of prayer working, and then you had to go like use all these mental gymnastics.
It's
argue
not
that
mental
it has to be
gymnastics to
repeatable, it
show
has
you
to be
the
repeatable.
exact same
It
evidence
is.
in reverse.
It is.
To show you
ask for
prayer does
something, I
not
give you
work.
something, and then you
So if I had shown you prayer doesn't work first, would that have taken primacy for you? Like, what?
No, because I'm not making the claim that prayer works, Jake. I'm not making the positive claim. God, you're fucking stupid.
So you don't
Like,
think
how do you
prayer
not
works?
understand that?
So you don't think prayer works?
No, I think prayer works in ways that you may not understand.
Please
I
don't
think
crash
prayer
out,
works ways
dude.
that-
If you're gonna
I'm
do
not
it,
crashing
please.
out. You're the one who's
please log
screaming
off
about
first.
here. You're the one who's screaming about here about, oh, dude, it has to be repeatable. It has to be.
Yes,
You're the
that's
one, like,
not.
coking and
Yes, the
spelling out.
evidence has to be
Yeah,
provable and
so
repeatable.
many
Yes.
scientific studies go through
I didn't
replication
create that
crisis, dude.
standard. That is the scientific standard for evidence. You didn't
Yeah,
satisfy
just
that
scientific
whatsoever.
standard. You
So
really realize there's
believe prayer does
different things
anything?
that would prove
So
things
you
that are
don't.
true.
So you don't personally believe prayer does anything?
I have never said this. Why do you always straw man the shit out of me? It's incredible.
So what do you believe about prayer?
I said prayer works in ways we may not understand.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
So
I think that's a pretty
so-
reasonable
So
answer.
God of the gaps. I just
What
don't
the
understand it. You're saying
God of the
God
gaps
does it
now?
in mysterious ways. That's God of the gaps.
For prayer?
Yeah,
I'm not
you
making
don't
a claim that prayer does something in our reality in which it can affect the material reality. You asked.
Okay, wait. What is your claim about prayer's
What
effect then? Then make a claim about prayer's effect.
Okay, I think prayer works in terms of helping you mentally, and it can also have mysterious
Works.
properties that we may not understand.
Such as.
Oh, so now you want to press me on my terminology when you keep retreating into
Yeah, I'd love
vagaries
to
such as,
understand
like-
what your belief is at all. That'd be great. Because when I say what prayer is, you obviously are talking about something else. So what is prayer to you? Thinking about something with God involved?
to speak to God.
So you speak. Do you hear him back?
It's where you speak to God. Probably not. I mean, if I did hear him back, I might assume I might be a little insane. But I did hear
Okay,
something
so,
back.
So you would be concerned if you heard evidence of God?
Wait, that would be evidence of God?
To you, I think, wouldn't it? Wouldn't you think
No,
hearing
evidence of
God
God
once
is
would be
all
evidence of God to
consistent and
you?
universally true, no matter how, like who you speak
okay.
to or any sort
Why?
of circumstance. That
Why
to
is
me
God
is what makes.
universally true no matter what happens?
I have not said this, dude. Okay, are you like okay?
Wait, what
Can
did you
keep
just
track?
say?
I just say what I think makes God exist or true is that logic is universally true, no
That's
matter
it?
who you're talking to or who you're speaking
That's the
to.
whole thing? You think
Yeah,
because
I think
we
the
can
laws
have
of
logical
logic
conversations, God exists?
No, I think the things such as logic remain objective and true, no matter, or just better words, invariant. They remain invariant.
I don't. So you believe in God because logic? That's it. That's the reason.
I mean, I gave the
There's
syllogism
nothing else
like
that you can
3
appeal to. You can't appeal to anything else.
Why would I need to appeal to anything else?
I would love
It's
to
based
hear
off of-
anything. Well, I'd like to have any. So, what's your second best thing?
Why do you want to hear my second best thing?
Because
I like to stick to.
I would like to
this
understand.
logic.
So, you don't believe in God for multiple reasons?
No, I believe in God.
You believe
this
in God
really
for
big
one reason?
This very big reason.
It's logic.
Yeah, it's universal
Uh-huh.
invariant. Laws of
Uh-huh.
logic will remain true no matter what.
That's it.
I
and
mean,
that's
it's
the
the
only thing you need. So why not? So why the Christian God then? What the fuck? That doesn't make any sense. So why aren't you
Are
a
you
deist?
conceding? Wait. Are you conceding that you need logic in order for God exists?
No, I just want to have a different conversation. So why aren't you a deist?
I see. Because deism lacks any sort of purpose.
Why?
Why? Because with a deist God or a deistic
So why
God,
aren't you Muslim?
I'm not Muslim because there's issues in Islam where, say, like the Prophet Muhammad. Muhammad claims to be God, but he doesn't really do any sort of miracles until like hadiths that come hundreds of years later. So it's not really a good thing.
Wait, but Jesus' claims come like 50, 60 years later than after his death.
You mean when they were written?
Yes,
like,
they were written.
I'm
like
pretty
50,
sure the
60 years
early
after his death.
No, the earliest testimonial evidence we have is from Paul's letters. So that comes around, I think,
So
a
that's not
decade or less
testimonial
afterwards.
evidence. He doesn't write the Gospels, but like he writes Pauline.
No, it was
Pauline
actually
letters are
500
written to other churches.
not 100 years, but 10 years, maybe it's a little less later.
It's not 10 years. It's like 30, 40.
For the
40
eyewitness
years.
testimony, it's
For
actually one of the
Paul
earliest
is
ones.
the earliest 40 to 50 years. Yeah.
No, it's not actually. Hold
Yes,
on.
it is.
No, Paul's earliest letters, Paul's letters about the eyewitness testimony of Jesus Christ, like the 500 ones, I'm pretty sure comes actually 10 years later,
It doesn't.
if not less. Really? But I heard that from Alex O'Connor. I didn't hear that from like a biblical theologian.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you believe
But,
in God because,
I mean, that's
you
my,
believe in the Gospels are reliable?
I think the Gospels are true.
So they contradict each other. How do you deal with that? Like one
They don't contradict
Lazarus,
each
for
other.
instance, isn't true, and the other one Lazarus is to be taken seriously. Yeah, what are you talking about? Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Like John, or is it Luke? Which one has the zombies? The others don't, but some of them have zombies. Do you like the zombies version of Jesus' resurrection or no?
Really? You're saying that separate eyewitness testimonies, if they don't have a certain
Yeah,
amount of evidence-
I think the dead rising all over the place is definitely a conspicuous miss for the other people who you say watched him walk out of the fucking thing. You say there are eyewitness testimonies, yet they didn't mention the zombie horde. What's that about?
I mean, a couple did.
No, they didn't. One did.
Okay.
One
so
makes
what?
the claim, and it's a proven forgery of the other two. Luke, I believe.
It's not a proven forgery. You're just lying there.
No, I'm not.
No, it's not a forgery. It's not a forgery.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
It copies the other two quite a bit, and then it adds a lot more.
Okay, dude. I really don't feel like arguing about.
So you
like,
don't know about
appealing
the
to
Bible?
Burt arguments? No, I do. It's just you're appealing to Burt
okay.
Arment arguments, which I don't give a shit about because if you really look into them,
I'm more of a mythicist personally.
You're a mythicist. Oh boy.
Yeah. Like the literary character of Yeshua is not a real individual, obviously.
You don't think Jesus walked the earth?
No, obviously not.
Okay. So why not?
Because the corroboration of his historicity is not existent.
I mean, the Gospels just aren't that. They're not.
Correct.
I mean, they
the
come
Gospels
around.
are the claim of they're a religious claim in the same way that like the Hadith that you do.
No, the Gospels are a claim of this person occurring, but there are supernatural claims
Gospels
in
are
them, which have contention.
Gospels are the
but
claim.
they
They're
are
not
considered
proof.
eyewitness
Yeah.
testimony. Yeah, claims are evidence.
They're not corroborated. So this isn't how
They
history
are
works. Like,
corroborated.
they're not.
They are.
They're contradictory,
about?
and they are from
They're not contradictory.
the same source. Claims can't be evidence, man. So like
claims are evidence. I don't understand
they're
how
not.
like
you can't go to court and be like, he killed that person, and then they go, what's your evidence?
Yeah,
And he goes, they killed him.
If 5 of us went to court and I say this guy killed like 6 people, and we all point to the same guy, would that not be corroborating evidence that the person killed people?
No, that would be hearsay, and then you would have to have corroborated
Not
physical
hearsay.
evidence.
We all directly witnessed this person doing
It
that.
literally
How
is.
weird.
6 people could coordinate to be like, that guy killed somebody.
Oh, so they're lying. They would be lying.
Literally, yes. The burden of proof is much higher than 6 accusals. What are you talking about? Why are you pretending why are you pretending that 6 people making a claim is impressive? Because that's not true. That's not how. That's not how truth works.
It's a sign of evidence.
So you think you know how? So if I get 6 people to say you're an idiot, so if I get 6 people to say you're a murderer, you think you're going to go to prison? What are you talking about? Truth? Yes, I do have truth. things are true. You're talking about like conceptual truth, and I'm talking about like material reality truths. Like gravity is real, physics exists.
Oh man, dude.
Stars are right there. The Earth is here. We are here. We are animals. We're eukaryotic cells that have evolved on this Earth. Mm-hmm. Or eukaryotic organisms, I guess. Do you know what a eukaryote is, for instance?
Yeah, I know. I've taken biology, dude. It's literally just a eukaryote. It's a certain type of organism that possesses properties of
vamping. It's okay. We're multicellular organisms.
Yeah. Yeah. Like that's prokaryote. Prokaryotes are single. Yeah,
prokaryotes. Cells organizing together to work and create one singular organism, which is very crazy. Yeah. Like it's so interesting, right?
Yeah.
But
I'm just kind of wondering, is this you keep appealing to things such as logic being true, right? But how exactly would they remain true in your materialistic framework?
How would what maintain trueness in
how would the laws of logic remain true in a materialistic
Because the laws of logic are I've described this already. Do you want to have a different topic? I'll say it one more time. The laws of logic, as you describe them, are just the human interpretation of the predictability of physics in the universe. Like the fact that contradictions aren't possible is a reality of the universe. That's contingent on the universe and the physics of it. There could be conceptually
that means
physics that allow for contradiction.
Even though logic doesn't exist physically, yet it remains true. Interesting. So that would mean that laws of logic cannot be contingent on human minds, otherwise they wouldn't remain true.
The laws of logic, the way you're describing them, are explicitly
contingent on human minds. No matter how I would describe them, no matter how they are.
Trying to describe the laws of logic and trying to use it to
You're saying the laws of logic can be different if they were
You're trying to use I understand why you don't understand why you're doing this, but you are using your fractured, broken, obviously afflicted human mind, and you are trying to justify something you've presupposed, and you don't see the dire consequence of that. So it's like yes, I agree that logic exists. I don't agree that you're using it. I agree that you think you're understanding it, and I don't think that you can fully really appreciate the reality you live in until you stop. I don't know. Like you have this smug air about you about that you believe in God is some kind of virtue to you, and I think it's very strange. And I think maybe if you were just curious about the reality you live in, it would be better for you, man. But you have this
I like how you
have this front. You have this front on, which makes sense because you didn't want to be on camera. So I get the
I don't want to be on camera because I don't want to be really a public figure to the extent that you are. It's just simply it's my personal choice.
So
okay, so
I would love to have a different conversation.
We're gonna switch it up a little bit. So I have somebody who would like to come up here and ask a question for ACC. Rin should be coming up here any second.
Hello.
All right. State your question. Who's it for? And let's get this conversation going.
All right, ACC. So my question is: if you claim that these so-called miracles, so-called Jesus, if he does these things and you have proof from, you said Paul, Peter, whoever, what would be their motivation to not make shit up? Especially if they're trying to create a religion or a hierarchy. Do you just take them at their word that they wouldn't be lying to you? Why wouldn't they just lie to you?
Because what's there to gain from lying if they're going to be literally killed for their beliefs?
Money?
Are Muslims
influence?
lying?
Muslims weren't killed for their beliefs during
when they
fucking
were. What are you talking about? Crusades literally exist. Like this is
What do you
definitely the
mean?
truth.
During
Muslims have
Muhammad's
been killed
time,
for their
Muslims
beliefs
were
many times.
they weren't killed for their beliefs. And when
I don't
they
understand. I don't understand why being
Okay.
killed for your belief is so okay. So communists were killed by Hitler for their beliefs. Do you think that makes them particularly valid in their belief system? Like, is that proof of their validity as
The
a?
argument is just why exactly would they? I don't understand why they would lie if they're literally going to be killed for the beliefs in that.
They
When
weren't
Muhammad
killed.
was saying those
No,
things,
no, no, no.
when Muhammad
like,
was making
Matthew,
claims
Mark,
about
the Gospels weren't death penalties to write. Like you're thinking of like Nero
no
hundreds of years later.
professing the truth of or
Hundreds of years
professing the
later.
claims of the Bible would be forming another religion, which a lot of
Hundreds of years
societies
later.
were against. And they
How
would,
do you know
what?
they're true? What
Yeah.
proof do you have that
Yeah.
they're true?
What do you mean? What proof do I have that mean they true that they're true?
What proof do you have? It's very simple.
proof-
You're just
what
saying
proof
they
do I
said that
have
it
of-
happened, therefore it's true. That's not how that works.
Well, 6 accusations is a murderer. So
I mean, I never said that, but it would be evidence that he probably is a murderer.
So if I said
if
no,
I
he
get
didn't do
168 people to say ACC is a murderer, that's true. Just because I convinced them to do it with my
Dude,
influence.
why are you strawmanning me? It would be if 166
Right, it's
people
not- it's
claim
not-
that physically saw me murder someone. It's evidence I probably murdered someone, Jake.
No, it's not. It objectively isn't.
not.
It
It
isn't evidence
objectively
that you
isn't?
probably murdered someone.
Whoa! It's objective now.
Yes, material reality can be objectively true. Your feelings can't be. So anyway, so you don't
Like,
have
your
proof for the
feelings are
question
like
here.
murder is
You're
wrong.
moving on. You don't have proof for the biblical.
You want me to
gospel?
prove historical claims? Like, I don't understand how.
Right, I
would even
agree that
present
claims
history.
aren't proof. That's what I was saying earlier.
There's other claims
Yeah,
made by
how
other
would I-
historians that have been presented with actual physical evidence. So
Right.
why is this different?
Why is this different? Because it's primarily how, in church history and doctrine, there is an establishment of church and a complete and coherent timeline of it, where we
You
have.
can just say that you believe that it's true and it's true to you, and that's fine, but that doesn't mean that everyone else has to accept it as true, especially if there's no proof. That's
You
all
realize
I'm
it
saying.
can go for your view as well, right? Even as like materialist.
My view is based off of proof because I'm not a theist.
Oof, crackers in a pantry fallacy. So we
Oof.
utilize.
Oof.
Oof, yeah. Oof,
I'm
yikes.
sorry that you're like a Tumblr meme.
A Tumblr meme?
Yeah, you're the kind of person that would be made fun of on a space like that. Oof.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Dude. That was funny. Thank you. You're like not real,
Well-
I guess. It's funny.
Okay, I guess I'm not real. Well, to answer the question, I was simply like, there's corroborating evidence or corroborating claims about the historicity of a claim of ancient history. It's kind of would go the same way with any other claims of ancient history, where
Right.
if
So we have
it
less
would be ruled
corroborative
out of-
claims for the biblical claims than we do for the other stuff we're talking about.
Like what? What ancient
You mean
claim
like
has?
what?
Yeah, if we're talking about ancient history, like around like yeah, if we're talking about the ancient history, what event that was so demonstrably true? Like what event? Like that has more than one corroborating event.
Like so the existence of Judea at all for existence. We have archaeological evidence of all of that. So
Okay,
there's more. So every single point of archaeological
referring
evidence
to
is one more
events, like-
corroboration.
I'm referring to events.
Pompeii?
How would we prove
Like the
events?
explosion. So we corroborate
Right,
with
we can prove
archaeological
the
evidence,
explosion
or
of Pompeii because
you would
there's physical
expect-
evidence
so-
behind claims of the
I
event.
can't
But
hear him
what
on
exact?
mic.
But
I can't hear him either.
you know what? Just go on. Just talk.
So yeah, well, you would have corroborating evidence archaeologically for instance more than just the Gospels, because the Gospels were essentially like rewritten a bunch, and that's how they proliferated. So kind of like pamphlets,
True.
like propaganda.
true.
So yes, so there weren't multiple corroborating things. It looks like what they tried to do was say the same story and fail, and then had liberties with it over the course of like decades to try to proliferate.
They all
religion.
have different.
And what they were
no,
doing,
they all
so
have
it was pretty
corroborating
clear.
evidence.
It's not. I mean, it's obvious you haven't studied it. So
They
it's
all
like
have.
they don't have corroborating evidence.
You realize that all the like there's a bunch of corroborating evidence across each and single gospel, right? It's called undesigned coincidences.
So they're not
in which
they're
they
not
would-
corroborative. They are in fact in
They
conflict. The Gospels are in conflict.
They're
multiple
not
times.
in conflict.
Multiple times they are in
If I
conflict. For instance, Lazarus is a great example, like I brought up earlier. They are in conflict with each other. One is a parable, one is considered is true. You can't have both. It literally contradicts itself. Both out of the words out of the mouth of Jesus. So like, is Jesus lying or is the guy lying? And then if you agree that like the guy writing it is fallible because one of them has to be, then I mean, you're stuck. Now you have to look for other corroborating evidence. And it just seems to be that that's not the case. We only have these repeated pamphlets over and over in a political attempt from the reformative Jews in the area to try to move on Christianity, to try to wrest power away from and reform a little bit of the religion away from some of the Pharisee type stuff, and to get independence because the Pharisees were working in conjunction with Judea. It's an obvious political pamphlet, and like I don't know why you can't read it. And Paul talks about it too, or Paul, Paul.
Paul
later.
talks about how like Jesus Christ existed, and that we have corroborating evidence of him existing through the eyewitness testimony of the Gospels.
Right. So how is that different from anyone else, any one guy making a claim? So the question is, why do you believe that person?
I would believe it like how I would for I think most of other ancient claims about history,
but not the history. So this is why it's interesting, because we have more evidence for Muhammad actually existing than we do for Jesus. So why aren't you a Muslim? And we have more contemporary, more recent writings on this.
Because
and he says the same stuff that Paul does. He has revelations himself, and he's
because Muhammad never performed miracles until like hadiths that come hundreds of years later after his death.
So why do claims of I don't understand why claims of miracles are compelling to you.
Claims of miracles would prove godhood.
So you're literally confirming that you don't believe it for Muslims, but you believe it for your own religion. Yeah. You're making the point for me. I
made the claim. No, the Bible had claims of miracles, which the Quran.
You're saying that Muhammad isn't divine because Muhammad did not perform miracles until 50 years after his death, or the claims were made 50 years after his death. However, there's no proof that Jesus ever did any of his miracles, and you just believe them.
After his death, unlike the Quran. What? I just made the claim that the hadiths that talk about Muhammad's miracles come hundreds of years after his death, unlike the Quran.
So 100 years after Jesus' death is when you start getting your miracle claims.
I would be skeptical if there were prior claims of Jesus not doing any sort of miracles, but then hundreds of years later, he's riding on a burning horse.
That's literally what happens. We have as time goes on. As time goes on, you get later gospels, and the miracles keep going up. They say more and more stuff, like the zombie thing, for instance. That's the latest gospel.
Do you think it's possible? Do you think it's possible that these claims of miracles could have been made by people who, let's be real, were not as educated as we are today? They didn't know what was going on. They claimed it was one thing. It was probably something else. But we don't have any claim of the stories of like Lazarus. We don't have any claim of that happening.
In regards to your skepticism on Islam, you have later on you have historical things. Famously, Josephus. A lot of Christians love to bring up Josephus as historical proof of like Christianity's existence, right? And like specifically Christ, because there's a passage in which there's writing which says, and then the people there worship someone named Christus, but it was found out that of course these are later editions and forgeries of his historical work. And
I know.
So does that? So
I'm not appealing to them.
I know you're not appealing to them. So in the same way that you say that the later editions to Islam make you think that it's stinky and not true, doesn't that give you pause towards the Christian faith as they continue to do that?
If we had the first Bible, if we had the very first Bible, Jake, and it literally has the story of Jesus.
We have earlier texts that the Council of like.
You mean Gnostic texts that are internally inconsistent? So like the story of Thomas.
Listen to yourself. So Gnostic texts that are internally inconsistent. And why are they Gnostic? Because they are outside of the accepted canon after the Christians got together and decided what was, right?
It was a collective building throughout time. For example, we added the book of the book of what was it? There's a certain book that was like has multiple corroborating offers. I think it's the
Council of Nicaea in 325. I was right. I should have just said it.
No, it's not the book of Acts. Wait, hold on.
Jesus himself quotes books that are not in the Bible. That's also true. We have gospels like of Lilith and stuff that you don't like. We have
because they're from Talmudic Jews.
Jewish. Yeah, they're just too Jewish. They're too old. So these are things that like Jesus would have, if he existed, would have believed in, because he would have known them because he was a rabbi, right? But you don't believe in them because you were told that that's not your canon. Like, and you don't understand like how much human meddling goes into the claims of the Bible. Like, you're not even like you're not able to like really confront the reality that it's such a fallible, obviously just like.
Jake, I was literally an atheist for years, or like a Gnostic at least.
That doesn't give me any fucking.
So there was at a point where I didn't fully believe the Bible.
At least it's pretty clear that you didn't have like an understanding of why you were an atheist. So
no, I held the simple view that I don't see God, therefore God doesn't exist. That's what I held the view of.
That's not why you should be an atheist. That's such a bad reason. No wonder you think being an atheist is stupid.
Yeah, I mean, you get people like you, Jake.
Jesus Christ. Do you see God now?
Like you, Jake.
Yeah, I've been such a unsuccessful atheist for a decade and a half doing this.
Yeah, you had a defunct YouTube channel called Christianity Reloaded. It's kind of gone now.
The Bible, I stopped it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I stopped doing
because
the
it's.
project.
All right, so we're gonna pull up another person that wants to come.
You're
up
upset? Sorry, I'll do it for another 15 years. We'll see if it's legitimate.
Rise Gunner, thank you for joining us. Please direct your question.
Hey guys, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, my question's for Jake. So earlier you mentioned that Jesus was obviously not real. So
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious. Yeah.
okay, cool. So for Alexander the Great, we have like the most historical evidence that he existed. That's about 10,000 plus physical evidence for his existence. So now for Jesus, we have a lot more. We have about 25,000 physical evidence.
What? Physical evidences?
Yeah, physical evidence.
What's some physical evidence of Jesus?
Yeah, gotcha. So you mentioned earlier, I believe you mentioned Josephus in his writings. We have Cornelius Tacitus. Cool. Not the whole thing. The forgeries
the passages on Christianity are definitely later additions, though it's proven.
Not forgery additions. So what there's
forgery.
What the forgery is saying is that he embellished a bit.
I don't know why you're so excited to say that you believe in a hoax, but that's okay. So forgeries of the documents.
So what I was saying is that
writing and then additions 50 years later when the Christians took over so that they could try to provide some more legitimacy to their claim.
Okay, so that forgery that you're saying, it just sounds a little bit. What they're saying is that it sounds a little bit more embellished than what they think. Okay, anyway, so we have
that's not what I'm saying. I don't know why you have to try to reframe what's happening there because it's just.
Can I ask my question?
Yeah, it's just
and then you can come back to it.
The
forgery.
Yeah, can I ask my question and then we can come back to it? Like encompass the entire thing.
You can continue. Sure. Can you slow down a little bit?
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Excited.
So yeah, I know for real. I like it. So we have Tacitus. We have Josephus' writings.
Name the year that Tacitus wrote down and stuff.
Bear with me just a second. We have the James Ossuary inscription. We have the Marabar Sepian. We have the Alexamenos Graffito. We have the Jehonan Ossuary. We have the Babylonian Talmud. We have Thales writing on him. We have Phlegon writing of him. We have Lucian of Samosata. We have Julius Africanus writing of him. These are all historians
a lot of these, what you're saying, so long after, none of them are contemporary. The closest one you get is Tacitus, who was born in 55 AD, who didn't write about it until 50 years later. So he was born 50 years after Jesus, 25 years after the claim of death, and then took another 50 years after the death for him to start writing about it. And so that's not a contemporary history. That is going to people and saying, what do you believe? And then there's Christians that believe stuff, and then that's what they write. They write that there are Christians that exist. They do not write any physical evidence about Christ.
So quick question for you then. Are you telling me right now that old means wrong?
No, I'm saying if it's not contemporary, it's not reliable.
Oh, okay, so old means wrong. If it wasn't written in a certain time frame, then it's wrong.
No, you're not. I understand why you're trying to reframe it so that you don't sound bad, but
no, I'm not trying to reframe it. This is what you're saying. You're saying
it's not that
because it wasn't written soon enough.
Because the claim,
it's wrong.
Correct, because what the claim, it's trying to corroborate a claim, and instead of doing that, all the histories that you cited are claiming only that Christians exist, not that Christ did, and they're not giving any physical evidence of Jesus. They're saying that Christians exist. And in the earliest one, the Josephus example, it's a later edition that was forged to mention...
Sorry, come again? You said that Christians exist,
not
Jesus?
Correct.
Do you know what you're talking about?
Yes, I agree Christians exist without Jesus still, right now. Yes.
Are you telling me that all the things that I just told you about say that Christians exist,
right? And they start popping up, 30 years after the supposed death when the gospel pamphlets start getting pushed around.
Wow, you don't have Christians. You don't
actually know
what you're talking about.
You don't have Christians in that gap.
Oh, okay. So when Marabar said
you don't have Christians the day that Jesus dies. You have Christians 25 to 30 years later after that stuff starts circulating, and they say
when you tell me that these people didn't when you're telling these people didn't talk about Christ, they just talk about Christians. When Marabar writes to his son Serapion and he says they follow the Christ, he's not talking about Jesus.
In what year? In what year?
I don't know. You tell me. You apparently know it.
What was it? I don't know. It was your claim. So what the fuck was it?
The Marabar Serapion. Just look it up.
Another question for you, Jake. Do you think Alexander the Great was real?
So he was also born in 50 AD. You guys are doing the Alexander the Great stuff. We have physical evidence of Alexander the Great. We have the money.
We have about 10,000.
We have all of the writings. Evidence. We have corroborating evidence in real time, not 50 years later in real time. We also have later editions, later stuff, but you have Ptolemy and shit talking about it in real time. You don't have that at all with with Jesus. Do you guys have anything else?
So
you guys have
you're
that
telling
3
me
decades later.
Alexander the Great,
that's pretty suspicious.
with the most written documents for him, it's not that close. We believe in Plato existed. The gap from his writings to writing about him that we have is 150
Plato's
years,
a great example of one of these mythicized. So hold on, Pythagoras. Pythagoras.
Give
me
one quick second. I just want to destroy that argument that you think that just because it's so old.
No, that's
it's
not
reliable. So
I think you have to reframe what I'm saying in order to sound cogent. That's not what my claim is. I didn't say ever once time it's old, so it's wrong. That's a.
So why did you bring it up?
You're completely lying, Jake.
That it's not contemporary.
So what's the point?
It's not contemporary, so it's not corroborating evidence of the person. And I agree. By the way, Alexander the Great has a billion myths, just like George Washington has a billion myths around him. So what you do, and like I studied history, which obviously you guys didn't. So when history,
my bad. Hold on, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You guys are right. I am debating him. That wasn't the point. I'm so sorry. I'll leave it to you guys.
I'm just gonna ask Jake. Like, I don't understand where you think. Like, where the fuck did you get the evidence that there's some corroborating evidence that comes a couple years after Alexander the Great?
What are you talking about? Who cares, dude?
That was your entire that's how you hinge your argument.
That's not my entire shit. You brought up Alexander the Great. The
you
thing you believe about Alexander the Great are corroborated. No, listen.
Years later.
Military campaigns of Alexander the Great have corroborating physical archaeological evidence all around. We have secondary writings that are like saying bad shit about Alexander the Great that proves he was existent in the time, like the Persian emperors and stuff that are talking about him. I forget their names suddenly, but like they are all independently talking about him. That is corroborating evidence. We do not have, and you would expect the kind of negative press. Listen, the kind of negative press that you get contemporarily from people at the time that Alexander the Great is going through and toppling all these cities in the Persian Empire. You have people talking about it. You have evidence of the armies, and it corroborates with a lot of the ways that the histories were told. There's obviously a lot of myth stuff that goes into Alexander the Great about him being a god and all this divine intervention shit. But like, all of this other stuff, we can corroborate that the person existed. That's literally like thousands of things. Like we do not have that for Jesus. What we would expect from Jesus is we would expect like Pharisees writing about this guy and being like, this guy's fucking ruining stuff. We have to send letters all around. We'd expect to find this kind of stuff. We'd expect to find some like graffiti around from very like right when it's happening. You'd expect all sorts of different physical evidences because we have it for anyone that's even close to real, especially with that kind of impact. So like it's just obvious that we don't have the kind of not even corroborating evidence. You'd expect to see, like I said, like the naysaying, like the negative stuff. You'd expect to see lies being peddled about Jesus contemporarily if he was so impactful the way you're saying. There are in the Talmud.
Yeah, the Talmud
of the Old Testament.
There's no. Are you stupid? You think the Talmud's the Old Testament?
The Torah.
Holy
the Torah,
shit!
No,
what? I said the Talmud.
Yeah, I just mistook it for the Torah. It's been a while. So, do we have other guys that want to talk? Or are we still talking about the historicity of Jesus?
Yeah, I think you're just like, if we were to utilize your standard of evidence, then Alexander the Great doesn't exist.
So Alexander the Great definitely exists based on the corroborating archaeological evidence around the area that he was said to affect. There are definitely myths around him.
The writings about him come hundreds of years later. Same way with Jesus. We're not even with Jesus.
There are definitely writings that come. There are definitely writings that come about Alexander the Great later in history for sure. Just like anybody else. Yep. And also they corroborate with physical evidence.
So we have physical evidence of the eyewitness.
You have earlier writings as well, contemporary ones from Persia.
For Alexander the Great?
Yes, discussing the problem that's going on. We have writings of. Yes, we do. We have these negotiations. Alexander the Great, like takes this fucking wife out. We have their fucking negotiations.
Yeah, and it comes after 300 years later after his death, dude. It's not contemporary by your own standards.
The compilation of that information does, not the corroborative evidence that goes into it. Anyway, do we have anybody else?
Compilation of it. Okay.
Yes,
great. I guess we just throw it
up.
Yes, when the guy writes like Alexander the Great, the book. Yeah.
Thank you. On God I Live Water, welcome. You know the rule.
Thank you for having me on. So in the Old Testament, there's the common there's a problem that I find personally when I'm reading it. And when I was a Christian, I grappled with this a lot. How can you justify the genocide of the Canaanites? Because as I've already discussed this with ACC a few times. If God does it, and if God commands it, that makes it good, since God is an all-powerful being. But the problem here is that the Israelites are the ones doing it. But in Sodom and Gomorrah, for example, God does it directly. He directly smites the people who he says should be killed. So I kind of want to hear both of your perspectives on how that might be justifiable or completely immoral and unjust.
Yeah. Do you want my opinion on why people wielded God to commit violence, or do you want to talk about take a stab at it?
Yeah, it's like,
Oh, well, he's back. Oh, now he's me. Oh,
Yeah, you can stick around for a second if you want. I don't mind.
absolutely.
Were you listening, ACC?
Yes, I am.
Oh.
I mean, I'm waiting for your take on it.
Oh, why? I think it'd be more interesting to get a believer's take on why God can commit genocide.
Yeah, because it doesn't necessitate that it's wrong. I don't really see how God can be wrong.
So you're just like cucked. So nothing God does could be wrong.
I'm the
ever?
cucked one here. Okay, dude.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like, so, why? So something, if God does it, it's right. That's it.
Yeah, I think God is the epitome of good. He's the epitome of good. He is goodness
okay,
itself.
so I have ethical disagreements with genociding people. So okay, I guess you're just
they're
inferior
just
to me.
preferences.
They're not.
We went over this before, dude. They're just preferences.
They're just preferences. So you're saying that genocide is good if God says it's good.
Sure.
So you think the genocide of the Gazans is good, for instance.
I think if God commands a genocide or commands things to do, I think it'd be good.
Right. That makes you an immoral cretin.
How does it make me immoral?
Makes
I
you
mean,
an
that's quite the
immoral
value
cretin.
claim to make. Is that universal, Jake? Are you making a universal value claim about me, Jake?
Yeah, I would say I'm making a relativistic claim about you.
So
based
it's just a
on-
preference, and it's just your opinion. Okay.
Well, yeah, because I'm not a god, and you don't.
Yeah,
have
I fail
one
to see
either,
the
so,
argument then.
Well, you're making the same argument that I'm making. So if I say that the
No,
unicorn
I can justify
backs
why
me,
things are wrong.
the,
You can't.
the unicorn has endorsed this message, so it's more right than you are, dude.
The unicorn is a maximally great being.
I don't think God is a maximally great being, no. Even as described by
Okay.
the Bible, no. I think God
Can
is a
you show-
fickle. Yeah, God, like God,
Okay.
for instance, has regret in the Bible. How can a perfect being experience regret?
Not necessarily regret.
It is literally described as regret in the Bible. So
It's okay.
it's described as regret. He regretted doing it, so he puts a rainbow in the sky to make sure that he remembers not to genocide the world again. He gets angry.
Doesn't
Do you think a
regret it. I
perfect
don't
being
understand.
can have anger?
Show me the
Do you think
passage where it directly says he regrets doing this.
it's in the Bible. So we have to
Show it to
take
me.
a fucking Bible study. It's Noah's Ark. It's the end of it. He has
Yeah, I
regret.
know, but
He
please show
regrets
me
it.
where.
So you can see the letter T. T. Sorry, I don't know. So yeah. Anyway, God is, for instance, angry. Do you think a perfect being can experience the emotional outburst of anger?
I think it's divine justice of anger.
Oh, it's okay. So anger is an acceptable emotion for God to have. That's fascinating. All right.
Yeah, it's how we have
you're not
justice.
describing a perfect being to me. You're describing an imperfect being to me. A perfect being wouldn't have any of these human anthropomorphic qualities. Like it would just not. But you're too small-minded.
I'm saying
it's
it's no. I'm
Your God
saying
is
that
small. That's
when we
okay.
have-
You're powering down your God. I
No,
don't
I'm
mind.
saying that when we have.
What kind of
no, I'm
powers
saying
do you
when
want
we
to
have
take away from
God
your
who
God?
has- who
I have a good
understands
question for
justice,
you.
he's doing it
I have a
more
good question for you. Why does your God need sacrifice to forgive sin?
Huh?
Why does your God require sacrifice to forgive sin?
to forgive sin, because the price of sin is death. It requires a sacrifice.
Okay, so I don't think you're understanding what I'm asking. Why does God require that? Because God created that parameter.
You did not create that parameter.
God literally creates all things, including sin.
No, he doesn't. I'm not a Calvinist.
Ah,
Sorry,
wait,
bud.
so you're powering your God down again? That's funny. So God
I'm
isn't
not
in
powering my
control
God
of
down at
what
all.
is sin?
No, I'm saying when God created the
He's
world, it was
powerless?
completely perfect. Why are you interrupting me? It's so emotional
So-
and feminine. But when essentially what occurred was
So feminine.
when we have
Oh, no.
God and he
I wouldn't
created the
wanna be
perfect
feminine.
world,
That would be
and when
very
there was
scary.
man- Oh, okay. You're just gonna keep talking over me because you just.
Sorry, I was getting a dono. I couldn't hear you. So
Oh,
the-
so when we have exactly God and he creates a perfect world, and then from this perfect world,
God didn't create a
man
perfect world.
decides it's disobedient. He did create a perfect world, so
He
I
didn't.
mean that's the whole thing of Adam and Eve.
Wait,
he didn't
so you
create a
believe in
perfect
Adam
world.
and Eve? You
Yeah,
believe
I
in the
think
Garden
it's
of Eden?
terms of-
Literally?
Yeah.
You said earlier you didn't believe in the literal Garden of Eden.
I did not say that. I said I don't believe in the account of it being 6,000 years.
Okay. So, oh my God, you're inconsistent. So you don't believe in the literal claim of the Bible in its timeline, because it literally claims to the year the timeline of events by the ages of the actors in it. It literally does. So like I don't understand why you disregard the information given to you in the Bible. So why do you come to the 4.5 billion year Earth? Because evidence? Why was the evidence of the old Earth compelling to you?
Why is evidence of the old Earth compelling to me? I never said old Earth, dude. Or
so 4.5 billion years would be the scientific consensus.
I don't know why it's old Earth. I'm saying that I don't necessarily like hold it as like old Earth as it be 100,000% fucking true, but I'm willing to believe
it's fine.
Science doesn't really necessarily work in absolutes, so I don't really base it as a form of my epistemology for how I come to true belief.
In absolute, instead of looking at any evidence, we just go internalize, and that's where we get our truth, huh? We internalize it. Sounds smart, man. And you're not a happy guy in your own estimation. You're not a very happy person.
I like how you just like talk to like this straw man of me. It's really cute.
Well,
like,
you said you were happy when we started.
Talking to it, holding up your face a little action figure. It's really cute.
So do you think you're a happy guy?
I think I'm pretty happy.
Okay, so I'm very happy. So I guess my worldview is working. All right. So do we have any more questions?
Yeah, I don't know. Before we move on, thank you guys for your time. And it was really weird to see a Zionist anti.
Wait, what was that last thing he said?
Something that was weird to see a Zionist. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a Zionist, that's for sure.
Yeah, neither am I. But
that's good.
So next up, we're gonna have Skripa come up.
He's currently muted.
Yeah, ask the question.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. So I'm Skripka, and my question is directed to actual Jake. So I remember that you were talking about history, which I'm interested in, because my study in university is actually historical linguistics.
Cool.
And you said that God had commanded the Jews to kill the Canaanites in the Bible, which is true.
Well, someone else brought that up, but yeah.
Okay, someone else brought. Okay, but do you know about how metaphor works in the Bible? Because, for example,
yeah, I agree.
It has been shown.
I was gonna say there's just a little bit of lag, so I was talking over you on accent. My bad.
Okay. It was shown by how do you say genetic studies that the Jews, even Ashkenazim and also Mizrahim, have Canaanite genetic traces. It's also been shown that the Arabs of Palestine Canaanite genetic traces by genetic studies that are native to the land. Hebrew is a Canaanite language.
Sort of. It's like in the like Romance languages or Latin languages, sure.
And Phoenicians are also Canaanites because Canaan includes.
Okay, so are you saying that because they exist, there was no genocide? Or?
No.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that it seems to be from evidence that the idea of exterminating the Canaanites is a metaphor for their assimilation. Would you agree with that?
I mean, I'd have to read the biblical account, but I'm pretty sure it's just talking. Isn't that the one where they're wielding the Ark of the Covenant, and then they kill him over here, and then they go to the hill, and then he stops using it, and there's like will they, won't they? Like, I agree that the Bible is like a literary. It's like not a true account of reality. Like, it is almost always metaphor and just story to describe things. And when they use, especially the biblical numbers in the Old Testament, way overblown. Oftentimes it'll say like it'll be like 50,000 people. It's probably like 5,000 or something, or maybe less. So yes, I agree that they would be often not true.
But would you agree with the statement agreed by most historians that the Old Testament Torah in Hebrew, would you agree that this is, generally speaking, an account of history? Because in classical, a lot of
but they don't recognize. So historians don't recognize it as active history because it's so literary, and they don't like. I think Tacitus is the first historian, right? So like, and then Herodotus and stuff. So,
for example, you also wouldn't recognize the Iliad or Odyssey as being actual history, but it does show historical proof.
Yeah, in the same way that like a Michael Crichton book isn't history, right? Like it's nonfiction, or it's fiction, but it's like in the non-fictional world it takes place. Yeah, this is just stories. So in the same way that the Bible is always that. It's a literary tool to describe and disseminate information. Because especially when you think like the nomadic tribe that made up the old time Jewish, I guess like Bible writers, a lot of that was oral history and was written down later, probably likely imperfectly with the Chinese telephone game thing. As a linguist, you probably know all about that shit way better than I do. So like you can understand how you just get these sort of nebulous creation stories, and we see a lot of that stuff. It's actually very interesting when you look across the broad spectrum of human history, where we see similarities and differences. Like it's like climate based. gods. If they live in a flood zone, it's very tumultuous. If they live in somewhere more chill, it's very calm. It's very cool.
I'm curious if you know. Do you know Yahweh is actually before Yahweh? Most of his characteristics are actually taken from another Canaanite god. Who I forget the
Asher?
full name, but
I believe it's Asher, the Asherite god of war,
Baal,
with the
the god
bow.
of
In fact, that's where you get the rainbow because it has a nice bow.
the main
War god.
the main god was the god of I think it was thunder. Okay, and it was
Wow.
the lord of thunder, but I forget the full name in biblical Hebrew. I'm not fluent speaker
I mean,
of Hebrew, but I
yeah.
do know that the name that they would call him often would be Baal, which you may recognize even
Yeah.
in English-speaking context from its demonization in Christianity.
Yeah, El and Elohim also fly around in the early Bible, describing usually multiple gods. Yeah, I mean, and they're obviously also talking about like other gods affecting the world in the same way that their God does, who is trapped in the Ark of the Covenant for a lot of the first part of the story for some reason. It's very interesting. But like, they talk about idol worship and like it's a really interesting look into the proto-religious sort of like early society era, pre-Bronze Age even. Like it's so interesting, but like, yeah. I don't know. Is there any
But
are you a Christian, by the way? Like I don't even know. What do you got going on?
I am an apostate. I used to be part of the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church, and I left primarily because I had some disagreements with how some commandments in the Bible work. And obviously, if you don't agree with everything that God says, then how can you be a Christian?
Yeah. I think that's pretty good. Yeah. Although this ACC seems to be able to cherry pick.
I'm not really sure.
I'm not going to get in between your two arguments. I think it is petty a lot of you both of the time.
Yeah.
But I do have another question for you.
Yeah.
Because you say that you do not believe that Jesus existed. Is that correct?
Right. I lean towards mythicism. Yeah. It seems to follow a literary structure, ring structure on the types of stories that are told, and then we see a lot of mystery religions around the same time, and it's very. I mean, it just.
But do you believe that there was a man who existed, whether the mythical stories about him are true or not?
I believe that there were.
Yeshua from the city of Nazareth.
Yeah, provably. Well, Yeshua is definitely a literary name given to a character in that book. It's definitely not the name that whoever, like, even if Jesus 100% existed and I did believe in him, Yeshua is definitely a literary name used. And then Jewish writings do this all the time, like Jacob and Esau, and like all of these. You know this.
Yes.
And so you probably have, like I said, a better idea than I do. So it is. I believe that. I mean, it seems pretty obvious that a lot of people were saying that I'm the Messiah, and a lot of people were being crucified, and then there was a lot of political upheaval in Roman occupied Judea, and they had problems with the Pharisees, they had problems with Rome, problems with assimilation. There is a Reformation movement going on during the New Testament times. They're trying to get away from things like circumcision to try to get more popularity. They're trying to regulate a cooler religion to try to get more adherents, and to try to make a political move to stop being underneath the Pharisees, who are just it's like a liberal, like they're just acquiescing to the fascist in charge that have taken over. And so
I suppose it's like like obviously it didn't happen back then, but it's kind of like ancient anti-colonialism, and of course you can probably tell from my profile photo where I'm from, so I know plenty about this. But regardless of that, that's just like I think I get your opinion. That's what I wanted to ask about because I was curious.
I think he's an amalgam probably of guys, like it's just it's a convenient tool because they're looking for a Messiah, and it makes a lot of sense to be like, oh, the Messiah came and they fucking killed him. You missed him. They killed him so fast. Like he was doing miracles and everything, and now he's gone. And then 30 years later you see that pop up, and that's pretty suspicious. It's smart though. It obviously stuck.
Yeah, I know a lot of legends like that. That's interesting. I have a family member who believes something similar to this. But yes, that's pretty much what I wanted
to change my mind on the mythicism thing. I would need corroborating physical evidence, but like I think this space has been pretty clearly picked over, and so I don't think
it's hard to find physical evidence of even most people who existed in history. I think because
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I mean, you're making pretty crazy claims about it, so you're going to have to provide evidence, and then when you can't provide evidence of that, you have to be like, okay, well then what are your other claims? Like, does prayer work? And like stuff like that, and then physical evidence of God, and all the other stuff. So yeah. Anyway, this is why we talk about it. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Okay, that was what I wanted to say. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. Fuck Russia, right? Because definitely. Are you over there right now? Are you okay?
I'm okay. as well as I can.
I know a few people over there. I have some friends over there. Sorry to hear about that. And I hope you fucking he gets dragged through the fucking streets, bro.
Yes, stay safe. Peace to your family.
You too.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Next up, we will bring D'Argish. I assume that is D'Argish. All right.
All right. So I am a science teacher. I feel like that background is important. And the reason I feel that background is important is because I want to go back to something that was talked about earlier with evidence. A singular point cannot be evidence. So if we have a singular event happening, it can't be. Jake was trying to bring this up earlier. So my question I have, and this is for the Christian guy, I didn't catch your name, is why are you going off of a singular point of evidence when anytime we do actual large studies on things like the power of faith and the power of prayer, it comes up as that not actually working?
Right. So the thing is, though, when Jake asked me, can you give me evidence of prayer working, I gave him this piece of evidence here of it working. However, Jake's main contention now is, well, I need more replicable, I need to be able to be replicable, or it need to be repeatable.
Right, because one point.
Right. I understand that point. However, the main thing is you asked for evidence of it working. That's the point.
Okay.
Now
you
I don't
feel like that's the W, and we're just saying it's not, and so it's like.
Yeah, you're just like
you're like okay, and that's the end, and then I'm saying okay, but this means so there's a further conversation after you have that. That's not like the end of the conversation. You know what I'm saying?
From my perspective as a science teacher, had a student presented that to me as their evidence, my response would be, I'm sorry, that is a singular claim. This needs to actually be demonstrated. Just having a singular instance of something, either side, if it was just a singular piece of evidence on the side of prayer doesn't work, I would have the same exact argument. It's one point, that's not relevant. You need to have a statistically relevant amount of evidence. A singular example doesn't prove it. Here's why. So the kid got better after he went to church. Cool. Is that a case of remission, or the disease or the body just recovering on its own? We have instances of that. Or is it an actual example of prayer? To do that, we would need to have numerous studies on this and numerous examples of it happening. Once is a coincidence, twice is an interesting amount, 100 times is more likely to be true.
So induction is what makes something true.
Okay, it's called Occam's razor. When you have two
I understand Occam's razor
claims that each are likely to be true, that each are using the same evidence, the one that requires the least amount of assumptions is most likely to be true. In this case, we have prayer not working because we have actually a huge amount of evidence, a singular claim of it working. And like I said, in order for something to actually be demonstrated, we have to prove it. Something like penicillin wasn't adopted as an actual thing until we had enough studies showing that penicillin worked as an antibiotic. And now antibiotics are incredibly popular and very useful. I'm taking one right now for an illness I have.
Vaccines are a great example too.
Yeah, vaccines as well. It wasn't just a singular case. In order for vaccines to be widely done, we had to have a huge amount of tests on it. We don't just accept it off of a singular instance. That is not evidence at all. That is possibly evidence. Now, if you had presented 5 or 6 different cases of the exact same thing happening in different areas that aren't, from different types of sources, then we could start looking at it going, okay, that's interesting. Let's look into it. One source doesn't mean anything.
But also, those 6 would be like, okay, that's a pretty compelling claim. Now let's study it and see if there's truth to it. And then when we have these big metadata studies on prayer specifically, it turns out there's no statistical relevance whatsoever, and that these are just correlative to those people's beliefs. Like they want that to be true. They see this turnaround. It's statistically unlikely to happen, and then they attribute it to faith, and then it isn't, because we don't see that happen. We see people with non-faith get healed at the same rates as other people in what we would consider miraculous, but they're just really just statistically low circumstances.
Another fun fact, too, is when actually we do studies into prayer for healing, when you tell someone people are praying for them, we actually find evidence that shows that they actually recover slower because they think
there's
someone
a pressure amount. Is that?
Yeah, it's partially pressure.
That's interesting. You're just intuiting that's the opposite, even though the studies showed that you're wrong.
Other studies that suggest otherwise.
Oh, okay.
I'm not utilizing induction for my way of attaining truth here, so.
So I think the way you speak to people is also not helpful towards building a worldview.
Okay. I mean,
Like not your tone or whatever, although that doesn't help. I mean, like
I'm not basing
I-
science as my epistemology here. Like
did you
that's
hear
not
yourself?
what I'm
Like
doing.
I understand what you're doing. Like we took philosophy, but you gotta like let it deteriorate a little bit, and also talk to people. Like
Philosophy is a nice way to think about
Yeah.
things. To actually demonstrate something's real, you need to have solid.
we both come from
evidence for it.
education backgrounds, and so it's like about communication as well. So
So
you're not
in order
like
to
I
demonstrate
understand.
that something's real or true, would logic not fall into that category of it? It's not physically provable, but yet we utilize
you
it
already
as true.
acknowledge that that you're ultimately it's a presupposition, and you're trying to work backwards. So
No,
I
I'm
mean, it's
utilizing modus ponens to justify it. I mean, I'm utilizing the impossibility to the contrary. Yeah, modus ponens.
Uh,
A big word for you, Jake? Like consequent?
yeah, it's huge. Consequent, actually.
So just trying to say, oh, this is the only thing. We can't think of a possible other option doesn't show it's true. Like
Right.
I'm not going to sit here. I personally do not believe a deity exists, but I'm not
Okay.
going to say it's impossible.
Yeah.
But it's highly unlikely. I do not see evidence for it. I'm open for evidence to be presented, but I'm not going to sit here and say it's completely impossible no matter what.
I like to take it one step further and go a little bit the other way and say, given what we know, it is impossible until further notice. Like
I mean,
it is-
Okay, what evidence would suggest, or what evidence would prove God's existence? I asked Jake this, you couldn't really give me an answer, so I'll ask you. Like, just simply,
Well,
evidence
I gave you
would prove
so
God's
many
existence?
answers, actually. But that's
Jesus.
okay. I
So-
want to hear Dagresh's too.
Things, first of all, if a deity exists, they would know the exact evidence needed to prove that they exist to my level of standard.
True.
That would
Yes,
be one
emotional.
thing.
That's
No,
emotional.
But no.
Wait,
It's
what?
completely
It's not.
emotional. It's an emotional
So-
Wait,
appeal.
no, it's a description of omniscience.
Yeah.
It's a description
I'm
of
just-
omniscience, but as a standard of evidence, it's completely emotional. So,
No, it's
yeah.
No, it is not.
No,
it's
it
not
is.
actually. It's not emotional. Because
It
I'm
is
simply
emotional.
stating that if a deity does exist, that deity, first of all, would know exactly what evidence is required to demonstrate I exist. The other
Yeah,
problem
it's an-
is
It's a Dylan
Whenever
Hunty
we-
dodge. It's emotional. But sorry, continue.
it's not a dodge. It's
Yeah.
legitimately just stating that
Do you wanna
if you have an
hear?
all-powerful and all-knowing God, then in order for me to, they would know what's needed for me to prove to exist. So I'm simply stating right there. First of all, if a God exists, that would be something that would be easy for that God to prove. The other thing I would be looking for is evidence that we see in the universe. When we look at anything in the universe, it points towards, first of all, we have the Big Bang that evidence points towards. We see the cosmic microwave background radiation. Evidence goes to us having a universe that has been constantly expanding under its own laws of physics. It does not require a deity to be there. If a God exists, we would see some evidence in this that it's required. But anytime we look at things and study things like evolution, that we study things like how planets form, how anything forms, we do not see any supernatural needing. So that is why I personally don't think one exists. In order for a God to be demonstrated, that would need to be shown to be there. A deity would have to be demonstrated as
What would-
required.
I asked Jake this as well. What would that look like? You said it's supernatural. What makes something supernatural?
Something that's beyond our realm to test.
Something that's beyond our realm to test, so that would mean logic is supernatural?
No, we can
No?
logic our way through things.
We can
I
logic
gi-
our way through things.
Yes.
Okay, so how do we come to the conclusions about the laws of logic being true? Did we just find physical evidence of it just being the case?
Logic
laws
is
of logic-
reliable.
Yeah, it's reliable.
Yeah, what makes it reliable, Jake?
The fact that
Joker
can-
moment, Jesus Christ.
What makes
I
it
know.
reliable, Jake?
Yeah, I think you need to. just
Oh, man,
take some
Joker left.
Ritalin.
No, I want to know what makes it reliable. What makes logic reliable?
Because you can test and retest its viability.
You
in
can
every
test
situation.
logic. Please show me where you test logic. I'm going to put it under a microscope.
so okay,
I don't
so
know
you're
why
saying
this
under a
is,
microscope.
why is that your? You said that twice. Like that's your NPC
I
like
said that
response
twice
to
now
that.
because you
Who's
keep saying
taught
we
you
can
to
test
say this?
logic. Let's test logic. Where is
Here's-
it? I want
okay.
to touch it and put it under a microscope. I want to test it.
That's not what
Here's the
testing
fun
means.
fact. We cannot touch the Big Bang, but we can test and prove that it was the most likely reason for
Category
the universe
error.
being the way it is. We
Category
cannot.
error.
How's it category error?
Because we're describing something metaphysical like logic to something contingent and physical like the Big Bang, which we can't observe.
But
It's a physical thing, unlike
We
logic.
can observe the effects of it, but have you ever actually seen a Big Bang happen?
And this is literally based upon observation of the effects of the Big Bang, which again, the Big Bang is a physical, empirical property, while logic is not.
We can
I don't
test the
think
effects
logic
of
is
logic.
metaphysical.
How do we
Logic is
test the
literal-
effects of logic?
Logic is a
Dude,
mental
how?
process
It's okay that if
and
logic
a
is just a
property of
mental
the universe external of you.
it's a mental property. It's a mental process while
So
also
the way you
being
talk about it is a
external
mental
thing of the
process,
universe.
and then when you further extrapolate out, when you're like, oh, but stuff works when no humans are there, and you say it works logically because you can conceive of it working logically, like balls will still fall and stuff like that. Those are physical properties of the universe based on physics. So you're appealing to two different things. I know like I keep telling
I'm not
you.
appealing to two different things.
It is.
Oh, wow, dude.
It is when you get down to
The laws of logic remain substantially true,
The
regardless
laws
of
of
human minds.
logic.
They're not contingent on human minds.
The laws of logic are contingent on the properties of the universe maintaining logic's existence. Like it only exists within this space because this is the space we exhibited in.
So there exists a world where there is no logic.
No, there is
No.
conceivably a universe outside of our own that has different properties which allow things like contradictions or things you would think are illogical to exist.
Yeah, you mind that's just kind of like a whataboutism. It's not necessarily.
It's not.
proven.
I don't. This is
It
like
is.
you're just getting like theoretical physics, I guess. I don't know. You just don't really.
There's
you still-
theoretical physics and there's the nature of logic, dude. And you keep
The
trying to
nature
say
of
that
logic is contingent
You're
on
trying
our
to say
fuck-
that physics is
can't-
ontologically dependent on logic.
It's dependent on
Oh, no,
our
I'm sorry, you're
universe
saying
in
that-
which we it only exists within the universe that you're talking about. We don't know if it exists outside of it, and it probably
Okay,
doesn't
cool.
because like one would expect that outside the universe matter doesn't work in a way that we would consider logical anymore because it would be outside. I mean, unless the universe expands with you or any physical. I don't know how it works, so I don't.
And here's the
It's
fun thing about
fascinating.
alternate universes.
Why are you even arguing against it then if you don't know how it works? It's just that
You don't know
the
how
whole
it
thing
works.
no, the whole thing about makes
You don't know
logic
how it works. What
true
created
is that it has
God?
The impossibility
What created-
to the contrary.
What created God?
It's a silly question, man. It's an uncreated being.
Is it? It's
presupposition
an
to it.
uncreated being. So explain how
Yeah.
that comes to be.
How does it come to
Explain
be?
the process of being universally like all existent forever, omni-existent. Explain
It
that.
would be. It's a part of God's nature. Like
That's
even
not
if
describing it. You're now we're
you're
doing what
in the
makes.
middle of speaking about this. If we're going off of the definition of God, he cannot be contingent on time or space. Otherwise,
Cthulhu.
God is limited. Therefore,
This is
God
just
has to be
Azathoth.
outside of logic, like time and space, based on the
Azathoth.
logic of God's character. Simple as that.
Okay, so it's an illogical thing.
It's illogical. How?
It's illogical.
It's illogical.
Yes, you didn't use any logic
I did. I literally utilized the impossibility to the contrary. The logical, like
to say it's the logical likelihood. Is that what you just said?
the logical possibility to the contrary. There is no way
So
God. Can
there's an
exist
equal
beyond that.
logical possibility that Cthulhu exists outside of time space and does all of this, or Azathoth, the
Right, we're
dreaming
just
god.
Cthulhu is God. Okay, yeah, that helps
No,
my point. more.
Azathoth would be the dreaming god in which we exist within a figment of its imagination.
Yeah, uh-huh.
And
It's
until
like
until it wakes up,
like,
and then we all
you know,
just pop out of
space
existence
whale,
because we only exist in a dream space.
Space
So,
whale.
like, no,
Here's
but
my
I mean,
big
like we
problem.
have, it's the exact same claim. It's like not even different. I could have that.
Yeah.
I can have the exact same. It's the same validity. I'm just claiming something illogically supernatural outside of like.
You're
stuff.
not though, because the whole
I
thing is
am.
the
It's no
physical
different.
entity of God. If you're talking about the metaphysical entity of God, he would not necessarily be. Yeah, or Azathoth. Doesn't matter what pronoun we want to use. If you're
I agree,
utilizing
because it
you can, however, if they meet a certain criteria in which they are a maximally great being,
that
it's
you
God.
determine. So you determine that criteria.
I don't determine that criteria. It's they match
Sure,
it.
you do.
If they have
Because
if they
when you
it's a
describe
part of their
maximally-
ontological character, then it's absolutely then God. If they're maximally great. Like,
When you
I
describe
seriously
maximal
don't get how you
greatness
don't
and
get
then
this.
you describe God to me, you don't describe maximal greatness. So I agree, your
Okay,
God doesn't exist.
Okay, you want me to clarify what maximally great means, or maximally great being is? Because if he's maximally great, he would possess, being all loving, all knowing, and all powerful.
Well, all
That's what
loving,
makes
but you
him
said
God.
genocide. So genocide is loving.
Well, can you demonstrate how exactly genocide? Or actually, no. Better yet, is
Genocide is a loving act.
I'm trying to wrap my head around like how exactly would genocide be wrong in your view? It would not be loving that. Let's bite the
you're
bullet
the-
on it. How would it not be loving?
How about we just say I converted? I'm a Christian. How is God all loving and allows genocide?
How is God all loving and allows a genocide? I mean, if you look
Maximally
into-
so. Maximally loving, but allows genocide.
If you look into biblical scriptures, he gave the Canaanites and Amalekites all these chances to repent and not to,
So that's love.
sacrifice
So-
fucking babies.
So
Yeah,
he
it's
gave them
loving if you
chances, and
do
then
both.
what happened?
Yeah.
They ran out of time. Why? Did God run out of
He
patience?
didn't run out of time. He got tired of waiting, and he's like,
Oh,
I'm
God
done waiting.
got tired? That doesn't sound maximally great to me.
Of course you're gonna nitpick. I'm asking exactly.
I'm not nitpicking. I'm using
Yeah,
your
you
language.
are. I'm
So every
simply
time
trying to emphasize
my
that
claim
God
was when you
wanted
describe
it
God,
just
you make him not maximally great. So based on your logical argument that you are describing, if you can describe something maximally great, then it exists. Fine. Okay. Every time you describe him, it's not maximally great. You cannot describe something maximally great. So therefore, it's an illogical thing. So therefore, it is wrong. You are wrong. You are not describing something maximally great.
Because
you are describing something minimally great.
Someone's subjective view is completely contradicting mine.
I think objectively speaking, that's not what maximal greatness is.
Yeah, too bad you can't necessarily define it because it's simply just.
You can't.
I did.
It's your claim. You're the one that can't do it.
I did.
I'm fine.
I did describe maximally great.
You didn't do a good job because when you described it, you failed to describe something maximally great. So your flaw is that you think you can do it, but you can't. Do we have another person?
Yo, why are you running from me? It's so cute.
Why am I running from you?
Oh, sorry,
You did that. I've been here for 3 hours. I'm staying. I'm not running. I mean, you're the one that doesn't want to show your face to your words, man. You already said it.
All right. So what? We're gonna pull
Okay,
up,
so why are you running?
On God, I love water again.
Again?
Another question.
Hell yeah. Bring back the Zionist.
Are you a Zionist?
I am.
Oh Lord.
So I have a question. Okay.
You're a Zionist and an atheist?
Yes. Zionist and atheist.
You're a Zionist and an atheist? Okay, you're a fucking idiot. But go ahead and say your question.
Okay. So this was mainly pointed towards APC.
Sorry. I'm agreeing with this hyper theological.
I know you hate it, Jake. I know you hate Jake. Well, I'm sure we'll have a talk about it.
It's definitely fascist to carry out apartheid.
So when we look at the Bible, Genesis, right, the very first part of the Bible, it talks about the creation of the universe, describing how he created Earth, light, humans, animals, and all that stuff. What are the dinosaurs and all that? Because when we look at archaeological evidence, right, dinosaurs existed long before humans did. Sea creatures existed long before humans did. And when you look at the Bible, they existed at the same exact time. Even though we look at archaeology, they did not exist at the same exact time. So how on earth does a T-Rex exist in the Bible while Adam and Eve are still there?
It's just an argument from silence.
It's literally in your Bible. Like,
silence.
So the Bible doesn't talk about it. That's the argument. So you're saying because the Bible doesn't mention dinosaurs.
It's like I'm saying that. Yeah.
So how do you account for their existence if the Bible doesn't mention dinosaurs? That's the question.
No. Hold on. I'm sorry. Let's assume that animals mean dinosaurs, right?
Sure.
Even then, how can dinosaurs and humans exist at the same time? Because archaeologically, that doesn't exist. That doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen.
Right. So you should use this logic elsewhere. So the sorry, my chat's throwing fucking meatballs. The dinosaurs. What do you believe about them, ACC?
Yeah, I think they're real. I mean, I'm not going to argue against dinosaurs. Something existed that looked like this, so probably existed.
Okay,
that's my take.
And how do you account for it?
In the Bible, it's just an argument from silence.
No, I mean, how do you account for it? I'm just asking.
How do I account for dinosaurs?
Yeah, like what do you think is going on there?
I don't know, dude. Fucking
what are dinosaurs?
Reptiles? You asked me what are dinosaurs, I answered.
They're not actually reptiles. It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, they're more like birds. But the whole thing I'm wondering is just like, I don't see how this is a big critique. It's just an argument for silence.
It's not a critique. I was just interested. I don't know why you're upset.
No, not against you. I'm saying for water. It's a question that's supposed to be a critique. Is it not?
Like, I think it's conspicuous that the Bible doesn't mention dinosaurs for sure. Maybe not. Maybe you don't think it is. Why?
Yeah,
they don't describe anything like that. They describe things that are contemporary to what we would expect 3,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 1,000, etc.
Okay, like I don't necessarily see. I don't understand how an argument from silence is like amazing.
No. I'm asking what you think. It's not an argument. I'm asking you a question, and you're just like defensive. Like, so like you just think that God created dinosaurs early, didn't mention that there's something different. Like so you agree with the evolutionary time scale of the Earth?
To some extent, yeah, I would. I don't
to some extent. So you
I don't think it's absolutely true.
What do you mean it's absolutely true? What is?
I don't think it's absolutely true.
In what way is it untrue?
I'm not saying it's untrue. It could possibly be false. It could be falsified. Like, I mean, that's how it was with. I mean, that's how it was with the recently, like the earliest ancestor for human beings was the Australopithecus afarensis, and recently we discovered that no, there's actually an earlier ancestor of the Australopithecus afarensis.
Well,
So,
of
or
course it's
actually,
going to be.
it's somewhat right. So, it can't necessitate that I should base all my beliefs of science if my information could be could be falsified in like 2 weeks.
I don't know.
Sure, hold on.
So you're like just flimsy on evolution?
I mean, I think it's valid within its own scientific framework, but personally,
It's just true,
epistemologically,
right?
I don't think
It's true in the same way that
true.
like the laws of
It's
gravity
not true.
are true.
It's actually true.
It's true. It's true in the same way. Like it's true that like in the same way that we prove the other processes of things work, right? Like because we can test and retest it, and it keeps being true. Like we would expect something, and then it keeps lining up with our expectation of how evolution works, and we keep seeing the shared common traits. We keep seeing the different selection pressures. We keep seeing the different sort of like life strategies that evolve over time, and we can just watch it, and it's just so consistent. It's very elegant stuff. I mean, you could take credit for it with your God, but I think it calls into question your Garden of Eden shit from earlier, because obviously it means that there weren't just two. It means that there were like, it's just a speciation of animals over time, and once we gained frontal lobes, we stopped being like apes. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like 300,000 years ago, 450.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I get your point, dude. I get what the science says about dinosaurs and
Right.
evolution.
Okay.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So, but then you said, God damn it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting donut. So this fucks up Garden of Eden, though. Why do you think the Garden of Eden is significant then?
I don't necessarily.
Because you brought it up earlier.
It's supposed to represent why the world is imperfect. Why?
So it's a metaphor.
Yeah. To some, it's holistic.
Okay,
It's supposed to be
I'm fine with it being a metaphor, because I agree it's a metaphor because it's obviously a literary tool
retelling of how the world came to be. It's not like, for example, you know how it says, "Oh, God created the world in this day, then He created the sun." How could there be a day if there's no sun, right? So it's obviously holistic based upon that.
Obviously, because it would contradict itself if it was actually true, right?
Right. So it has to be holistic. I'm not a fucking younger creationist.
Right. I'm not saying you are. I don't know why you're mad. So like
because you have made all these insinuations throughout all tonight that I'm some sort of young Earth creationist fucking
No,
wacko.
I haven't.
Yeah.
You are a wacko, but not for that reason. So we have talked about this a lot, and I mean, I'm just curious about it, and it's obvious that you don't have a whole worldview. So you have a lot of holes in it. Yeah, there's a little homonym for you. So like when you have no actual Garden of Eden, then you don't have original sin, which means then you don't need to worry about Jesus, and Jesus is irrelevant. You don't need his sacrifice to cleanse you. Because sin wasn't introduced into the world in the Garden of Eden.
I'm not saying that it's all like made up. I'm saying that there was a point in time.
So now you're cherry picking.
Rebelled against God. I'm not cherry picking. Jeez,
you are. So you're saying that the beginning is metaphorical, the day section is metaphorical, but in the same thing, it's not a different book. It's right there. It's like literally the next lines down. It talks about creation and Adam, which, by the way, people are created twice. And then there's also another, the Lilith book. Have you ever read Lilith? It came out before this, where he had a different wife. But don't worry about that. She creates wet dreams. But like
it's a Ptolemaic like myth.
It's not a myth. It was just something that you discarded with your group.
It's myth. It's from the Talmud. It's not part of biblical canon.
You can call it that, but like that's fine. So there's lots of stuff that you kept that cross over between those two texts. Agree?
No, there is church fathers who would agree with me that there's some aspects of Genesis that should be taken holistically and other aspects that shouldn't.
Right, because they contradict reality, and so you cherry pick which ones are holistic and which ones aren't. I agree. Is there any more questions?
Right, I'm cherry picking.
That's literally what cherry picking is. You're choosing which ones you are interpreting as holistic. No, it's not. So anytime I see a contradiction, you see a holistic part of the Bible. Very convenient.
Not really. What I'm simply arguing.
Yeah.
No, it's not really that.
It literally is.
Not really.
Whine more. It'll help. Maybe we'll all be like, oh well, he whined a lot.
Not really.
He whined a lot. He must be fucking right. This guy seems happy. Seems whiny. All right.
I mean, you still can't prove why logic's universally true. So
it's logic is just I just don't know why. Never mind. You're not listening. It's fine.
Well, I'm not. Hold on, really quick. Just between you two. Thank you again for asking the question, Mace. Thank you for asking me a second question, or letting me ask a second question. I'll be out. Peace.
So before I add anybody up onto the stage, I'm gonna ask a couple questions that were asked in chat. This wasn't directed at anybody, but I guess I'll just ask both of you because I feel like Jake's answer will be easier to understand, and then ACC's will be more nuanced. So, how old is the world, and do you believe
4.5-ish billion? Yes. 4.5-ish billion, yes.
Okay. ACC.
I can expand on why.
Well, let's get ACC's response, and then we can, if we wanted to, we can go in deep.
Probably a couple billion. Probably.
Why do you say probably a couple billion?
Because it could be falsified. I gave you an example of how information can be falsified. So, like,
well, so all the evidence we have though is corroborating towards 4.5-ish billion years.
yeah,
So I just don't know why you're 4.543 billion is like every time we date anything, that's what we get.
Holy shit! It's simply that I don't hold this point that the Earth is billions of years old as completely unfalsifiable and infallible information like you do.
Well,
I don't do that.
I mean, it's just the
that's
the
my
collection
point.
of all the measurements and all of the collection of human knowledge points to that. So yeah, I guess I just
Same thing with the Australopithecus afarensis until we found another hominid. So yeah, dude,
I don't know.
same thing.
That doesn't disapprove it. It just continues to.
It doesn't.
I don't understand.
It proves the idea that we came distinctly just from Australopithecus afarensis. When that's not true. We have other ancestors around.
You don't understand what you're saying.
It could be falsified.
No, you don't understand. You don't understand what you're saying. So
okay,
you don't understand the mechanisms of evolution, and that's okay. So of course, Australopithecus afarensis has a common ancestor because that's how evolution works. It doesn't just pop out of somewhere and then humans.
Oh my god, I'm referring that Australopithecus afarensis, and we have the other hominid. We have these two hominids, and they're both.
We knew we had multiple hominids down the line.
No, we didn't. We only knew the earliest hominid. The earliest hominid was the Australopithecus afarensis. It was the only one we knew.
So that's the only physical evidence of the hominid we had, but we had the suspicion that there were other hominids that we shared common ancestry with, and it's true. We also had there was other Homo erectus species. There's Neanderthals. Like we split off, and then now we're the only ones. And we have their shared DNA.
Your corroborating evidence says otherwise. That we didn't. We only had this one ancestor for the time being. Until guess what?
Not the DNA evidence though. So we were looking for physical evidence of what we suspected was out there. So you're just misunderstanding what the path of science is. Like
right. I'm misunderstanding the path of science.
Yeah, you are. So you're like we were pretty sure that like we would find this, and we were very happy to. I say we. I'm not a fucking anthropologist, but I did study some of it. I had a really cool anthropology course. You ever heard of Mohenjo-Daro? Pretty sick stuff. So predates the civilization in the biblical core, which is very interesting. The Indus River Valley by about 4,000 years. Pretty fucking sick. Anyway, no. Indus River Valley is Pakistan, India area. It was a flood zone for a while, and then it had sort of migration out of that when those riverbeds dried up due to just climate changing over time, different erosions and stuff. And then they moved south, and then it created modern sort of like Hinduism. We see a lot of roots from it. It's really cool. 10,000-year-old civilization. They call it the city of children because they didn't find any weapons. Pretty dope. So anyway, I'm just saying like, and they believe in it, and they believe obviously not in your creation story, and they're older, so they have older actual physical roots. They have older religions, like the Rig Vedas and stuff are much older than the Bibles. And they have like oral traditions that predate even the written stuff that they still sing and stuff and still chant like stuff they don't even like really know they know the words to it, but like it's interpreted over time. Like it's almost in proto, like some of the ancient songs that they have resemble bird song in structure.
That's cool, I guess.
It is cool. Well, and so what I'm saying is like you have a very like Mesopotamia, Indus or Tigris Euphrates, Abrahamic centric idea of how human history works, and so that's where your skepticism lies in like the claims of 4.5 billion year old Earth, because like you have only like one reference point, but like there's civilizations that are earlier and contemporary with what you got going on that have different things that are still persistent to this day, and that if you were geographically born over there, you'd be making stupid arguments about how like Shiva is the fucking destroyer god. We need to be one god. You would argue against monotheism so fervently. It's stupid. Of course it can't be a perfect god. In unison they find perfection.
Not really. I mean, there's plenty of arguments against polytheism. I mean, like if you look into basic theology.
Yeah, I also disagree with polytheism. I disagree with monotheism for the same reason. It's illogical.
So glad you went on a great tangent. It's fucking great.
Well, I mean, I just was describing to you why I believe in evidence and stuff. It was interesting, and I was entertaining people. So do you have any more questions from the audience? I'm interested. Unless someone wants to talk about evolution specifically, why it's real and true.
Okay, I have an idea, right? So
I know lots about stuff.
I have one more question from specifically from the chat, and then I'm going to pull two people up here. One person that has seemed to be more pro on Jake's side, and one person that has seemed to be more pro on ACC's side. We're going to bring up the Argish and Rise Gunner after I ask you the questions. So you're both going to get a little help in trying to understand each other and argue for each other, or against each other. So this question it wasn't anything really specific, but I was asked to ask ACC about evidence of Muhammad claiming to be God.
I don't think if I did say that, I misspoke. I'm going to clarify now. He did not claim that.
Okay.
I don't think Muhammad actually claimed to be God. Simple as that.
Yeah, so that was that question. We're going to pull
Oh,
Dardish
hard question. What a hard question.
and Rise Gunner.
All right. Hold on. Let me exit my Rocket League game. I bet.
This is
All right,
tracking.
I'm ready. You guys can do your thing.
Okay, for this, I'm gonna go ahead and give Dargish a chance to speak because they were getting a little frustrated with what ACC was saying in chat. So, Dargish, just go ahead and start off this little conversation.
Okay, so one thing I've noticed is it seems like you're getting upset that science changes when new evidence is observed. That's what I'm observing from what you're saying. Am I correct to say that? You're saying that we can't trust science because it changes?
I have not stated that we can't trust science. I'm utilizing that science cannot be used as a basis for epistemology for having true belief.
But science never makes a claim of absolute evidence. Science is always saying this is our
Right.
best understanding.
Right, which is why I don't base my belief system around just science.
So you go off of things that don't actually follow evidence and are unable to change because they don't follow evidence?
It's not a matter of like evidence or not. It's a matter of the methodology that's applied.
So the epistemology that we would have then would be like evidence based. I don't even know what you would call it. Do we have a title for the epistemological materialist worldview? Like you look for evidence, and so is it just materialism? Does that say that we look for evidence?
Epistemology about how the world is. So that's simple.
So I have a question for you to see where you say on it. Whenever, let's say we look at something like evolution, how does science determine what we believe is the best understanding of it? What do you think science does to determine what our best understanding is?
They go based off observations they have on hand. I think that's how they do it. I mean, if you want to look into neo-Darwinist thought, they have all sorts of branching ideas of how evolution occurred. There's this one, I think it's called, they believe that certain cells had a purpose to actually form, but it's not based on God. I forgot who wrote about it. But there's
the way science,
like stem cells?
the way science actually
even
works for determining something is you have to have evidence and more than just observation. So in order for us to actually say evolution can occur, we have to observe evolution able to occur. Natural selection, things changing. Are you aware of the fruit fly experiment that we've done and the
E. coli experiment? I mean,
can you explain the fruit fly experiment?
Yeah, I would love to. So we took a population of fruit flies, and fruit flies are very useful to demonstrate evolution because they breed rapidly. Because evolution happens to a population over a long over generations. So what they did is they took a population of fruit flies and they put them into two separate enclosures. They started with the same group, two separate populations from that are exactly the same except for food supply. The original control group had food that they normally eat. The other group had food that they can't really eat at all. And they gave them many generations to go. I forget how long they went, but fruit flies have a generation time of like weeks at most. So it didn't really take long, maybe
Super
a couple
fast.
of years at most.
You see this in lots of other animals too. It's super interesting. This stuff's so cool.
And what they then found out is that after many generations, the fruit flies in the new enclosure that had the exact same everything except for the food thrive on that food and that food alone. So they
Sorry. My apologies. Can you repeat that just one more time? You cut off on my side.
Okay. So what they did is they found out after many generations that the fruit flies in the experiment group, where they changed the food supply, could only eat that food supply and could digest it very well after many generations. So they put fruit fly B back with the original, and they found out that now fruit fly B will not mate with fruit fly A. This is a speciation event. Yeah. And now, because those two will no longer mate and have offspring, whatever happens to fruit fly B will never happen to fruit fly A. We now have a new species of fruit fly. So this is a short experiment done in terms of history of life, but it demonstrates that change does happen and results in new species. So if we were to then
I would say that's a micro experiment to macroevolution to prove macroevolution.
Yeah, because you need it to change like form, right? Before you're like really impressed by it, you needed to change.
That's what I want to know. So in terms of evolution, okay, hold on, give me 1 second.
Okay,
So in terms of evolution, I want to know when that fruit fly became a completely different animal, when it became a dog, when it became a mouse, when it became a roly-poly, something.
Okay,
something.
so now you're arguing a false
For macro
version of
evolution.
There is no
it's
difference
not.
between micro and macro in evolution.
Okay, why not?
And because there isn't really much of the change in species you're asking doesn't technically ever happen. So
So then us coming from chimps that never actually happened because we didn't
come from chimps.
Correct.
We are related
we didn't come
to
from
chimps.
chimps. We have
Okay, so then we came from fish.
Forensics.
Yes, we came from fish too, but yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, we came
are
from
technically
fish. We
still
came from
fish.
a common ancestor, and some other people say we came from chimps.
Well, yeah.
So which one is it?
It's all of
We are
those.
we are technically
It's all of us.
So
Okay, cool.
hold on.
It is cool.
With phylogeny, you never outgrow what you originally were. So that means we technically are still fish because we came from essentially fish.
But we carry the
that
water
is-
with us now, and we have to respirate with it. We need water to respirate the same as a fish. We just carry it in a different way, and we've evolved to do so, which is very fascinating, and it's way cooler than you're giving it credit for. But
I'm not going to say it's not
billions.
Cool. It sounds cool.
But the change you're asking for doesn't happen in the time frame that we're saying speciation does.
Yeah.
Speciation is not change of like physical form necessarily. It could change. You could speciate into different colors. Often you see that Lake Victoria cichlids are a very good example of the kind of change you're looking for, where they physically start to look very different based on their environments because they speciate very quickly because
they don't become fish anymore.
Generations. No, listen, they become different kinds of fish. If you took 65 billion years, there are some fish right now that are transitioning out from being fish. Mudkippers are a great example of like the I can't remember. Oh, now I can't remember our ancestor, the big wide boy that climbed out into the mud. The first one. Why can't I think of
Tiktaalik?
Tiktaalik, yes.
That's
So
one
it's
of my
very
favorite ones to use.
Tiktaalik-like. Yeah. So we're seeing a very similar phase in mudkippers and other things. Tiktaalik, yes.
Tiktaalik. Thank you.
Yeah, this is an ancient. This is the thing that moved from the water to the land, which is a very rigorous process that took a long time. And other creatures we tried to do that and died. The dragonfly is a very successful version of
another
this.
cool thing too, really quick. The Tiktaalik is another example of how science actually works, because you're saying right here that it's just observation. The Tiktaalik was only discovered thanks to our understanding of evolution. This is why I use it as an example when I'm teaching my students. It's a beautiful example because what we did is we knew that, I forget off the top of my head right now. I usually prepare like a couple week advance when I teach my students. So I don't have
just before you finish that sentence, we're using 1, 2, maybe 3 examples to prove that something existed. And earlier, when I gave multiple examples to prove that Jesus existed, somehow that just doesn't fit anymore.
We found more than 3 examples of
If you got
Tiktaalik.
multiple Jesus
Jake,
bones,
maybe Jake, say that again because I think you talked way too loud for your mic to pick that up.
did I? Oh, I could hear myself. Maybe for Discord. But do you have his bones?
No, which is proof of the resurrection.
We have several.
What happened?
bones.
What happened to Jesus?
Hold on.
Wait, his bones went to heaven?
Can I finish my statement?
Yeah.
Yes, please. Sorry.
Okay, so first off, we have found over 60 examples of Tiktaalik in various states, but also the way Tiktaalik was found, and it was discovered in 2004, is we made a prediction that based on what we understand of evolution, there should be a specific species with features that are too fish-like to not be a fish, but too amphibian-like to not be an amphibian at a certain age range. I forget off the top of my head the about 370-ish million years, approximately.
Like 400 million or something like that.
Yeah. And we predicted that if we predicted the approximate area, we could find it as well. Yeah, so we went out to the area we predicted it. We dug down to the approximate layer, and then we discovered it. This is evidence that evolution can be relied upon because we predicted based on what we have seen throughout the fossil record.
No, but this happens all the time. It's not just.
So I want to know.
What you thought wasn't that impressive, but it really is.
No, I said it was impressive. I said it's impressive.
What about the E. coli experiment?
Now, I just want to know also. I also want to know if we came from a common ancestor. And it takes millions upon millions of years for us to go from one common ancestor, i.e. some people say chimps, some people say fishes, some people say other stuff.
No, we share a common ancestor with
generations.
Sure. In the process, there should be stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. And there should be some successively behind it evolving into said humans. Where are those said process of humans?
Yeah, like Australopithecus.
They should still exist if they are currently changing to to being
they went extinct.
humans.
They went
He-
extinct
here's-
or speciated.
Convenient, huh? Very convenient.
No, not
actually,
convenient. That's just how
not
evolution
convenient.
works. Some things go extinct when the selection pressure is too hot.
Are we not gonna talk about
For
the
instance,
experiment?
Neanderthal, which we know existed like fucking 10,000 years ago, maybe. And so, like at the latest, and so like I mean, it's just like a natural course of events. Someday humans will be extinct, and
So here's the thing
now,
too. Also,
evolution's awesome. Like, don't get me wrong. I agree with microevolution. I know you.
I've
what's your
got
name?
It's just a
time scale
Dargish. Microevolution exists. Macro, it's full.
you're just
baloney.
wrong.
not the way
But
to,
in terms of God, what is your guys' best argument that he doesn't exist?
I'm a physical evidence. That's
The,
it. Or my lack of
literally,
physical
I
evidence.
have not been presented evidence to show that a deity exists, and all
Yep.
the evidence that exists does not point to a god needing to exist. Therefore, if you have the same evidence, and you have the evidence pointing towards a not needing to have a god, which is going to require less assumptions than a deity that's all powerful yet somehow can't be shown, Occam's razor says we go with the most likely case of there is not a deity that needs to exist.
So
God
obviously,
is the
I
blame.
believe.
God is,
Now,
well, do you want
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I want to continue something that you were bringing up. The reason why most of our ancestors don't exist is because humans killed them out of existence, and we fucked with them too. We have Neanderthal DNA because we fucked with Neanderthals, and we had kids with them.
Yeah.
So we were already humans.
The humans themselves, so Neanderthals evolved from a common ancestor to humans, and we had a split essentially. And then we were so good at what we did, we were so much better than Neanderthals, we outcompeted them and killed them.
I think part of it is they needed more energy to sustain. They're like kind of like thicker and stuff, and they they're a little less sophisticated probably in the frontals, although not quite as much. But just like we did a few different things agriculturally speaking.
We have better problem solving.
So interesting. Anyway, so like all these things that you see are microevolutionary. It's just like because you can't think on the time scale that we're talking, and you're like, well, that should happen in a week, and it's like it just doesn't happen that way.
And
No,
Okay,
no,
so
no,
are we
you're just
going to
arguing about random ass
now
stuff.
about like the E.
straw
coli
man.
experiment?
Yeah, I'll cover the E. coli experiment. So what happened with
Yeah,
the
where
E.
we had
coli
70,000
experiment-
generations of E. coli in which none of them actually had any real speciation at all.
But
Over
what
the
was
30 years.
happening? Hold on. So what was happening with the E. coli experiment I'm specifically talking about is the one with the antibiotics. Is that the one you're talking about?
I'm thinking of Linsky's.
So I forget who ran this one off the top of my head. But what the experiment was is we put them in an environment where we had more and more antibiotics going through. So you had very low levels of antibiotic in the beginning, and at the very end they had an incredibly high amount that is basically lethal to the E. coli right now. That if you were to take the E. coli and put them in that final level, none would exist. And what they did is they let it run and let the E. coli in there, and they found over time the E. coli slowly were filtering through every single level of it. This is an example of them gaining the ability to be resistant, natural selection. So if we were to then let's go back to the human part. If we were in a similar environment where there's something hostile to us, then those that were able to overcome it would survive, and all of the other species would not have existed. They would have died out.
Okay, so the one I was like thinking about, they adapted to use citrate, was what I know. After around like 30 years, these pieces, I don't know if we're talking about the same experiment because I don't remember reading about antibiotics in it. It was about how what occurred was after 30 years, the E. coli managed to finally, or all it managed to do was lose some, but it managed to gain some mutation, where it was only able to utilize citrate under like oxygen-rich conditions, which the ancestral strain could not do. But it's not evidence of, but it didn't speciate after
same.
30 years. After
It doesn't have to
years upon years,
speciate.
okay.
It doesn't have to. There's lots of times when, like, sharks are a great example. Like 400 million years of like the same form because it's just really efficient, and the selection pressures aren't enough to change it, and they didn't have to change too much to need. Like, it doesn't. Like, you guys are thinking of like evolution as like a Pokemon thing where you just keep leveling up and you get experience points as you exist, and then you just like get to add stuff to your form. And that's just not how it works. It just all it is.
Again.
Yeah, you guys
okay,
have a lot
but like
of-
when you are unimpressed with something not speciating, it says that you think that evolution is a constant process of addition, right?
Constant process of addition.
Do you think that things continue to improve as they evolve? Is that what it is? Like, you think improvement is part of evolution?
I don't know the term's improvement because
What would you say it is? Because I know what it is, but what do you think evolution is? What do you think causes evolution in organisms?
changings of the environment so they could best adapt to that.
which is
Wait, is this the best argument for
no? It's just
existence
amassing.
of no God?
I am just
Evolution.
what? No,
Basically, I don't think they are,
no,
but
I don't.
a lot
What?
of
Evolution's just cool. You guys were just you were the one disagreeing with evolution. Evolution is just one of
You
the
guys
many
brought it
things that
up.
are neat about the
I do
universe. That,
disagree
like,
with evolution. I simply
Yeah,
just
because
don't use it as the basis
if
of my
evo-
epistemology of how I know how things are.
if evolution weren't true, we'd find evidence of whatever other mechanism determines how we work, and then that would be true.
Wow. Yeah,
But evolution is what's true. So
I'm still waiting for the best evidence that there is no God.
the best evidence that there is no God. So you have to prove that you're. I mean, what's the best evidence that there is no Azathoth?
There is no historical evidence for that person, but there's tons of historical evidence for Jesus.
Of Azathoth, there's lots of historical evidence for Azathoth. What are you talking about?
Tell me, how much?
The Dreaming God?
Yeah, how much?
The Dark Lord, Dreaming God of Azathoth? It's a
Are you gonna
well-known
just
God.
repeat the name, or are you gonna give me examples?
Well, you
No, he's trying to pull like a
Yes?
pink elephant or
Okay, so
or,
give me
like,
the
an
examples.
elephant outside.
okay?
Give me the history.
let
Give me the documents.
Okay, Azathoth.
Are you about to chat GPT this
Also,
right now? Seriously?
This comes
No,
back
I have to. I just didn't have my Azathoth documents on me. I'm sorry, sir. You're asking for the documents I must provide.
I'm sorry.
In this
Earlier
intellectual
you said
debate
you've
about
been doing-
Azathoth. Verse
said you've been doing
22
this
of
for
Lovecraft's
15 years.
1929
So-
poetry cycle, Fungi
If you've
from
been doing this for
Yugoth.
15 years.
Listen, no. I'm professing the great word of Azathoth. You.
Sorry, you said you've been
Out
doing
of
this
the-
for 15 years, so I expected you to have it.
Please
off the bat.
listen. Please listen. Out of the
You're
mindless
just
void,
really
the
rude
daemon
about it.
bore me past the bright clusters of dimensioned space.
Are you
Till
just gonna
neither
dodge the
time
question?
nor matter stretched before me, but only chaos.
Why are you reading the poem? I'm asking for
place.
evidence.
That is the evidence.
Why are you
What are you talking
dodging
about?
the
That's my holy
question?
text.
Give me the evidence.
That's the
Here-
holy
Yeah,
text.
I've always
Give me
I've
the
asked
evidence.
these two people for like
That
evidence
is the
of like, what
evidence.
would show
What
God's
is it
existence.
called?
I can't get it.
Verse 22 of Lovecraft's 1929 poem called
almost-
Fungi
How
from
much
Yugoth.
documentation do we have of that?
Bryce.
How much documentation do we have of H.P. Lovecraft's Azathoth? Lots of it. I mean, it's like a bestseller. It's all over the place.
Right.
It's like
Okay,
comparable
his
to the Bible.
historical existence. Comparable
Here-
to the Bible. This guy's
Here is
ridiculous.
one thing that I want to state. That
The Bible is the
common
greatest book
compliment
of
you
all
have-
time.
that you have.
I've read
So
it.
you're
It's
trying
fine.
to say we have
Sorry,
this- what's-
Dargish, just give me just 1 second.
Okay.
Jake, is your best argument to just attack how I sound because you can't give sources?
I literally gave you the source. You sound
One.
crazy, but Azathoth,
One.
the source of Azathoth,
One source. I gave
is
you
the Bible.
I gave
the
you
source?
so many.
Is the Bible the source of your faith?
Do you remember when I came up and I gave you many?
That
Of
was
the
the source
existence
of
of
your-
Jesus.
But yeah, but those aren't existence of Jesus. Those are people talking about the religion.
About who?
Christians.
Oh my God. Okay. Alrighty. So yeah, you just don't.
What
You
was
just don't
Dagarash
want to
gonna
believe when they're going to give
I just
evidence
don't
in your
wanna
face. You're
believe.
just going to go nah.
So the problem with what you're saying too, with saying proof something doesn't exist, is that's not how things work. Proof. If you're trying to make a claim,
Sure,
so
that's
we
a fair
have
argument.
something. What we have is if you're trying to make a positive claim, i.e., an assertion that something exists, you have to prove it. Because if you don't
Yeah.
prove it, then I can simply say I reject your claim, and I don't need to sit here and provide a million bits of proof
Right.
that that's not the
But this
case.
is
Okay,
where
that's a very fair
This is
argument.
where the area of contention occurs because we have different ways of proving things. We don't have to have the same exact way to prove physical things. And we're discussing about metaphysics or how a metaphysical entity like God. We don't need physical evidence to prove God exists if he's a metaphysical
Yeah,
entity. The
no.
category error.
Does it?
Okay,
Does
no.
it? So is it
No,
concerning that we
can
have?
prove that Jesus exists, though.
Is it
and Jesus
concerning that
said
we
he
have
was God.
physical evidence of our claims of the universe and you don't?
We do, but you just deny it. And multiple
Here's the
historians
fun
and scholars don't deny it. So who's the dummy here?
Here's the fun bit. When it
guess you,
comes,
man.
when it
You're
comes to
going
trying to
against
convince
historians
me-
and scholars, my guy.
You're going against scientists and scholars.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you
I'm
are.
agreeing with them.
No, they disagree that God exists. You're wrong.
No, they don't.
There's
Appeal
plenty
to
of times
authority. I would
That is-
guess,
that
because
is not
they're
a
higher than
consensus.
priests or whatever.
That is
It
not
is-
a consensus.
It is a
Jake.
scientific consensus that
No, it's not.
the material
There's so-
Earth. There's no
so
evidence.
many historians,
scientific
scientists,
consensus-
scholars that agree that
scientific-
he exists, and on the other side. So you can't say it's a consensus.
There are
Jake.
definitely no physical evidences that Jesus exists. There are definitely
Okay.
claims.
So
there's physical evidence of logic existing. You're trying to use
Earlier?
logic.
we can
earlier you
I-
said, and this is exactly what Jake said earlier. I want everyone to listen
Exactly.
to this. He
Exactly
said,
what
there would be graffiti of this person. And I presented
Contemporary
Okay.
stuff.
Yeah, let's add
Yeah.
some more words.
I
Alexa
didn't. I
Mino's
said
graffito.
contemporarily, literally in the sentence.
Alexa
Yeah.
Mino's graffito. I presented it to you, and you went. No.
When was that? When was that drawn?
Please just look it up. It's so easy. Alexamenos graffito.
Yeah, when was it drawn?
I mean, I would have talked about how.
Doesn't matter, Jake. Doesn't matter. I
does
gave
matter.
you what you wanted.
What do you
I
mean?
actually, you asked for it, and I gave you what you wanted.
I
and
don't
then you
understand
said,
why you're running away from
"Now
that.
I don't.
It's been estimated to have been made around the year 200 AD.
Come on, 200 years?
So,
And we go back to what I mentioned earlier.
No, when he says contemporary, he means it.
here's the problem.
Thank you.
When the reason why we're wanting something that exists at the same time as him is because 200 years later,
would expect
you don't
it.
have actual proof that the person existed. Let's say I started a rumor today
Same thing with Alexander the
that I
Great.
was. Hold on, I've got a point.
You guys are just.
Let's say
Let him
that
finish.
today I made the claim that I was a god and I got people to believe it. 200 years from now, someone wrote Dargesh was God. That doesn't prove that I was God today.
Okay,
that
that's a
doesn't
fair
have any
argument.
proof.
What
It's
about
proof-
more than 10,000 sources that say the same thing?
And
What
when
about
were they
500? What about just 500?
500 that
So,
say
I have a
that
question.
they're
So
compelled by
if
200 year old evidence.
if eight
How many-
people in
how many
this
Muslims
chat,
are there?
if 8 people in this chat go out of here and say this debate happened, did it actually happen?
Do we have evidence of it existing?
The evidence would be that we filmed it, not that
Yeah,
it
it's
just
filmed-
was
it's filmed.
hearsay.
Actual
talked
Jake has
about-
proof on his channel.
We've talked
Okay,
about
so
this before.
there's documentation.
Yep.
Yeah,
We have actual
contemporary
physical
documentation, not 200 years ago. We're not talking about a podcast that happened 200 years ago.
Yep, we have documentation that happened
about
today. We have
ancient
video
history.
from
real
it.
We
time.
wouldn't appeal to
And-
contemporary accounts because most contemporary accounts are either
Appealed?
destroyed or lost. Yeah, appeal to
So-
contemporary accounts
It's
because
not
majority
an
of
appeal. It's an expectation of evidence. It's just required. It's not an appeal.
Yeah, it's a really lousy standard of expectation.
It's
because
not a
then it
lousy
means
standard.
that-
It's the most stringent.
Because when you have
It is
Alexander
the
the
most-
Great,
I want to say
then
too.
it wouldn't be
It is the
able to
most
exist because there's no
stringent.
contemporary evidence of Alexander the Great existing until 400 years later when people write about him.
But we
true.
actually
So-
have proof.
we
Hold on.
do-
The
The only reason why we know it's from Alexander the Great is because of those 400 years later of those accounts, dude.
Island of
It's
Tyre.
not because
We have proof with the island of Tyre that Alexander the Great built a giant land bridge out there. That is proof that Alexander the Great did that
yeah,
siege.
the only reason, we
Okay,
know
so there's
how
a
we
bridge
built it
named
because of
after
the story came
Alexander.
after
Why do we know?
400 years later. It's not what we saw this bridge is like, oh, this guy Alexander the Great must have done it. We didn't know about it until 400 fucking years later, dude. That's the point.
How do you know it's 400 years? How do you know it's 400 years old?
The account from Alexander the Great
How
because
do you
it's
know?
like
How do you know?
the earliest copy we have is from 400 years
Physical
later.
evidence?
Oh my god.
Which is what I gave
Yeah,
you
I
also, which you
agree.
denied.
So the
which you
way that
denied.
you prove it is with physical evidence.
Which is what I gave you and you still denied. And you're saying
Yeah.
it fits for Alexander, but it doesn't fit for Jesus.
You gave me
So you're
physical
being a
evidence of
hypocrite.
someone writing Jesus down 200 years after you claimed he existed. That's
And then
not.
we
That's
have
like
the same
that's
thing for
Spider-Man
Alexander the
graffiti. That's
So we have the-
Spider-Man. I don't care if Alexander the Great existed. We have contemporary evidence that he
Here-
existed
do
outside
not
of his culture.
Here,
So we
Outside
have
of
the
his culture,
same-
we absolutely do. We have archaeological evidence.
We have the same
archaeological evidence,
for
and we also
Plato.
have societal evidence.
Yeah,
The society evidence we have are we know multiple nations existed after he died because they were from his generals. We have contemporary writings from about that from people in the area.
Yeah, and we have
We
people from
actually
the
have
Gospels as well.
proof.
No, we
From
don't.
7 years.
We
don't.
don't.
We
Question.
don't. Is that right?
Yes.
Matthew, 7 years after Christ's death?
Mhm.
Is that we don't? Matthew, you're just going to make fun of it or you're going to debate against it? 7 years after the death of Christ, Jake.
The thing is, too, we don't just have writings
Yeah,
that
smile-
Alexander the
smile
Great
away.
exists.
Gospel of
We
Matthew's
have
composition
evidence.
70 and 150.
And the earliest documentation manuscripts that we have are from 7 years.
70? No, 70.
7 years. I know you're saying 70.
70. Yes, that's the. I mean, this is what it is.
It's easy to just throw out a claim and have a surface understanding of the Bible, and it's really difficult to take hours upon hours to actually study your claims. I understand why you're an atheist, because it's easy to be an atheist. It's super easy to be like, oh, I don't understand this claim, therefore it's wrong.
It's just Matthew is dated between 70 CE and 150 CE. This is just known.
Yep, I was about to say it's the
It's
contemporary
just
one
not.
we're finding.
You're just not.
All right,
Your
fellas.
claim is wrong. I guess you're just lying. So that's cool. It's whatever. I don't. You're just wrong.
How would we feel about spicing this up even more and adding one more person to this who claims?
Yeah, you could add Morticia. I don't
I
mind.
think you should choose how many people you want in this and make it.
Yeah, it's getting a little
man.
chaotic, dude.
Fair enough. All right.
I honestly,
I don't care if people cycle through. I don't mind.
Right. Okay.
I don't.
I'm gonna ask like
fucking
9 times now.
clusterfuck.
What
So-
evidence
so-
to prove like that exists?
So here's what we'll do. We'll pull the Argish and Rise Gunner out. I feel like we were having it was getting pretty heated, but maybe getting nowhere. But we're gonna go ahead and pull Morticia up here.
Oh boy.
Hello, Morticia. How are you?
Oh, anything?
Nah. Can you hear me?
Stuffed.
Of course, there's always got to be issues.
Well, you also don't have a camera, bro. I'm the only one prepared for this shit ever.
Well, I'm just the moderator, so I'm just sitting here. If I was like in a debate, I would have my webcam on.
You're on here enough, I think. It's all right. It's whatever. It makes it more fucking fun for me to look at.
Rejoined. We'll see if this works.
Hello?
Hello.
Can you guys hear me?
Now. Perfect.
Perfect. My mic was lighting up last time. I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. I'm really down to talk about the historicity of Jesus and the Gospels because that's a very interesting subject to me. As somebody who was going to actually study to be a pastor at one point in time. So, quick question. I know that somebody else was bringing up the whole 7 years afterwards for Matthew. Is that a belief that you hold, ACC? I don't want to be straw manning somebody who just got put back into
it's a belief
chat.
based upon what is it, Eusebius? I think it's based on Eusebius,
Right.
right?
Source material is earlier.
So here are my questions for you. What language were the disciples speaking in?
Probably Aramaic.
Okay, cool. Do you remember what profession most of the disciples held before they followed Jesus?
Tax collector, fisherman.
Okay, so
Just based like
Judas
that.
was a tax collector. Most of them were fishermen. So we're talking about uneducated men, unlearned men, except for
sure.
the tax collector who did the math. So could you explain to me why the source text that we have, the fragmentations that we have that the Bible is constructed from, are mostly in ancient Greek, and how these men who were uneducated learned not, and listen, here's the thing, them learning how to write, I know that it's like, oh, they could have dictated it down and somebody else could have written it for them. When did they have time to learn the Greek?
Well, when we look at the
Within
Greek,
that short period of years?
well, there's different translations of the Bible. It's just speculated that it was originally written in Aramaic, but the later traditions or the later iterations of the Bible in Greek, Hebrew, and other languages are just simple later translations of it. It's like...
So what you're saying is we don't have an original source for the Bible.
No, we don't really have an original source for the Bible, and that's okay because we don't really have an original source for most ancient materials anyway.
So, bringing this all the way back to where I originally started watching this debate, how could something that we don't have an original source text for be considered a good objective base for morality? And earlier you brought up being like holistic, like there are things that are holistic and open to interpretation because there are things that are metaphors and poetry within the Bible.
Yeah.
What benchmark do you have? What benchmark in Christianity is there where everyone agrees on that which is metaphorical and that which is actually the law and the moral standing?
I appeal to church fathers.
So you appeal to somebody else to make your decisions for you?
Not necessarily decisions for me, but I appeal to them for they have better interpretations of the Bible than I would.
So your source is not the Bible, it's subjective men who have also interpreted the Bible by their own subjective benchmark, if I'm following correctly.
Subjective men. I wouldn't necessarily they would be subjective because I'm appealing to the church itself, which is technically
benefit materially from your participation.
Huh?
Do church fathers benefit materially from you participating in church?
Not during the 1,000 years ago until now recently they have when things such as charities no more.
What about
you don't think the church has had
indulgences?
any power over the course of its existence?
They didn't have any power until like the late, I want to say 4th century.
That's
So
cute.
not during the Roman Empire and when the Christianity was important and well, and then so I agree that they committed to. I agree that they contributed to the collapse of Rome
before
in the Dark Ages. But
before Constantine, there was like Christians were persecuted. It was a persecuted religion. Yeah, it was.
But not.
I'm not. I'm a victim. I'm just saying
is
it's a
that
church.
why
I don't know why you're so emotional. Jesus.
is that
Because
why
you're making fun of
Hypatia
me and
was
you're being
skinned
a little
alive
bitch.
by the Christians for
What
being a
did you say?
paganist? I was like, is that why Hypatia was skinned alive using seashells by the Christians for knowing how to do math and being a pagan because it was a persecuted religion? I'm not saying Christians didn't get put into gladiator rings, like that's all there. And then of course you can bring up Saul and Paul and this sort of things. But what I'm really interested in is when we have things like the Council of Nicaea deciding which books are in the Bible and which ones aren't, even appealing to church fathers, even saying they didn't have any skin in the game, they didn't have anything to benefit from.
Not really.
We have a text that's the word of God, in quotes, that was written down by men. And we also have a longer standing religion where the Old Testament is based in the Torah. I refuse to call it the Jewish Bible, where we have Hebrew scholars who actively practice Judaism, who can look at like the NIV, New International Translation, King James, whichever translation of the Bible you like, and go, this is not what the Torah says. This is not within the tradition of Judaism at all, when it's supposed to be a historical account of what that religion is, the religion that Abraham followed, and those rules. We're taught in church, at least the church I grew up in, that certain books of the Old Testament should match exactly with the Torah because it is the Torah. They're the same books, right? But then they don't. And you agree that men are subjective and fallible, so even if they have this better understanding, you still have to admit this is like a game of ancient telephone that's been passed down. Even if Aramaic sources did exist of the Gospels at some point, translation is an art, not a science. There is no one-to-one translating. We see this all the time, like debates among scholars with texts like the Odyssey, where certain English translators have used the word whores where it just said girls, and those sorts of things, and how that skews the bias.
Were the Gospels in Koine Greek, or am I wrong?
Huh?
Weren't the Gospels in Koine Greek, or am I wrong?
A lot of them in Greek. There are multiple fragments, and also I highly recommend looking at Bart Ehrman's series talking about how all of the Gospels are built off of Mark.
But it is
he's not a mythicist, and even if I granted you historical Jesus, which I would be willing to grant you historical Jesus, I will grant that to you. How does that prove that he is the Son of God? Even if I gave you historical Jesus was crucified, Pontius Pilate washed his hands of it, historical Jesus went up on the cross, what is your evidence that he rose again, spent the 40-something days here on earth, Thomas put his hands in his finger holes and his side holes and his feet holes while he was here to make sure it was Jesus, and then he ascended to heaven? Where is your proof for that? Where is that through line?
Well, it's kind of like, if we're going to ask for proof for historical events, it kind of goes back to how we would even prove how any historical event would have occurred back in the day or back in the ancient times.
Right.
Like,
so
you would attribute it to myth making, like George Washington chopping down the cherry
not
tree. Couldn't
really myth making. If there were so many events that
we do it all
occurred
the
in
time.
So
no, but that's what.
Here's the thing. I understand testimony not being enough on its own, and I totally agree with you. And if you're willing to say that Christianity is a testimony-based religion, because at the end of the day, all sources, no matter how many sources you have for the Bible, contemporaneous a couple hundred years afterwards, because they don't follow the model that most historians and scholars use for verifying history, it's still just testimony. Repeating a lie over and over again doesn't make it true. I could give you 10,000 copies that says Jake is the great Lord Cornholio and set up a trust that has that published for the next 100 years to protect my intellectual property and give it to the children of my cats in perpetuity. But does that ever mean that Jake was the great Lord Cornholio?
No, there's a main.
And if other people wrote it down,
can I respond? Because the whole thing about it is the whole thing about the Gospels and why they would be true is there was a major cultural shift in the Roman Empire during that time, major one, and it suggests that either A, there was a major event that occurred, or B, people just started becoming Christian for shits and giggles, which is, I don't understand what exactly would compel people to suddenly drop their religion and just start working on the other one.
Oh, I can answer that.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's because the Christians would appeal to the lowest common denominator, such as slaves or even...
not that at all, actually. So Rome, as it grew in power, it became more authoritarian, and polytheistic religions, such as when the Romans copy-pasted Greek mythology it is its own religion, but for lack of a better term, we often see the list of the Greek and Roman gods, right? Next to each other. Their gods are portrayed as flawed. People question them. There are consequences. Their gods make mistakes, things like that. Whereas the Christian narrative is about an all-powerful God. There is no greater God than him. The only way to salvation is through him. It is a great authoritarian tool to seek control over the masses. It doesn't appeal to the lowest common denominator. That's also why the Romans invented hell. They had to have a way to keep people in line, and Christianity, polytheism allowed for way more freedoms and self-expression than Christianity ever could.
It definitely later becomes
just in the
adopted,
text.
when Rome adopts it as a tool. Definitely it is a method of control. But
this can't be true at all.
Co-opt it for sure. What do you mean it can't be true? They co-opted
the idea that people became Christians because they saw the authority it held.
Yeah, saw
I
a
was
tool.
trying to
Okay,
debate
so
the
when
argument that the reason why people followed the Bible was because it primarily had authority in it, and people would appeal to that authority
So
in
the
order for it to be.
reason why religions exist from an anthropological standpoint are when we develop societies, we want a higher power that can guide us, that we can look to put the patterns that we see into an order. Human brains are pattern seeking. We want order out of our chaos. And this is when we see religions forming even in social groups. Like there was a study where we've observed elephants worshiping the moon is the best way that it's been described. And it's because we want to make sense of things. And
cults
we're
are also
glossing
very
over
interesting for this.
Yeah, we also are glossing over a whole period of time where the pagans, the polytheistic pagans, and the Christians coexisted.
Yeah.
We're also glossing over that entire period of time. And
Not
we're also
really.
looking from a historical standpoint. A lot of the times when Christians were persecuted, not that anybody deserves to get persecuted for their religion. Nobody deserves that. We're looking at records of things like sects that are proving or proselytizing apocalypticism and are instigating and agitating societies. We also saw this like with the Norse, right? The Christians came, saw the Vikings saw that the Christians worship Jesus, and they said, "Oh, you guys worship Jesus? That's great." And then they put Jesus up next to all of the gods in their temple so that they could come and worship Jesus at the temple where the Vikings worshipped. And then within 100 years of that, the Christians burned that temple to the fucking ground.
Okay.
Because it wasn't good enough for them to coexist. But I think it's kind of silly for you to say it couldn't possibly be true that men in power saw a better tool for control of the masses and didn't take the opportunity. Religion has always been used as a tool of power in government. Do you understand how wide the Roman Empire existed?
Yeah, I get that. The whole thing is, though, the entire Bible literally goes against the urges of man. That's literally what it highlights. It does. I mean, if it really wanted to go, if it really wanted to be like how men wanted it.
But you're not listening. But like, it goes against like yours, but not the people who wield it, right? Like, and this is what we're talking about. Like, it does. It tells you to fall in line under a hierarchy and to deny your impulses to seek freedom.
Yeah, that wouldn't necessarily be a
That's
thing.
literally
that
what's
great
being
men
told
with
to you.
power. It wouldn't be a thing that like men who want power sought to go after.
Why do men with power? Why are men with power all Christian?
Man, I'm getting interrupted for the 5th time now. The whole thing is, when you have men who want to sought power, why would they limit themselves to where they have to follow certain rules? Oh, you can't have sex with as many women you want. You can't do that if you're in this position. You can't. You're not allowed to go.
Christians have always done this.
Holy shit!
The whole Protestant, like literally the entire Church of England changed because of a divorce. Like,
the Protestant of England's fucking heretical. I don't give a shit. It's just that.
So that's heretical because you're Orthodox. But you see what I'm saying? Like, it's just a difference in creed.
You remember when priests to get married, right?
Yeah, that any sort of power to be gained from it is false.
It's not false. You tithe to these people. They literally. Okay, do you think a man in ancient times, including the Dark Ages, you think a man has more or less security being a priest than just some guy?
You'd probably have more security in the ancient period.
Okay, and so can you see someone? Can you just conceive of someone choosing to Can you just conceive of someone choosing to seek that position, knowing that they would have power over people and their opinions, because that's what's given to you, and you get material well-being, you get material wealth
during its formation.
What?
Would you please repeat that?
Did the Christians have any sort of political power during its formation?
No, they were seeking political power.
No, the answer is fucking no.
Why? Course. No entity at its inception has political power.
There isn't any sort of power to be gained from limiting.
There's no political power with anyone when they're incepted, man.
So
they're literally denying themselves of their own own desires. They are in the Bible. You were literally denying your own desires for for your own
right. So why do you deny your desires for God?
You can answer. Men who wanted power would actually fall into their own desires and would want to see their way the best, exploit their desires in a way that's justified.
Christian men have exploited this a long time. Christian men have historically exploited this throughout history. I don't understand what you're saying. Yes, I agree.
Okay, these are two different claims now. Again, dude,
no, they're not. It's the same
claim.
Yeah,
they are. Oh, men do it. I'm talking about the Bible itself literally limits men and what they can and can't do.
Yes, and wielders of the Bible are able to control people because of that.
So, not saying that God doesn't put limitations on men, but would you consider it a limitation violation of men's basest desires when God told them to take slaves and, kill all of the men and the women who had been married and just keep the virgins for themselves? Was that telling men that they couldn't give in to their basest desires for power? Or did God say, hey, you're my people. Go rock those people over their shit for me? Is that what the God of the Old Testament said? Because I remember the God of the Old Testament saying that quite a few times. Or, the God of the Old Testament and, asking Abraham to kill Isaac after all of those years of all he wanted was a son. And the fact that in Judaism, that story is taught as the fact that you aren't supposed to follow God blindly. And Abraham failed his test, but we're taught today that but it's taught in modern churches as a sign of blind faith, of doing what you're told because there's always some grander reason you're being asked to do it. But there are so many times in the Bible, stone them to death. Commit this murder is when I say.
Can I explain why? I'm getting tired of just sitting through like filibusters. I've been just sitting through like Jake and you and really a lot of other people just filibustering because the whole thing about the Old Testament is supposed to make way for the Messiah. That's the whole point. It's talked about in Jeremiah 31 through 34. They talk about how making a new covenant will make way for Messiah, and through instilling these rules, we can have a Messiah come. And it's why the rules of the old covenant are simply like.
And then they wrote down that a Messiah came, but you missed him.
No, the Messiah did come. It's actually predicted. There's multiple prophets.
Yeah, they predicted it, and then they wrote it down that 30 years ago it happened. Do you hear yourself? Like, of course they fulfilled their own prophecy. They just wrote down that prophecy happened. Like, what the fuck? It's like you're like,
the
Lord of the Rings is a prophetic
Old
book.
Testament you're suggesting the Old Testament has actually changed throughout history?
Yes, through the translation.
Where?
The
oldest translation. We literally have some of the the first books of the Torah we found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. We did.
So did you not hear? So
and there's differences between those and what you're taught now.
Did you not hear what a word I said earlier?
Just kind of
no, they're not.
We can get some more. There's another person who wants to come up here. Do you have a final question before we bring somebody else up here?
Yeah, give me just a moment. I did have a question. I was kind of mid-sentence, so being cut off kind of stopped my brain for a moment. My question to you is, if you go into a bookstore, like a Christian bookstore, and you see all of the different translations of the Bibles lined up, and you put them side by side, and you look at all of the different versions of the Old Testament, do they all say the same thing?
No, they all have different ideas because they all emphasize different interpretations based on the Hebrew. Hebrew has a much smaller language or has a much smaller vocabulary than English. So certain words can have either more metaphorical or literal meaning. That's why there's different translations of the Bible.
So wouldn't the rabbis who have been practicing that religion for thousands of years have a better idea of what the Torah says than the people who are interpreting it later into the Bible? And when the Jewish community and those scholars say, hey, the Old Testament consistently gets the books of the Torah wrong, maybe we should listen to them?
That's just not even I don't even think that's fundamentally true because
it is.
We have church fathers.
Jewish people right now that exist that are that's not accurate.
Yeah, of course there's going to be Jewish people, modern, quote unquote, modern Jews that will say that, this goes against the Old Testament, even though the Talmud isn't the continuity of the Old Testament at all.
But your appeal is to the ancientness of this process, and they are closer to that process.
I didn't bring up the Talmud. I brought up the Torah.
Right.
Right.
And you split with them for what reason?
Yeah, we have Jewish scholars that completely agree the New Testament's continuity of the Old Testament. Yet, we also have other Jewish scholars that say otherwise. And modern Jews don't follow the Torah. They follow the Talmud. So, I wouldn't necessarily consider them quote-unquote Jews because they don't follow Old Testament law. They simply follow the Talmud and their own interpretation of it through the
Tell that to all of the Orthodox Jews that I know.
So wouldn't you
yes, they follow the Talmud.
So isn't the Talmud older than the Bible?
I mean,
the Gospels? Yeah, it is. Yeah,
I think it comes after the Second Temple destruction, which would technically be a little older, but I don't really see how that changes anything.
Because your argument before was the continuity of the religion, but instead you're saying that the split off is the real continuity, not the prime one, and certainly not this other split off that is closer to it that's saying that your book isn't true.
So I love me filibuster; it's so cute.
It's not a filibuster.
You have the Talmud, filibustering. So the whole thing about the Talmud is that it has conditions in which it doesn't fulfill. The Old Testament has conditions that need to be fulfilled in order for it to become the new covenant for the Messiah. The Talmud doesn't really fulfill those conditions, yet yet they say, we don't actually have to fulfill them. They're wrong, and here's how we interpret them as rabbis now. That's kind of literally what the Talmud is.
You sound, I don't know, like a hyperventilating wacko when you say this shit, man.
Dude, there's no argument. I literally just presented you how it's like not continuity. Fucking wow. It's so embarrassing for you.
Yeah, I'm pretty embarrassed to not believe in religion. Cool. What's the other person?
Oh, I'm such an Reddit atheist. See how smart and big my brain is? It's massive.
I don't have a
my
Reddit
brain
account.
is huge.
It just sounds
I
like
don't
you're
follow
a little...
Skyman. My brain is huge.
I just think you're upset, man. I just think you're emotional. That's okay. You
really
need to outsource your emotional well-being to a concept because you're not able to confront your physical reality. That's okay.
Right,
it's
so we have fractured.
Can anybody hear me?
You're so mad.
Hey,
Ooh, this guy's been pretty mad. Let's go.
Hey,
Yeah,
what's
man.
up?
Wait, I gotta turn you up. You're real quiet.
That's unfortunate. I'll try and speak up and everything. But I heard you earlier say that it's like a consensus and everything that scientists don't really believe in God or anything like that. It's the consensus, and
It's
like
the consensus that material reality does not point to God. There are lots of scientists that believe in God, but they have the position that material reality and God are separate, which is what ACC's is too.
Oh yeah, actually, I would agree with that. And I thought you were just saying something about like how scientists in general don't believe in God, and that was the thing I wanted.
Scientists
to
in general definitely don't believe in God the way like most most American Christians believe in God. That's for sure. Because most scientists, for instance, would believe in physical reality, and then they attribute the physical reality and the usually the God of the gaps to their Christian God. A lot of it's like cultural though, and many of them are like not really practicing Christians, but there's definitely a lot that identifies it. But then you're going to see.
I wasn't really able to ask my question though. I understand that you could have a different view about God exactly, but I'm just talking more about just the general belief of God.
So their general belief of God is more secular than.
No, I'm not asking about their general belief of God. You can have a secular worldview about how things in the world operate. The wind doesn't blow because God is making it happen right now.
There are people that believe that, though.
Yeah, I'm sure there are people that believe that. I'm not talking about those people, though.
Okay, so they're less secular.
Well, I'm trying to get to my question. No offense. My question and everything, though, is when it comes to Christians that are scientists and everything, what percent do you think actually believe in God? Because you made it out to be that not many Christians at all believe in God. And I'm not talking about in terms of how
matter. 100% of them believe in God.
I'm not done. No offense, you've gone on a little bit with this. I haven't even been able to finish my question. I'm not asking in comparison to how they view God compared to the general population. I'm talking, do they believe in God in general?
Right.
Do they?
So like I would delineate personally between someone who believes in like a young Earth creation story to someone who believes in an older.
So the question of God or the supernatural.
I am answering the question. I am answering the question.
You're deviating.
I'm not deviating. I just don't.
He does that a lot.
Well, I would make
especially
you're saying. Well, I would make a distinction and all this. I'm just simply asking.
Dude.
Like I agree, there are dumb Christians out there that I don't agree with at all. We have a lot of fights. I'm asking in general, though, scientists who believe in God. That's what I'm asking.
I'd say a lot of people are at, I'd say probably like close to a coin flip.
Okay, I would agree with that. And that is actually what the data shows. I just wanted to make sure.
And I would say if you ask a lot of those, I would just say if you ask a lot of those guys that do, we're not talking about like, you know, you're saying all scientists. So this includes like people that their discipline doesn't really intersect with this. And so that's okay. So like, cool. Yeah. And so it's like not necessarily that if you're going to have a doctorate in fucking English that you're going to be an atheist. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that you're more likely to be secular the more you understand physical reality. And if you want to keep your God in a little gap where you don't know like where the Big Bang comes from, you're like, I need a prime mover for the Big Bang or I'm not satisfied. That's something you can say, but it makes your God small. And so that's what I'm saying. Like the gradient to which you're,
I actually don't.
The gradient to which you're actually
like
a Christian.
For example, a lot of atheists like to bring up how a lot of people who have higher level. Well, here's the thing. You've gone on quite a bit. I haven't even been able to speak that much. There are a lot of atheists who bring up. There are a lot of atheists who bring up how the more educated you become, the less Christian you become. Then they draw that as a correlation. Oh, the more you understand physical reality, the more likely you're to be an atheist. That doesn't apply to Muslims, though. That doesn't doesn't apply to Muslims, though.
Okay.
When you go up in terms of education,
So you should
Muslims
be
don't
a
become more
Muslim. Yes,
atheistic.
seems to be pretty.
Well,
It seems
according to
it seems like
your
Islam is closer
no,
to
no, no, no. I never
secularism than
said that. I never
Christianity.
said that.
Then
I'm pointing out the flaw in that logic. That the more education you have, the more likely you're to be logical and just not believe in a God. Because when you look at Muslims, that doesn't happen at all. So it doesn't actually correlate with anything you're saying. It's much more likely to be
societies.
Much more. It's much. Yeah, there are Muslims in
Okay.
theocratic.
So
Like
I
in
don't
America,
think.
we
Okay,
have
so in a
Muslims in America,
theocracy,
right?
I don't think that's actual education, but it's whatever.
Wait, no, I'm sorry, I misspoke there. No, I'm talking about. No, I'm talking about
Arab
in
countries
America,
are
which is
largely
the-
theocracies.
No.
What
In
was the
America,
most
in America.
secular?
No, I misspoke. I said I didn't mean theocratic societies. I'm
American
talking
Arabs
about-
are more likely to be Muslim than other people
I
when
said
they're
Muslim,
educated.
I didn't
Or
say
they're-
Arabic. You're now talking about race. I never mentioned race. I said Muslim, which is a religion. That's like me saying
I said Arabic
Christian
because you said something
I
about
never said Arabic.
no, I know, but I'm saying you said Muslim, and then you said in their situation they are more likely to, so I just thought you were generalizing. So never mind. So in American, so what's the claim? American people are more likely to be Muslim when they're educated.
The higher level.
Because that's not what we're seeing. We're seeing the general trend to be more secular.
Hey, why are you asking me a question and not letting me speak?
Happens a lot.
You just asked me a question and then you continue to ramble. What I'm saying is the idea that a lot of atheists have, the higher levels of education you have, does not make you more atheist, because you can also look at Muslims. You can say that for Christians, but that's more likely to be cultural, which has nothing to do with just your education. When you look at Muslims, for example, you don't see that whatsoever. So it makes no sense that the more educated you become, the less likely you're to become you're less likely to be a theist.
Jesus. So you're saying from religious communities, they are less likely to deconvert when they get education? Like Muslim communities are less likely to deconvert, and in fact, they're more likely to retain their religion.
My distinction is it's not so much about do you believe in God? It's cultural. That's my yes. Because how do you?
So I'm asking. Your claim is very confused. You're saying that
my claim
people from Muslim. Hold on, listen. Can I ask you? Can I ask you so I can understand you? Thank you.
Sure.
Fuck. Are you saying?
When you do constantly to me, man.
Are you saying that already Muslim people are more likely to retain their faith during education phases? Like when they go to college, they're more likely to retain their faith than Christians?
Mm-hmm. When they go for bachelor's and master's, for example, or PhD.
They're just more, so they're more, that group of people is more likely to keep their faith through college. That's the claim. Okay.
Yes.
And what do you think that says?
That says when it comes to your belief in God, it's not so much about higher levels of education and understanding the world make you more inclined to become an atheist. It's simply that when you look at these different communities, it's the culture that decides it. You just said, though, when you understand the world more and how it works, the more educated you become.
You think an American Muslim is culturally distinct from an American Christian enough for that to be different?
I think the culture is entirely different. When you go to a Christian family household here in America, in a Muslim household, they're very different. Don't you think
the culture is very different? No. I feel like they're very similar. I feel like they have differences that are obvious, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say they are any different.
You think that Muslims and Christians are just alike?
Yes, you are very alike. From my secular perspective, definitely. Oh yeah.
Wow. Literally, we're the same?
No, you're alike. Alike and literally the same. We're not the same.
That had nothing to do with what I was saying. I said culture. I've been saying culture repeatedly.
Yes, culturally, I think you're very similar. Yes. What are you talking? Yeah, I don't know why you're.
Okay,
what it seems to me to imply. I mean, I would have to see whatever study you're appealing to, but I'm just going to take it at face value for the sake of argument. Okay. That seems to say to me that Islam is closer to secularism than Christianity is, so it is easier for someone to stay in the faith because they have fewer contradictions to deal with throughout their education. But I also don't know, like this. But hold on. But it's all. But that's my assumption on it. But all of this seems to be like. I mean, like when you say educated people, like what kind of degrees are these people seeking? I would need to see the study that you're claiming exists. It doesn't seem like really real, but it seems neat. That's a cool thing. But I don't think
showing it on screen and everything for people to see. But I can even link you the studies and everything. Let me see here.
Yeah, that's really
cool. I can even link you the study here that shows. What you said.
Can you read the conclusion for me? Can you see what they concluded from that? And I don't even know what you're trying to say. Like
at least a third of people who took the study that were scientists, a third of them believed in an actual physical God. Well, not physical God, an actual God. and then about 18% more
2008?
believed in spiritual. 2009, actually.
Yeah, okay. So I definitely agree that like a person who's a scientist. Okay, so so this isn't really what we're talking about, but that's okay. So this is I can put it on screen. This is a Pew Research article about general religiosity in the early 2000s. So yeah, I mean, I think guys that come from a religious society are more likely to be religious. 33% of scientists say they believe in God.
Wait, that
51%. 51.
Wait.
According
So
to
people
30. Hold on, I'm just reading your fucking thing. According to the poll, just over half of scientists, 51%, believe in some form of deity or higher power. Specifically, 33% of scientists say they believe in God, so fewer than half, while 18% believe in a universal spirit or higher power, something closer to a deism, which is kind of neat. Maybe a prime mover or something that they leave space for. By contrast, 95% of Americans believe in some form of deity. This is old because now it's down to like 60. But
it's actually fluctuating back and forth as time goes on. People, especially after the pandemic, have become more religious, especially more Catholic.
Do you think that is okay? So, do you think people's panic response to a pandemic led them to a religious belief is a reliable source of like truth, like a barometer of their truth-seeking people?
I'm talking about
so to me,
rates.
right? So, anthropologically speaking or sociologically speaking, that would seem to suggest that people are panicking and looking for some kind of comfort in an uncertain time.
I would agree with that, but that's not what we're talking about.
So that's not truth-seeking; that's just emotional. And so I agree. It makes it sound like it's not a very reliable source of truth.
No, you're swapping the goalpost now because I'm talking about general
same goalpost
yes,
as ever.
That's a lot. Swap of the goalpost. I'm talking about higher levels of education not directly correlating to your belief in God because it's not the same for all religions and all backgrounds.
It does directly correlate. Listen. No. Only 33% of scientists are religious in the way that you are. That is a vast difference. 33 versus during that study that you brought up, 95% of Americans were more religious than scientists, and only 33% of scientists. So 70% higher, or I don't know. I mean, there's a 70% of them that don't. So it correlates directly to what I said. It proves my point.
As you post what I was saying, yes. Now you're talking about the logic behind it. I said that when
you're talking about logic.
Yes, you are, because you said that was a reaction, a comfort response, right?
A comfort.
You said the reason why people were converting to Christianity.
Research articles. No,
you're not letting me finish. You're not letting me finish.
Let me finish. You're talking about COVID now.
You're not letting me finish. When I said that after the pandemic, more people converted, you said that is a reaction because of horrible things going on. Did you not? Yes. I wasn't talking about why people were converting. I was talking about when you seek higher levels of education, it does not directly correlate for theism in general.
It does. It maps perfectly to what I said. You're more likely to be secular by a factor of so much. 70%.
Are more correct then? Are you saying that Muslims are more correct than Christians, despite them throwing
I would say
gays off rooftops today?
Despite throwing the gays, I mean, you would throw the gays off the rooftops if Donald Trump was like,
"Yeah, let's fucking there. You probably kill yourself, right?"
I'm not gay. What? No, sorry.
I think you're just projecting there, buddy. You're just swapping the goalpost over and over.
He does that a lot, so it's really hard.
I'm not swapping the goalpost.
You did. You literally. I literally gave you evidence for a claim.
I would say that Islam. To answer your question, I would say that Islam is a.
I have this recorded by
Islam. Me too. Islam is a later addition to the worldview, so it's going to have
changing what
more.
I'm talking about. I was talking about religiosity not going down when you seek higher forms of education or when you're a
It does go down.
Now
the Pew Research article you sent me proves you wrong.
Say what?
The article you sent me proves you wrong. You are much more likely, if you're a scientist,
that's what I said.
If you're a scientist, the majority of you, by a factor of 70% to 30%, you are more likely to be a secular, non-believing person. But if you are a layman and American, 95% were religious. You just don't understand the stuff you sent me. Is there anything else that you want to talk about?
I told you what it was before. I even was reading it off to you. Why do you think I sent this study to you, buddy? Now you're just swapping the goalposts because now you
good, obviously, because that's what did happen.
You're not able to substantiate your claim, and now you're constantly swapping the goalposts. You've done it like 2 or 3 times now, buddy. Just admit the name before was wrong. Just admit it. That's fine. Everything could be done. Just admit. Then when you seek higher forms of education, the more you know about the universe, it does not directly correlate to you not to becoming an atheist.
The study you showed me does, in fact, say that you are more likely to be secular.
Because you're not taking into account when Muslims get educated, they don't. So how do you explain that? I said culture. I said the reason why people, when they seek higher forms of education, for Christians they deconvert. That's because of culture.
So
But it's not the
deconversion and
same.
being more secular are not the same thing. So you don't have to be a full-on apostate to be more secular than you were before. And I guarantee you, over time, you will find because, and I typically, especially in America, hold on, especially in America. Can I finish? Can I finish? Can I
buddy,
finish?
you can let me finish constantly.
Buddy, can I finish?
You can't whine about it when
Especially
you just
in America, as a minority group, I would expect people to hold on to their culture a little harder than someone who's already considered part of the in-group.
How well you understand the universe or not. You said that when you understand the universe better.
Do you have another thing to say? Because you're just spinning your tires on this, buddy.
Well, I got enough footage for everything, so I'm actually happy. You can put me back.
Cool,
Mace.
cool, man. Nobody knows who you are.
Oh man,
I got the footage. Okay.
Okay.
I got more. I don't know.
So, next up, we're gonna pull Onyx here.
Oh, good.
Because Onyx would like to say something.
Literally, what?
All right. Hello, Onyx.
I've got the real footage personally. Do you have the footage, Onyx?
No, I don't tend to record. Can y'all hear me correctly?
You're kind of low. I'll turn you all the way up though.
Let me know when you can hear me correctly.
I mean, I can hear you. Just get as close to the thing you're talking into as possible, and then I'm fine.
Got you. Okay, so I did have a couple questions, but first, because it's been fresh on my mind, I'd like to address something you said earlier with the last guy, that you believe people who are Islamic are closer to secularity than Christians. I would
say that suggests the thing. So just to clarify, I would say that it suggests that the later addition to the Abrahamic religion pantheon, which is Islam, which comes like 500 years later or some shit. It would suggest that it's more in line with the what is considered secular knowledge contemporary with its inception. So 500 years more of science and advance, and then Islam also was pretty down with the sciences to some degree. But
that's fair. I was going to say though that just from my personal experience, because my father's side of the family is heavily Islamic.
Oh yeah.
Like not regionally. Regionally they're African American, but religious wise they're Islamic. I'd contest that because in general day-to-day life, from my experience, the American Muslim will bind much more to religious rule than the American Christian.
First generation or second? Or just any?
What do you mean?
Like I assume it's an immigrated experience, right? Like how many generations of Islam are we talking?
No. I mean like they are Americans that converted into Islam.
Oh, converts? Okay, well converts are always like fucking crazy. Like ACC here who converted, like or the guy I talked to before on here who was a convert. Like, there's and you're not gonna like it, but you attach a lot of your identity to it, and so it becomes very personal, and like you feel like you gotta some of you guys are out here sig heiling and shit for a sense of community, and I get it because we need that kind of stuff.
What?
No, that's fair. I'm not even going to debate that because I've read the autobiography of Malcolm X. So yeah, I can't really debate that.
What do you mean?
I mean, if you've
I'd
read
love to hear your thoughts on Malcolm X. I haven't read the autobiography of Malcolm
X is one. Okay, if you,
but I do know that he was a Muslim man who was very against the Christian religion. But like, I don't agree with him on his religious views. I agree with him on a lot of his takedowns of.
Not what he did. What was done to him and what he later did to other people is he went to prison for stuff. He went to prison for, I believe it was breaking into somebody, right? He went to prison. He was supposed to be in prison for a long time. He got sent mail by a black Muslim at the time who said they were going to help him get out of prison. So he started changing his life. He eventually got out of prison early, and he wrote in his own autobiography, as part of his recruitment method, he would actually specifically target black people who were going to jail or who were getting out of jail because they were more likely to accept the ideology that as his version of Islam.
That shit happens for Christians. Same shit happens all the time. Yeah, they're desperate people. This is what I'm talking about with the COVID thing. Like when you get people desperate, they don't make decisions based on logic. They make them based on emotion. But also, like Malcolm X properly deconstructed, and this is sad, but properly deconstructed a lot of America's ills especially on the axis of racism and capitalism and stuff. But like, yeah, it makes me sad when I hear minority groups that are religious because it's such an imported and enforced like religious thing. At least Islam is a little bit less so, but it's more of like it almost feels like a co-opting of the thing. But yeah.
Another thing I wanted to address was earlier. I'm not sure if you meant this when you said it, but I think you were doing some sort of debate on whether Jesus himself was real. And
No, I mean it. Yeah, I don't think he existed to the. Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong on this, but
as a historical,
as far as I'm aware, right, whether he had his powers and did his miracles is entirely up for debate. But as far as I'm aware, the man himself is the most well documented man in history of his.
That's not true. Like the most talked about, maybe not documented.
Okay, so do we have somebody that is more historically documented from his time?
You are.
I said from his time.
Oh, from his time? Oh yeah, lots of people.
He has the bad tendency of not being able to listen.
Yeah, not being able to listen. I can't see your faces, and we're on Discord, man. Like, relax. It's 4 hours. I'm gonna misinterpret you sometimes. Like, chill.
No,
You also don't. You speak into these shitty microphones. You don't use your whole fucking chest to speak. You're back here.
I do. I mean, when I use my whole chest to speak,
like, it's hard to understand you. I mean, this is your fault.
I speak in a normal calm voice.
I'm prepared next time.
Either not like called passive, but I be speaking my
trying
chest
to attack it. It's
emotional.
like
Really
a genuine
cute.
question because, as far as I'm aware, right? As far as I'm aware,
like the emperors and stuff, we have a lot of. He's not contemporarily. There's nothing about that.
Do you have an example of somebody you believe is more well documented for his time?
Yeah, like any of the emperors of Rome. Like I mean, we have stuff for like guys that like we have like physical evidence of guys that like fucking baled hay and like traded in cattle, and like we have more physical evidence of so many people that aren't even remarkable, let alone people that are remarkable, which we do. Like, I mean, famous people throughout time, Julius Caesar, all these people like they're very contemporary to this kind of stuff. And earlier we have people. I mean, there's just so many. Hammurabi is a good example. Like we have people's like physical remains. We have their houses. We have tax documents. We have people writing about them contemporarily is often a big one. Usually it's like, people doing commerce and then them saying like, oh, in this year of Joseph Flavius,
horrible copper.
Yeah, and they put their faces on things, and then there's like documentation. Like Jesus, we don't have it until later when the first like propaganda goes around for him, and it like makes sense. Like I understand why you guys to some extent buy this shit, but it's just not compelling to me. And every time I ask about it, you guys don't have anything compelling, and it's like not your fault that it compels you, I suppose. But I think like your standard of evidence is real low if you're a Christian. Like it just is not high enough. You take like when I say that they control people, and when Morticia brought it up about like the control thing, like when you say I take it on faith, it's like you lost that fucking fight, man. Because you're not checking them on that. You like think that's a virtue to listen to them, and it's just not. And that puts you in a hierarchy that you don't even think about engaging with. It's so crazy. And I know you don't even understand what the fuck I'm talking about.
No, I do. I'm saying I'm not going to take it on faith because personally I believe that if you're entering an argument with somebody who is saying that God is not real, saying you take anything on faith is just a bad argument because faith isn't the issue. You have to present proof yourself, and it's up to you to present the proof. And I have two instances of what I believe is historical, not archaeological, but historical non-Christian proof of Jesus' existence. Right? There was the work of Flavius Josephus. He's a Jewish historian. He wrote about Jesus in his work.
Yeah, I mentioned this earlier.
I think it was called Antiquities of the Jews.
What year did it come out?
94 CE.
What's that?
What'd you say?
What year did it come out?
93 to 94 CE, I believe.
So how long after the death of Jesus? Just so you can say it out loud. So 65 years is not contemporary. And I mentioned this earlier. When he mentions Christus in that document, it's not mentioning the actual person. It's mentioning people that claim Christus exists. And it's a later edition that was proven to be a forgery in the original document added by Christians later. Later on, you're going to go to Tacitus or Herodotus, which are both later than Josephus.
Also fair.
Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. Like, I know it sounds like, and to some extent, it's like fun, right? Because like being a Christian is like, ooh, there's like this mystical sort of guy, and there's like, ooh, there's like little artifacts, and it sounds like we can be paladins and like fucking, wow, there's treasure. It's like Raiders of the Lost Ark, but like it just, when you learn about it, it's not true. There's like, it's really genuinely, physical reality is so much more like that when you're like, holy shit, there is no God and we exist. We are hurtling on, like, it is a miracle, but not in an anthropomorphic sense. It's like a statistical anomaly that we exist, and it's so interesting to be literally the universe, but we're avatars of the universe experiencing itself, and like literally in a non-mystical way. It's so crazy. It's like genuinely cool, but it's hard to like describe that to you guys because you just like, you hear what I hear when you say like, oh, we were down, we were all the fathers and the testaments. you get all holy on it and you feel the spirit or whatever. You sound crazy to me. But like, we're literally the universe. You know what I mean? Like, do you acknowledge that we're made of material of the universe, and so then therefore our consciousness is of the universe, which is crazy, right? Isn't that nuts? Is that
A lot
cool?
of things about us are nuts. Like I think math. I think I did the math for this when I was a couple of years back. Like mathematically, the chances of you existing as you are so low that most people would consider it mathematically zero.
Right, but obviously we do, and so that's the case with
obviously all
everything,
of us
though.
is as we are.
That's the case with everything. So, like, yeah, because like sperm, there's like millions of them during ejaculation, but only one of them is going to make it in due to the process. So, like, the probability just explodes right there, pun intended. But also that happened over billions of years. And like the time scale is so massive, it's so hard to wrap your head around. But the reality is much cooler than this kind of poor, weak myth. Like this God character loses power every time I interrogate it. This Jesus character doesn't have evidence for him whenever it's brought up, and like it persists anyway because like men can control people with it. And this is the facts. It just is, and it's tough.
I don't think that. Okay, I'll say this. I don't think that men using religion to control other men is necessarily a good indicator to religion not existing in the first place. So, like, because it is the nature of men to use literally anything they can to control.
Right, exactly. Others. Yeah, exactly. And how efficient is this, right? Because you fall right in line. You know what I mean? Or I mean, not you, but other people.
I'm just saying this will be efficient.
You know what I'm saying? It is efficient. To control you, it is.
I'm saying, hold on. I'm saying whether or not a God existed, even if a God did exist, this would still be efficient. The efficiency does not change if
yes,
a God
but if a God did exist, you would expect there to be demonstration of that channeling through the proprietors of the faith in some way. Like you'd expect some benefit to trickle down from that immense, unknowable, omnipotent power, right? And like literally clerics like healing like Jesus does, or even smaller degrees, like even just like different experiences psychically, like you would expect. And I mean that like mentally, like emotionally, like you'd expect like Christians to have their shit together, like, but you don't. Like you're all freaks. And I mean that affectionately, like, and it's not because it's your fault necessarily. It's because Christianity teaches you to pray about it instead of actually fix things. It teaches you to have a ridiculous patriarchal worldview in which you have to be this like if you're a man, very in charge of all the things, but also like, you know, you have to have a woman she has to bend the knee to you and do whatever you want. And no one wants that shit. Obviously, everyone wants various degrees of freedom to express themselves however they see fit. So like, it's just, how come there's no miracles anymore? I don't know.
Didn't I literally just sent you an article of one, allegedly?
Well, you said that wasn't even compelling to you, so I don't know why it should be for me.
I never said that at all. Wow, you just like to make shit up, don't you, bud?
Wait, I asked you if it was compelling, and you're like, it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be, so I thought you didn't.
In terms of what? I literally argued that when you said that there's no evidence of prayer working, I showed you a piece of evidence of prayer working.
Does it compel you to think that it's real?
Does it compel me to think it's real?
Yeah.
The article I sent, I would say.
Yes. Okay, but the article that I sent, which shows thousands more of those events proving it not to be effective, doesn't compel you.
Well, it wouldn't necessarily because what I showed you was literally an exception.
It sounds like an emotional experience. Like you're like, oh my god, that is.
I showed you an exception to your data. I showed you an exception to your data.
No, you didn't. It's perfectly within the parameters. There's an acceptable amount of these
to your data. That's the point I made. And
the data I showed
it has to be repeatable in order to be true.
The data, you're just so mad. The data I showed you.
I'm mad. You're just lying.
I'm not.
You lied because I completely made the point is that we have prayer, and prayer can lead to these things. And here's a piece of evidence where it has. You say this is not true. I don't believe it's true because it has.
Because we don't have any corroborating evidence, and then we
say, oh, it can't happen because it has to be reputable. It has to be repeatable. It has to be repeatable in order for it to be true. It has
to be
right.
So when
you said it has to go through the form of
count these events and we look at them and then we study them all in a metadata set. We see that it's just like an anomalous within the parameters of like the sicknesses they have within like all of the expected data you would have. These aren't miracles. These are statistical events when they happened, and it's within like it just is within reality's expectations. It's never been miraculous, but it's just not. It's not exciting to you. So you're like, well, that can't be true because I was really excited that there might be a miracle.
Of course, it's very common and sudden where you have gastroparesis and it's healed suddenly when you go to church and pray to God, and it just suddenly happens. I guess that's just, there has to be a form of repeatability to it. Otherwise, it's
So that
just not
person
true.
died from that later.
What?
Would that shake your faith? They died from that same problem.
I mean,
later.
it wouldn't necessarily shake my faith, but it would I guess it would prove your point that then, faith, prayer wouldn't have done anything then.
Okay.
Yeah, but the thing is, stop with the whataboutism. It didn't change anything. He's not dead. He's alive and he's healthy.
Okay.
Yeah, what you just pose as a whataboutism. I don't give a shit, dude. So this whole argument. So yeah, okay.
Right. So anytime this has happened, and you know for a fact that someone has thought they were
no. The whole point was that there was no
people are
evidence. I give you
miraculously
evidence
healed,
how you're
and then they
lying,
die. Not
it has to be
miraculously,
repeated in order to be true. And then you have yet to demonstrate why it has to be repeated. It has to be repeated in order for it to be true.
I haven't demonstrated why truth, like scientific claims, have to be repeated. You talked to Dageresh about this.
No, I'm referring to truth itself. Does induction lead to truth?
It was deduction.
No, it's induction, dude. It's looking at past and prior events in order to come to a conclusion about the future. Wow, dude. What I'm saying, I'm asking you is, does induction reach truth?
It's one of the tools we use to determine it.
So it's arbitrary. Gotcha. Okay.
It's not arbitrary. You need corroboration to
if it's a
determine
tool,
truth.
It means it's arbitrary, dude.
It's not arbitrary.
It's not arbitrary.
It's arbitrary. Is an axe arbitrary to cutting a tree?
Just another red.
No, it's contingent on your available.
Another red herring. Does induction
red herring?
If no, then why are you utilizing it as the basis for all scientific science to be true?
I think you're just mad. Do you have any different questions?
I think you're just mad. Oh, I think you're just mad, buddy. Oh, poor me. I'm so mad.
Yeah, clearly not seething. You just dialed fucking monologuing by yourself in the Joker.
So bad. I'm turning big and green right now because I'm so angry at you, Jake.
Yeah.
Jake, I'm literally asking you, how exactly does induction reach?
I just think you're taring your hair out. Are you molding on live? Okay.
I'm turning big and green as we speak.
We're gonna pull Skripka back up here for another.
I'm the only one on screen, and I still look the least stupid. How's that possible?
Whoa! Are you calling my cat stupid?
That's
I'm just saying I'm the least.
He is. You're right. It's okay.
Can you hear me?
It might be offensive, but I really just because I've been speaking to Americans all night. I appreciate that you have a really dulcet tone and nice accent. You do.
I mean,
appreciate
people say my phone's nice. People can have what opinion they want. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
But
always.
good morning, chat. I have been on an insomnia event once again. I have this problem, but
Me too, dude.
I don't want to say I heard the chat enjoyed the last time I spoke. Thank you very much, chat. I'm glad that you enjoyed. But to the point, Mace, am I allowed to say some channels I get some of my information from?
What do you mean?
Is that am I allowed to say the names of YouTube channels I get some of my information from, or is that considered advertising?
Oh no, that's perfectly fine. Yeah. We love transparency of sources here.
Okay, so a YouTube channel I recommend people to specifically that I can remember off the top of my head that I watch quite a lot, that I get information from, is for ancient Near Eastern religion, and specifically the Bible. There's a channel called Esoterica. It has a lot of good videos about the Bible. And
Oh yeah, I've seen him before. Didn't he just get fired?
I have no idea. I do not follow him. But about linguistics, about Greek and Latin, and even Aramaic very soon, it seems, there's a channel called Polymisy. If you are interested in linguistics, you probably already know about him. But on to my claim. I was a bit disturbed earlier at some of the claims made by Matricia. I don't know how
We were referring to Morticia?
Yes, but her, because she was claiming, first off, that Jesus only spoke one language. This is not true. He was, if I remember correctly, also a merchant. Okay, so this means that because he lived in the area he did, or I don't know if he was a merchant, but even just what his family was doing, what he was involved in, he also knew Greek. He was a rabbi, so he knew Hebrew as the scriptural language of the Jews, and his native language was, of course, Aramaic. This is actually true for many of the apostles as well. For example, the apostle that I am named after, the first missionary, was somebody whose native language is Aramaic, but frequently wrote in Greek for publicity. You can tell because of the grammatical mistakes he made in Greek.
Go ahead.
What are you going to say?
I was just going to ask questions about the thing. They call him rabbi in a later thing, but I don't think he's a formally taught rabbi, right?
I have no
So
idea.
I don't have anything in the myth. ACC. Do you think Jesus is a formally taught rabbi, or they just call him?
He is a rabbi.
So
He went to the temple. and got like, I don't even know what it would be, like fucking went through seminary or whatever?
No.
Okay, so he was a rabbi through his like divine sort of like gifts, like given rabbihood through his godhood and knowingness or something. How did it manifest? I suppose I'm just asking.
I can go on if he doesn't respond.
Okay. Well, I don't believe in Jesus, so I don't know how you think about it in the faith. So yeah, I was just asking.
I understand your beliefs, and I respect everyone's religious beliefs, whether they're Jewish.
See, I can't. This is why I'm an anti-theist. I think it harms people. It makes them illogical, and it makes them easy to control by the states that use it to do that, which is obviously true with all the right wings. So I think we secularly have an ethical duty to. While I'm fine with the cultural aspects of like, like the holidays and like talking about their tradition and like, oh, this is the stories we wrote down and stuff, like it's kind of quasi historical in the same way fucking Robin Hood is, right? Like, so it's cool as a cultural touchstone, but we don't have to like live our lives by it. We all, in fact, we probably shouldn't.
I mean,
but
you know, if you want, we live in free societies. Of course, there are people who have not lived in free societies. I know that very well from my own people.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I just think like insofar as free society, I don't think we should teach kids religion, for instance. I think if you're an adult, I don't mind. Like we could teach about religion, but not like to worship the God or whatever. Like teach them as from a secular point of view, because I think it's. I think it's. What's that?
Let it be a family matter. That is not our prerogative, of course. But
oh, sure. I'm just saying that's my standpoint. I don't know.
Okay, but I was going to talk a bit about history because I am not fluent in Greek. I am not fluent in Aramaic, and I am not fluent in Hebrew. I know about Greek. I know about Hebrew. I'm not versed in Aramaic. However, Aramaic is very close to Hebrew, as I'm sure Hebrew speakers will want me to say. And of course, for the Israelis, I support you, and for the Palestinians as well. Nobody angry at me, but
support Israel.
Well, I think that was separate, but that is a different conversation. If anyone wants me up on it, they can.
Yeah, free Palestine.
But about Latin, I have studied Italian, French, and I'm currently studying Spanish and Turkish. So I know, and I've studied Latin as part of it. I know quite a bit of Latin. It is understandable to me, and I noticed that
Martrisha, probably.
Martrisha was saying some things that I personally detest about ancient religion. That is the over romanticization of it from my point of view. Because you have to understand that the ancient world was, for us, unimaginably cruel. Slavery was a part of life. War was part of life. I'm sure you all know about the stories like
imaginably cruel. I can imagine that. I can imagine the cruelty. I'm seeing it right now in apartheid Israel, for instance.
Well, this is obviously a different situation, right?
Yeah, more mechanized.
So, for instance, the idea that among polytheistic European religions, which are far more closely related than you think, because we can know by linguistics that, for example, Norse paganism, Slavic paganism, Roman and Greek paganism ultimately come from the same people.
Yeah.
The polytheism that was worshipped by the peoples, the Proto-Indo-European tribe, would spread out and become, the people who are our ancestors, if you are European, or if you are even Indian. But the Romans, which have a very good written record, and the Greeks too, of their beliefs, but the Norse have a pretty good written record. So I will talk about all three of them. First,
okay, can we wrap to a point?
Yes. Firstly, though, Matricia said that she wanted to use the term Bible. All the Bible means is in Greek. Biblia means book, so I think it is okay to use. But the idea that in Rome there was more freedom than in Christianity is a bit misleading, because there's obviously certain things you can do in Christianity, certain things you can do in Roman polytheism. But one of the
that would be like landowning people had more rights than none.
Polytheistic religions often do, and this was true for all the ones in Europe, to my knowledge, especially, is your slaves were your property. Your
Bible writes about that, of course, right?
With property. Well, that's true. But I'm not sure how much the Romans practiced it, but I do know the Norse practiced, where when somebody died, at least for the Norse, for example, their slaves and their wife and their treasure would be buried with them. That included even alive, so that they could serve in Valhalla. There's a famous example of this in the island Gotland. But in Rome, I'm going to say something more interesting for modern people, and that is the idea that Rome was some fashion compared to today, or in the Medieval, about LGBT rights. Because if you were, let's just say, a man who was passive, right? By being passive, you were considered to be making yourself into a woman, and that was considered to be an abomination. information. Punishment for this was branding, the losing of status and property, and enslavement. This is not giving them more freedom. I don't like this romanticization because Christians, when people became Christian, freed slaves most of the time in medieval Europe, whether it was violent, peaceful means. You can argue whether on serfdom was slavery, but I would say for
I don't think the Christians undid slavery.
Obviously, no, but they undid a lot of the aspects of it.
I mean, I think they were just dismantling the system they replaced, and then replacing it with their own kind of subservience. So anyway, I mean, this is I love your face. This is going on a little bit. So
yeah, of course. I just wanted to make this claim. However, another thing, I'm going to say this on behalf of Dawood. People who are not Muslim, please, like Fractured or ACC, you're very bad about Arabs and Muslims. Please, like, leave this to people who know what they're talking about.
Yeah, like they're racist about them?
No, it's just that there's things that are horribly incorrect. I'm not going to say they're racist. I'm just saying that there are,
Well, I mean, that's definitely what I see. I see a lot of people, especially Zionists, talk about Arab populations in the same way that I see American racists talk about black population.
Of course. So, but I mean, if anybody wants to, get into me with any of the things I discussed, whether on Twitch or whatever, you can come to the server, you can DM me. I'm open, despite my probably queer shines in my voice. But that's pretty much what I wanted to say. I'm going to go back to listening now. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thanks.
Sorry if I spoke too much.
Thank you.
Wasn't too much. Just kind of slow. That's okay. It's second language. I mean, I can't expect you to. You're doing a fine job. Just long-winded.
All right, fellas. Is there anything else we want to touch on before we wrap this up?
I mean,
any other questions, ACC, that you have for Jake? Jake, anything else you'd have to add?
I don't know. There's been two things. Although there is one person who does want to chat with me, Madeline B. I wouldn't mind that at all.
All right, we'll let this be the last one, and then we'll wrap it up after this. Madeline B, we'll get you up here.
Because they had a question about me.
Hello, Madeline.
Which is fine. Love me some good questions.
Madeline B, are you there? You are currently muted.
How about now?
Okay, yeah.
We're in.
Okay, so I have a question that goes back to when you were talking to Morticia, and I'm sorry, I'm all quivery, I'm all nervous. You mentioned base desires and why the Bible goes against them. Can you give a couple of examples of those base desires?
Like the Bible goes against?
Yeah.
I would say sex outside of marriage is one of them. For example, if you really if there really were men who wanted to exploit other people, I think the easiest way they would do is through women, and they would just fuck as many women as they wanted to. They wouldn't really give a shit. But we were told to chastise against women.
So marriage is like an ownership transaction. It's like a.
Oh, it is.
No, I would say marriage is more a symbolization of becoming one under one covenant.
Who should run the house, the man or the woman?
Well, hold on.
Who should run the house? I would say they. Actually, no. We should really just let them finish.
All right. So like ACC, can you think of any practical reasons that those laws would exist?
What do you mean?
Do you know about the inheritance laws and how the society back when they were an agrarian tribal culture, how they determined who gets what when someone dies, for instance?
You know what? Enlighten me. I don't even want to feel like answering. Enlighten me.
Okay, so in the patriarchal agrarian society that they were in, inheritance was the cornerstone of the society. It was very important that you know who's getting what from dad when he dies, all based on making sure that you know whose son you are, what order you were born in. So those laws, like about making sure that a girl has never had sex with somebody, making sure that you're the only one that gets to have sex with her, and that there's rules against having sex with a married woman or married woman.
You can't have concubines, so it wasn't like against fucking a bunch of ladies.
No, concubine as long as she's just yours, though.
Right. So it wasn't like
she's having your babies, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Literally, the Bible didn't care how many women the men had sex with.
Yeah, it has rules
as long as they knew that the baby was his. So all of those laws about you can't sleep with another man's wife, you can't sleep with an unmarried girl because she has to give somebody else babies someday. It's all about owning the woman so that you can preserve your inheritance.
Well, primarily in the Old Testament, like point of view of like ancient times, women were viewed not as like a commodity, but it was viewed that the virginity of a woman was very highly valued.
I don't
That's the
think
whole
it's
thing.
that at all. I don't think
was
it's a
that in the
purity
ancient
thing.
times. It was like during the ancient Israelite times, the way that people would barter, or not necessarily barter, but would make marriages
They
occur, is they would
cared
have women who were more
about
virgins
the
rather than not.
virginity of a girl because they wanted to make sure that any baby that popped out of her was theirs.
It's an ownership
That's
thing.
why virginity mattered. It's
It matters
practical.
because it necessitates that there is a form of like I would say not necessarily it's not just practical reasoning, but it's also with the fact that you have a form of purity that needs to be upheld, and it also should be like
Why?
I think you're imposing that upon the text.
I don't think I am.
What is your basis for that?
Church fathers. It's not my interpretation.
Church fathers. So men. Okay. So why would men want to interpret it like that? I wonder what incentive they would have.
I mean, if we really look into the text, women are treated in the Bible where they're supposed to be not subservient to their husbands, but husbands are supposed to treat their wives as if they're their own body. You're supposed to respect and love your wife.
Yes,
the same way
you're
your wife
supposed
would love
to
and
respect
respect
and
you.
love the wife. But back to the
silent-
point that I was making, ACC, is that you were saying that they just made those laws because purity, and I'm saying that there were very practical, real reasons that those laws had to exist, not just purity. Even if purity is one of the reasons, I don't think
Or
it was,
reasoning.
but
It's probably just an argument to keep it
right.
up, but like it's ultimately
But
about
absolutely in the patriarchal structure, I mean, look how many times in the Bible, birth order matters, and how often the laws are centered around who has, like if your wife was unfaithful to you, they're going to give her that special magic concoction that will make her expel her womb if there's a baby in there. It's all about babies. You know what I'm saying? Like there's
control,
real
wealth acclamation. Yeah.
There's real solid, valuable reasons that aren't just about like for purity's sake. That would be like saying like why do we ban corporations, or why do we have minimum wage when it's in a corporation's best interest to pay less, right? Someone 1,000 years from now could be all like, "Ooh, a god must have ordained that kind of law." like there's a real reason for it.
I mean, okay. I think like the whole argument is that you're posing like women back in the Old Testament as like what is it like oh yeah, basically like property, right?
Commodity.
Well, for a reason.
Like a commodity or property, right?
Property for a reason. There was a purpose to it, not just ha ha ha. I like women. I want to own one.
Yeah, procreation. Because
Right.
it's agrarian, so you need kids.
And back then, like my tribe being bigger and more wealthy and whatnot is survival. If my tribe isn't bigger, I might get conquered by the tribe next door.
Yeah, and we learned this prior to the agricultural revolution, and it's sort of like ingrained in us, right? It's the drive for all evolutionary beings to procreate because of this problem of death and survival and selection pressure. And so like when you understand why the animal makes the decision they make, you can see where they make like societal I guess what am I looking for? Like caveats or workarounds or I guess reasonings to do certain activities like, oh, well, I need kids, so we're going to make this a property transaction. And then it becomes ingrained in your society about like how marriage should work. You know what I mean? Like it's obvious. It's just an anthropological truth. Like we've watched the practice evolve over time. This is just another it's not a coincidence that you see this type of language around commodities when the advent of commodification is taking place historically, right? Like everything, like sheep is becoming a commodity, like because now trade and like you're moving into the Bronze Age, so like it's like the language changes with the times and with what the people are thinking about, and it's like it's so obvious secularly. I don't know.
I just love the filibustering, but I mean culturally,
it's not
there's just
filibustering to share with you why I think the way I do, man.
That's great. It's just that with ancient Near East, like with ancient Near East cultures, it's just that to quote unquote sell your daughter was more like a thing of you're transferring legality into another household with protections.
But why?
It's kind of like the whole thing.
Property protections for the property of the woman. Yeah,
it was supposed to represent honor, purity, and covenant with a
No,
man.
it represented wealth.
That's what it
Just
represented.
purity and covenant. Okay, so ACC, if you were like some ancient patriarch, you're making your own tribe, right? And all of your laws are about passing everything down from the father to the oldest son. Just, I don't necessarily need you to answer now, but the big question there is, what laws could I make to be sure that every man's oldest son gets his shit when he dies?
So you write covenant law, and then you say, by the way, God's watching. You don't fucking, you're dead.
Right.
Like, you're saying, but you just, like, literally can't imagine that. There's no one else around. This is how we're running our tribe.
Yeah, I gave an explanation as to why this occurred, and it's just that, actually, the real reasoning is, it's just kind of like, it's like, my point is, it's just this, like, sort of quote-unquote commodity is tied into the purity and covenant aspect of it.
So
that's the point I'm making.
But the purity part
what is your...
they can't have anyone else's.
Sorry, Jake.
The purity part is like what they were saying earlier about this. Yeah, about like the transaction, making sure that you can ensure your genetic pass down and how your property rights work, and then the marriage part is to ensure that there's a contract for the property transaction of the woman. Like you're just agreeing with us. You're just using different words for the mechanism.
I don't necessarily see how not being a virgin would necessitate that. That must mean that my daughter will have a bastard child that's not mine. How does that necessitate?
You guys are worried about that now. I don't even know what you're talking about. Like,
holy shit! I just asked you a question, dude. How does it back in the ancient times? How does the ancient
talk about it a lot? Yeah, this is why you guys are.
Oh yeah, here we go. I was asking, how exactly does an ancient person back during the near Middle Eastern, like ancient times, how does that necessarily mean that she fucked another guy?
You want to talk about it? Biblically, we have lots of the priest and the bitter water.
Okay, here we go.
Priest and the bitter water. I gotta look it up again.
Are you referring to the
Numbers? Numbers 5, 11 through 31. Right. So forced miscarriage is abortion, but like it's about. So this is exactly the problem. So I'm just talking about. This is one of the many.
Woman that she wouldn't be able to bear children in the future. That's what it meant. If someone was unfaithful to their husband, that was the
womb would swell and she would lose the baby, is what it says. So it's fine. If she's knocked up by someone else, her womb will swell, and then
it's supposed.
That's abortion. It's okay. I don't know. I mean, you're coping.
Not at all, buddy. Oh yeah, I'm coping.
It is literally.
You can have something that's subjective and objective at the same time, right? Yeah.
I mean, you can go ahead and read out loud every word of that if you really want to take the time, but like.
Yeah, I read into it, dude. It's not talking about abortion at all.
It is talking about an abortion. I read it all the time. I ran a Bible study, bro.
I Bible studied it. Yeah, I Bible studied it too.
You're so triggered. I don't understand. Like, you're just wrong about it.
Because you literally will just cut me off and throw all these red herrings at me, and it's just so
It's not
annoying,
a red herring
dude.
to talk about your Bible's interpretation of property rights.
I brought up the whole logic argument, the whole logical or tag, for example, against you, and you kind of were just, logic can also be objective and subjective at the same time. Yeah. And then you kind of devolved into how your values and morals.
We're just straw manning it. Okay.
I'm not strumming it at all. That's really what you just said. You said that
you're trying to relitigate the 5-hour discussion you've been losing.
You said nearly an hour and a half ago.
I don't know why you get so upset.
Objective and subjective at the same time. There's also how you said that morals are God is evil, but morals are just my preferences. So it's just your views are very, very inconsistent.
They're not. They're totally consistent, but you just don't understand the material reality you live in.
I don't understand the real reality. My brain is so huge.
It's not. It's normal size. Yours is just small.
Dude, I'm making a joke about you. Sheesh.
I'm aware. Did I go over your head? Oh no. The priest and the bitter water is a story about a man litigating whether or not the virginity was upheld, and to test the virginity seal, they would do the bitter water test, and that is like literally what I'm talking about. Like you asked what laws were around it. This is exactly the one that came to mind. Like it just is. So like I don't know why you're mad about
it. How like adultery is literally like a bad thing that you shouldn't practice, and when you perform adultery, you have a bastard child.
All you have to do
you lose your right to have children. That's the whole point of it.
Right, because the property rights are violated.
It's not property rights; it's your covenant.
It is. That's violated. What you just said. It because you're like, if you have a bastard child, your property isn't passed down right. So that you
never said that. I never said your property.
You literally just said that.
No, I don't think I did.
I know you don't. You don't think a lot of stuff, obviously. Like I don't know, man.
A lot of stuff, man. Yeah, I get it, Jake.
Okay. My request for the next Christian is that they have an emotional well-being before coming in. Some emotional emotional well-being would be sick. Like anyone that's gone to therapy
You're
just
very
one
bad
fucking
faith.
time.
It's just that simple. It's really bad faith. Like you're really well
That's
known
a
for it.
terrible
You
thing.
kind of interrupt me a lot. You also proceeded to filibuster a lot of points that I didn't even make, and you strawman my own points. I kept pressing you. How exactly do you think logic is universal? When you keep saying everything's really arbitrary or subjective, and it usually just comes down to, well, they could be objective while also being subjective at the same time, which doesn't really make
You
any
sound
sense.
very emotional. How
do I sound emotional?
You're
I'm just giving you
filibustering right
thorough
now.
argument. Ooh.
you're
Ooh,
gish
I'm
galloping right
filibustering.
now.
Ooh. How am I gish galloping?
Well, you brought
We
up
went over
several
these
points
points.
and expected me to
We went
answer
over
all
these
of them,
points.
obviously.
I can give you. Honestly, I still wanted to know. Like, I kept asking what evidence would prove God's existence, and
I gave you many opportunities to answer, or to offer some kind of evidence, and I gave you different methods by doing it, and you
yeah,
weren't,
you
weren't
didn't.
into
You
it.
kind of were just really vague. I kind of want to know
Really
what evidence.
vague?
would prove God's
Your
yeah, you
ignorance of the scientific method is not my
you kept
fucking.
saying, some data would show God exists,
failure.
and we would just know it's God. And I asked you like 3 times.
We would just
how
know
would we
it's
know
God?
You
How
said
do
that.
we know it? How do
You
we know
said
something's
that.
God?
You said the data would show it's from God. I asked like several times, how would we know it's from God?
So it would correlate with your claims on the God, and it would violate some kind of reality that we expected instead.
It would violate some kind of reality we expected instead.
Yeah, or it would explain an aspect of reality
So
in
it
a
would
way
break
we
a
hadn't
form of
conceived.
law.
Not
It would
necessarily.
break like some form of like, I
That's
guess,
not
law.
necessarily what I'm saying. No.
Okay, then what is it that you're
But it
necessarily
could.
saying?
That's one of the ways it could manifest. Sure.
It's so arbitrary, dude. Like, so
it's not arbitrary. It's one of the ways that
absolutely arbitrary. How the fuck can I
it is
appeal to
utterly
people's
not
anger?
arbitrary. I don't know why you. I don't know why when you ask the question and I'm like, well, I'm open to a lot of different avenues of evidence. You get upset. Like I don't know. I'm open to a lot of different avenues of evidence. It has to be. It's not arbitrary. It's like there's so many things. It would have to. It would be something that you for it to signal that it was God. You'd be like, okay, you would expect it to line up with a claim that you guys make about God or something similar, so that we know to direct it towards God, right? And then it would have to, explain some part of our reality in a way that we previously didn't think was the case, because we would be redirected toward the answer of God instead of a natural physical thing. So I don't know why this doesn't satisfy you. Like this is as clear as I can be about it. Are you just not understanding?
Repeat it for me one more time, Jake.
Oh my fucking God. Okay. So it would be a situation where you would expect one part of reality to exist, and then another explanation would come up for that thing. Like we could call it gravity. Like we thought gravity was a thing, but actually God is everything's on a marionette that God wiggled around or something. I don't know. But if you could prove that or whatever, and it would go again, like it still works with the physical rules that we've measured, but it's some other mechanism is doing it. And we're like, oh, that actually fits in with the claim of a Christian or whatever, a theist. That would be what would start to be compelling. So you asked me what compelling evidence would be. It'd be something like that. It'd be something we didn't necessarily expect it to be the answer God, but we don't get that. We get natural answers all the time. So
how is that
I
just
don't
not
know.
a God of the gas fallacy, though?
What do you mean? I'm
You're
not
saying that
importing it. I don't think God exists.
No,
so
I'm
it
not
doesn't
saying.
matter.
Yeah, no, but you're inadvertently committing when we say we have this unknown natural phenomenon, and we may think
I'm
it
not.
could be from God. It could possibly be from God, and so
No. I'm
that
not
is
saying we do have an
that-
unknown natural phenomenon. I'm not. No, I'm saying the evidence would lead us to something that doesn't point to the system we thought was natural. You know what I mean? Like if gravity isn't actually a natural force, how? I don't know. That's what science is for. You'd find it.
Yeah,
I mean,
this is so vague. This is literally so
it's not vague.
I would need something like this in this specific way, and so when it's in this specific
It's
way,
vague.
I
I'm
would
so
probably
broad.
lean
I'm
into
allowing.
God
There's
about it.
there's like
it's
like
so broad.
so many. Are you just getting like choice paralysis? Is it just a problem of,
can't meet any sort of criteria then.
What are you talking about? Of course you could. It would be something that contradicts
How could I meet
material reality.
Material reality? How does something contradict
like it.
material reality?
What do you mean?
How
does it No, I'm saying it would be
how would
something
it
like that.
contradict material reality? It would be something like that. Yeah, what, dude? I want to know.
Like-
Is this
like
the
miracles?
So frustrating. I don't. Oh, a miracle. A
This is
miracle
revenge for
would
the
prove
Sabbath.
God's
Yeah, fuck you
existence.
guys. Yeah,
A
so
miracle would
something-
prove God's existence.
in the same way that multiple forms
A
of evidence prove
miracle
things.
would prove God's existence.
No.
No.
A
Okay.
miracle, a single thing that you describe as a miracle would not be evidence for God. It would be one thing that you would say like, look, isn't this compelling evidence for something going on? And then like Degaresh talked about earlier, like we've talked about, we would discuss testing and retesting the thing, and then it could be evidence towards toward God if it was matched up with other
It needs
instances
to be
that are similar.
Okay,
Or
it has to be repeatable to the point where it points to God, is what you're basically saying. It has to be repeatable. This sort of phenomenon.
you would it not only does it. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, you would expect it to if God was the answer. Yeah.
I would expect it to.
Correct.
I would just expect it to. Okay.
Right. If God's real, like you're saying, is so obvious, like then you would expect evidence to point towards it when it came to things.
Yeah, I would say
I
would argue metaphysical evidence such as logic being existing is one of them.
Dude, I still don't know why you keep trying to say that because you're just wrong about it, but it's fine.
I'm just
you
wrong
keep bringing that
about
up. Is there anything else you think that is compelling, or are we just doing whatever you're thinking again? Like I don't know why you're so stuck on that. It's not even like close to the impressive argument you think it is.
Tag God is a necessary precondition for logic and knowledge. We have logic and knowledge.
That is a presupposition.
Yeah, it is a presupposition that's justified
Okay,
through
then
modus
you
ponens.
literally can't.
It's justified through
cannot
modus
say-
ponens.
No, it's so stupid.
It's justified through a method called modus ponens.
It's not justified.
No, it's a disjunctive syllogism.
It's
Either
not
or. It feels the
stupid.
impossibility to the contrary.
You're just
All
Wow.
right, fellas.
Okay.
All right. I
It's
think
not
we're
an
at
argument for the
point
Christian
where
God
we are
at all.
just going in circles. So I
If you
think,
actually
Yeah,
I think
it's just really not.
I think that we can end this off. For Jake's audience, I've been seeing you guys. You guys are freaking hilarious. I would love you to come to the server, discord.gg/platinumpolitics. Yeah, Jake, if you'd like to share or plug your stuff and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actual Jake. I'm a leftist anti-theist, and I think that we could just have a good Christian someday. Maybe we'll have one. That'd be nice.
You literally.
I just really genuinely need you guys to calm down. I don't know. Like I don't feel like I have to be so emotional.
I got a tad bit pissed, but usually I've just been aggressive to you.
Tad
I don't
bit.
think
You've been screaming and frothing the whole time, shaking.
I haven't
and
been
pissing.
screaming.
I literally
I haven't been
have, and
screaming.
Joker
I've
laugh.
seen it a
You
couple
have
times.
had. If we did a compilation, I bet there's like 5 solid minutes of you crashing out of just like Joker laughing and like stuff like that. Guaranteed.
I'm
at least 5
laughing
minutes.
because you literally make the most dog shit answers I've ever heard in my life, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty bad.
Pretty bad, yeah.
Pretty bad.
Alrighty. For the people in the server, we can go to Politics VC for a after party, I guess. But as for now, the debate is over. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, ACC.
All right.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay. Someone that could just handle it next time. Right? Someone that can handle it.
I hope you enjoyed that debate. If you did, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And if you'd like to come debate yourself, come join the server. Link down in the description. But otherwise, that is all I have for you today. Bye.